What's up, guys? Welcome back to Max Plays. And if you're wondering why my camera is off, it's because we are going to be watching FNCS Major 1, Clicks versus peterbot. This is live right now. You guys want 10, 9, 8 on NA, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're doing the intro to it. This is gonna be crazy. Alright, guys.
What's going on, Fortnite fam? Welcome to day one of the FNCS Major 1 Finals. So much at stake here this weekend. I can't believe it. You know, this has been a long journey. We've gone through heats, we've gone through an LCL, and now here we are, finally in the finals. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. You know who else can't believe it? It's your analyst, Kelly Link. It's Vivid. Get them in here. Oh my gosh.
Vivid.
Guys, Major 1 Finals. There is so much to compete for.
Yamzo,
and the fact that there is a summit and qualification to that is looming over, increasing the pressure of so many of these players and tournament.
I'm just not, I don't have my camera on right now because
I'm doing great.
my webcam
EU
on
was
because
so
I'm trying to
exciting.
like
I mean,
keep
Sky and
as
Scroll getting
much
2
of the
victory
screen
royales
as
is
we can
definitely
to
something
see.
that I think some people expected, but still always a delight to see. But like you were saying, Zeke, building this Major 1 has started honestly since the end of Global Championships last year, when we found out that it was going to be a duos competition once again. Everyone was wondering, well, who's the best duo in North American Central? And we're going to figure that out today,
Clicks
Vivid.
right now.
Yeah, the last time we talked about it, you know, last week, and the last time we were here online for an FNCS, it was like 200 plus days. It's been so long, and then all of a sudden we jam all this Fortnite into one single week. 3 heats last weekend, right, with LCL in there as well. And now we are finally here, grand finals. This is what everybody talks about when they think about these Fortnite majors. Who's going to win? Who's going to take it home? Who's going to qualify to a lane event? So much to play for.
That's right, man. Let's get into it. Ryan, what are we playing for? What are we doing here? Well,
Let's
first,
do
we have a
this.
little graphic lined up. Talk about the prize money on the line. So just for making it here,
Here's
every duo
6,000?
will walk away with something.
20K.
Not
Oh,
only
first
earning the
place is
Axe of Champions,
100K.
we come in first place. We're also walking away with
So 18th place is
$100,000.
3,500.
Oh, and don't forget the coveted
Holy.
Kelly's board star. Everyone wants to
Look
get
at
the gold
this,
star.
bro.
So we got 2 players
Yeah,
walking
look at
away
all
with
this.
those as well. But yeah, the money, the Axe of Champions going to Dusseldorf. Yeah, those are all great as well. But Vivid, you know, I think that
cool.
the more
shows
that we
off
develop
everybody
North
that
American
won
Central, I
FNCS.
feel like the less it is about
Or
the money,
played in
and it is
FNCS.
more just about the pride, the ego, the status between these players that we've seen develop for years now.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about the star.
I'm gonna go to
Kelly,
the bathroom.
you gotta add one of those accolades to your reputation. That is exactly what it's all about. In NA, it's been so close over the past couple of years. I'm excited to see who's gonna be the one to go ahead and take home a trophy today.
The new and just announced most prestigious title you can earn in Fortnite in general is the Kelly Star. Crazy stuff. Yeah. We also can't forget the top 13 will move on to the Summit, which is crazy. Qualification and Global Championship early through that. I mean, I don't even know what else to say about that. More on that later. For now, let's talk about the format. Something interesting that we've seen, Kelly, is the amount of points earned from eliminations has actually gone up to 4. So I feel like we're kind of saying, hey, if you're trying to be a Slayer, you're trying to get aggressive, you might be rewarded for that.
Yeah, with those points going up 25% to 4, it's going to be incredibly different. We haven't seen a Div Cup Finals set lobby in quite a while. So we have either the performance evaluation, we have heats, we have last chance lobby. So we haven't really seen a a set lobby in quite some time for that mindset, that aggressive mindset that definitely rewards some of the duos that we're going to be seeing here today.
Oh,
so
is my-
although it is only a single
is the
point difference,
YouTube
Vivid,
live
that one
lagging?
point is going to make a huge difference in our lobbies.
Yeah, absolutely. The
Okay,
format
I think
specifically may be
shouldn't be
more
lagging.
rewarding in terms of how many points you are going to be able to get. But this is a grand finals lobby. Those points are not going to be any easier to get, even though it may be worth more. It's always scary to see any of these teams kind of play aggressive because no matter who you're going against a grand finals qualifying team.
Yeah, that's not what you want to do, right? You suddenly jump into someone's box and you're like, oh, hello, you are equally as good as I am. Just kidding. This is now 50-50. Hope I win. Crazy stuff. Can't wait to see that.
Crazy.
Let's take a look at some of the session summary
How long
for
till game?
finals. So we've actually been doing this during the heats and the LCL to kind of break down some of the numbers. We love kind of looking into some of this stuff.
NA
You guys may
Central.
want to talk us through.
Choose
I'm seeing one
NA
stat
NA
that
West,
definitely makes me
NA
laugh. But
East.
Kelly, Viv, break it down for me.
Together.
I'll let Vivid break down the more important stuff, but what I think was interesting was comparing it to EU
All the
stats.
NAs.
And for EU, they have 462 FNCS appearances, so almost 100 less than what we're
Wow.
going to be seeing here in North America Central. Now, I don't know if that means EU's better or worse or whatever. You can say what you will for that, but I just thought that was an interesting stat, Vivid.
Kind of the impact of missing out some big names over there on EU for sure. FNCS
Yeah.
titles 32, land wins we got 4. FNCS finals debuts here. We have 31 players who have never played in an FNCS grand finals before today. 31 of them. So keep an eye on them, see how they kind of perform when the lights are the brightest. And Zeke, man, we got 211 years of FNCS experience. I don't know how we did the math on that
crazy.
one, but it's there. And dude, that is a lot of time playing Fortnite.
Yeah, shout out to kids for getting us some information. I love to see that. But yeah, I do want to kind of double back to that stat. 31 new faces, you know, like you called out.
Crazy.
Competition has been fierce. There's a bunch of names in even EU that haven't made it through. And so I'm excited, man. We've seen some of
I
these
like
new
how
faces
they
kind
have
of perform
wonky
in
lands
heats.
in the
Even
background.
LCL, I'm excited to see what they bring here. Speaking of things that are fun, we're going to do something fun here.
Wait, fun, Zeke? Do you mean...
No, whoa, hold on. Whoa, got too real for a second there. We're gonna do something fun. We're gonna do a little quiz. This is kind of taking me back to the drop spot. But here's how this is basically gonna work. We're each gonna have a minute, and we're each gonna ask the other two a question, and you have a minute to answer. Okay, so we're gonna start with mine.
Oh.
All right, you have 5 options. Most FNCS finals
Acorn Reet,
victory
Peterbot,
royale.
Polo, Venno.
Oh.
Is it Acorn, Reet, Peterbot, Hoyo, Venno? What do you think?
Peterbot got third.
Got a
Okay,
minute.
so are we
Talk it
talking
through.
about this right now? So
You can
wait,
talk
are
through.
Vivid and I competing against each other? Or are we trying to
You
work
are
together?
competing against each other, but you
Okay,
can talk it through a
okay.
little.
Making
You can
them
do a little
top
talk.
5.
So
I'll
my
throw my
mind
thoughts out there.
automatically.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you go.
30 seconds.
Obviously Peterbot Pollo, they were a duo. They were winning all of these games and everything like that. But the fact that they're up there, man, they only split for a little bit of time.
Then you got to think
So the
about
numbers are
Venno,
probably
right? You got to think of the
close.
6
Yeah,
out of
that's
12. We always think
honestly-
about the 6 out of
Venno
12. And
That's where
Venno
my mind's
was
at.
15
five.
seconds.
And then
All
there's
right.
Reet. You know, I feel like I just have to say Reet's name in general.
Reet is crazy.
All right, I
on
think I'm
controller.
going to lock
One of the only
in.
controller
9,
pros.
Venno.
No hero
8,
pros.
Venno.
3,
Wow, we agree.
2,
I think,
Okay,
I think
let's see.
yep, we're both
1.
going
Okay,
Venno.
okay. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, go, and on go, you guys will give me your answer, okay?
Oh,
1, 2, 3, go.
Venno.
Zeke, we already gave our answers, and the answers
No,
are
you're
on the
supposed to guess the
screen.
wrong
Venno?
one. Guess the wrong one. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, 1, 2,
Game
3.
1, 6 and 16.
Zeke.
Wow! Okay, the answer is in fact Venno. You guys are smart. I thought I might have tricked you. I might have tricked you there, but you know, it's fine. It's fine. Okay, Viv, you got a question for us.
I do. All right, so you're going with wins. I'm gonna be going with who do you guys think has the best average placement in FNCS majors? We got Cooper, Peterbot, Venno, Cold, and Reet. Good luck.
Okay.
Mm,
Okay, so listen, Reet,
Reet.
we know
Reet.
he has
Oh,
really
no,
good
I
placement,
see.
right? Like, I feel like that's pretty good. I don't
Maybe
think Peterbot has
Venno.
good average placement
Venno or
overall.
Cooper. Maybe Reet.
What?
Reet's pretty good too.
I mean,
Kelly, how?
if you look back before chapter 5, sure, but eventually those numbers are going to get like diluted by how well Peterbot's performing. He's either gone first or second place. And Cooper, although he got a global championships, definitely don't think he's up there.
Second.
Veno's not going to be up there. Cold has been doing
wouldn't be
kind
that.
of well. It's got to be peterbot.
20 seconds,
See,
guys. Come on.
Are you locked in, Kelly?
I'm now scared, realizing that you and Vivid have had your pictures
10
posted,
seconds.
and now I'm really worried of what picture they're going to use for me. But I think we have to go with peterbot as far as average placements and FNCS
crazy.
majors go.
I'm going.
Let them
I'm,
yap on about this.
I'm going re. I want to go.
Dude,
Is it re?
I saw you peek Instagram. I was like, oh my god, this guy. The answers were on the screen. I saw you looking, but no, it's actually gonna be cold
It
with
already
4.93. I mean, who's surprised? I'm not surprised. I mean, the guy's an absolute demon. But close behind him, Veno. Shout out to Veno, man. It's very, very close here on the average placement in FNCS majors.
All right,
Dang.
now this
I didn't even see it flip over. It shocked me.
Oh, that was
Kelly.
quite a shock. This is going to be even more shocking. Is my
No.
question,
Oh, gosh.
everyone? Ah, God, I knew they were
You
going to
look
use
so
this picture.
nice.
All right, best hits damage ratio. Let's look at it, Vivid Shush. All right, we got Neo, Bolt, Bucky, Javi, and Zena. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait a second, damage ratio. I don't see Cold up there, but you have to remember there's going to be a little bit of a hint here. This is Heat.
Heat?
Think about that.
Okay.
You have 30 seconds.
Bev. Oh man. Why is it? No, we have a full minute.
Nope.
Zeke, I know the answer. I'll be honest with you. I know the answer.
You know the answer?
So I'm gonna wait for you to guess, and then I'm gonna say the answer.
Okay. I'm gonna talk this through. I don't have a lot of time. I feel like it's either
15 seconds.
Bolts or Zen. Dude, I don't know why the Bucky's throwing me off hard. There's no way. Is it Bucky?
5 seconds.
Is it Bucky? I'm
Not
locking in
only
Bucky.
is it Bucky, it's
I'm
Bucky
Bucky.
with
It's Bucky.
15.24 damage ratio. That's right, Cole, get out of here. The big buck is here to show you all who is the best player. And yes, maybe he won without getting that many eliminations in game 1 and heat 1, and maybe that threw off the damage ratio, whatever. But Zeke, that just gets me all the more excited to watch Bucky and Zen compete in this grand finals.
Thank you for that, Kelly. That was a fantastic stat and a great laugh. Thank you so much. We hope you guys enjoyed the quiz. Let us know if you got things right or wrong. Feel free to tweet at us. Who cares? We're having a good time here. Now, it's not just us. Of course, you know your casters. It's MDF. It's Jacob PR. Let's go see what they're up to.
Yeah, but this one is going to be a good weekend. I love that quiz already going to show what we have in store for you guys today. But let's take a quick trip around memory lane. Our last 5 FNCS majors that have rolled around through this competition. And you can kind of see how the point gap has closed each and every single time. Outside of 2025 Major 1, peterbot takes over 339 and then another 79-point win. Acorn returns with a close 14-point win, then back-to-back wins by 11 and 3 points. Monster, this is just going to show how close each and every single one of these majors have been.
Yeah, this is a really fun graphic because you can see the gap just shrink down so fast from 25 into, of course, the new year. But what's really interesting and my favorite takeaway from this is like every Major 1, if you think back at Acorn in specific, he has just had that Major 1 magic, and he is at the top as a favorite for this season here, of course, coming in. And it's really fun to see him kind of come in a little underperforming, under the weather, it seems like, in the heats and whatnot, but when finals comes around, he's just like Cold, right? He turns up, Jacob, he does what he has to do, and Zeke, I'm sure you guys have a lot more to say as well about these teams.
Guys, first off, it's great to see you guys. You look awesome. Yeah, there's so much to say, right, MDF? I mean, this is an absolutely packed lobby. Why don't we go ahead and bring up page 1 of the lobby list, okay? So there's so many names, and we only have so much time to talk about all of them. Why don't we go ahead and start, though, Acorn and Bolts. Obviously, I feel like we can safely say, hey, these guys are likely going to make a top 13, right, and qual for the summit. My question would be, do we think they could go all the way? Could they earn themselves the Axe of Champions?
Oh, without a doubt. And it seems very appropriate that we do take Acorn as the first duo that we're talking about with Bolts, because as we heard our casters say, Acorn has won the last 3 major ones. And if history is going to repeat itself, we might see that again this weekend. Acorn is one of the smartest IGLs, and when it comes to a tournament meta, he is one of the smartest players to be able to kind of download and develop his own strategy based around that meta. And more importantly, teamed up with Bolt, who has time and time again proved himself as a solo competitor, even winning the solo game for Heats. This duo just excites me, and I cannot wait to watch them compete today.
Yeah, some of the big talk on the town was kind of like this new era of Fortnite, where we're kind of taking these experienced IGLs and kind of pairing it up with these new guns, right? These younger generational players here. That's going to be Bolts, of course,
getting
in
almost
this
as good as
situation.
the
We get to see a lot of this duo though in the Heats because of that solo clutch from Bolts, but I'm sure we'll see a lot from them
until
today.
game 1.
Acorn and Bolts, let's go, dude. We're gonna continue the talk. Let's talk about Curve and Veno. You know we can't not talk about Veno. I mean, guys, I would go ahead and say he's Fortnite's greatest villain. And I love to hate him, and he's probably my favorite of all time. Don't tell him I said that. Where are these guys landing? What's their situation looking like?
Well, luckily, we have a map right here. They're landing north Battle Boulevard. Yeah, they've been landing here. They've been having a great spot landing here. Veno coming over from EU, kind of halfway through the chapter so far, joining up with Curve. And honestly, once again, we're talking about these veterans picking up these newer players. And this has been an incredible pickup. A lot of the success that we've seen from them during Heats was from early eliminations due to having a contested South Battle Boulevard. Obviously, we're not too certain of the situation that's going on right there. So I think that might be a big question mark on how they're going to be handling kind of Storm Surge, because they've had the strategy in mind so far. But Vivid, they do still have some contested teams to the northeast of them, and it's Veno, it's Curve. If anyone can figure out a solution, it's them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure they were kind of thinking some stuff up, especially throughout the day, trying to figure out what they were going to do. But we just kind of found out, or at least I did, Veno, the player with the most wins throughout FNCS. So we cannot count this guy out. And again, one of those duos that's kind of finding themselves in the hat of names that people are kind of predicting in the community to go ahead and win this FNCS. So would not be surprised to see them doing well throughout the day.
Dude, I'd be so down if Veno won. That'd be sick. Okay, all right, let me calm myself down. Let's go ahead and talk about another duo, Cold and Rapid. These guys are landing over at Dark Dominion. So again, I guess to pose the question, do we think they can walk away with the Axe of Champions? I feel like a top 13 is a no-brainer, but where do we think they're going to end up on the leaderboard?
I just have to know how Cold woke up this morning. I feel like understanding what breakfast he ate will give you a better answer onto how he's going to perform compared to any kind of stats we could bring up, because he could literally not play for 3 months, load in for one tournament, and still walk away in top 5.
And as you guys can see here on the map around them, we try to throw up some numbers of how many teams are going to be landing in spots around them. We want to go ahead and preface this because, the early game, it's so important, getting the Storm Surge early and not taking damage. But one of the best scenarios for kind of doing that is picking on some of these early game fights, right? Obviously, these guys are going to be running around shambles, no real builds, no opportunity to kind of, settle themselves in. So Cold and Rapid, they have plenty of options kind of around where they land to kind of, go out and attack some of those all-spawn fights. Wanted to go ahead and show this social post right here from Cold. First game on, first one off, Lab and Grands. I love Cold so much because he just takes so much pride in being the player that is just so happy to play the game the absolute least. He was like, listen, I want to jump on, I want to win the first game, I want to be done for the day, and immediately posted it on socials where, usually, Kelly, we have this conversation where it's like, wow, maybe some of these teams in this format don't actually want to win one of the games because they want to play out, they want to get more practice. Cold, nah, he will take the early win every single day.
And it's crazy too, because if you watch this game, they all, by all means, should not have won it. They were below Storm Surge in Zone 7, Rapid Revive Cold in Zone 8. But when you have both of these players on the low ground and they're able to get refresh after refresh, elim after elim, it is only a matter of time before they walk away with the win. So Cold and Rapid right now with those 4 FNCS titles, all under Cold's name. Rapid looking to add his first one. And doing it from Dark Dominion, Zeke, they might actually do it.
That's so sick, man. Center of the map. It's looking good. Okay, let's bring up that lobby list one last time. We got to show you page 1 and show you kind of the first half of that lobby as we flip on over. We've got one more duo to highlight before we get to some other news. It's Agers and Ritual over at Sandy Strip. I mean, Look, we are all Ritual stands. We are all Ager stands. Seeing these guys come together has been a dominant force. How do we expect them to perform here? Obviously, the heats and even play-ins, like obviously different contexts. In finals lobby, though, what are we thinking?
I mean, since the start of this chapter, Agers and Ritual have been one of the most, if not the most consistent duo, with their worst performance in a Div Cup Finals being 10th place. They are constantly in the top 3, and more so, they're constantly leading the elimination leaderboard. On average, they have more eliminations than Peter and Poyo when it comes to the Div Cup Finals. And we know that eliminations are worth just a little bit more in the grand finals, rewarding their playstyle of being consistent and also getting eliminations. When we look at duos, Vivid, we tend to kind of see them favoring either consistency or these pop-off games, but Agers and Ritual can do both.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we know Ritual had a lot of the limelight last year, but Agers also had a very good year as well, right? First, fifth, and second in FNCS finals for him. So yeah, this duo kind of coming into this year, I feel like it is a strong one that needs to be looked out for. And that refresh heavy style gameplay that we're going to be seeing in the end game from these guys, yeah, I think it could work very, very well.
Dude, I'm telling you, it sounds like it's not a lot, right? One more point per elim. It's not crazy, Zeke. Just wait. Just wait. Okay, I said we would talk about other news. Let's go ahead and get into it. We talked about this back in heat number 3, and that was a rivalry. Clicks versus peterbot. We got a snippet, you know, sneak peek back in heat 3, but here we are again in the context of finals. Talk to me about this matchup. You guys have a ton of information to share with the Fortnite fam.
Yeah, I mean, we can say share, but it's something that we've all been following along since the start of the chapter. Honestly, even going back before the chapter, there has been a rivalry, a discourse between Clicks and peterbot. And regardless of how you feel as players and competitors, they have honestly been carrying North American Central as far as entertainment goes. And that peaked during the heats when we saw peterbot during heat number 3 tweet out that he was going to be landing Wonky against Clicks and Higgs. And Vivid, we saw how that worked out.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, they were already kind of qualified through heats at that point, so they decided to go ahead and change drop spots, and it looked like they were going to be completely committed to it. They even went ahead, took some time out of one of those heat games, and made sure they put their initials up there on top. peterbot and Poyo were very interested in kind of taking over Wonky in finals, but Kelly, that didn't really last long.
No, because as we would think, you know, it's Clicks and Higgs. They're not going to be backing down. They're not going to be giving up. And so they posted themselves a tweet saying Wonky in grand finals. And in fact, in a follow-up tournament that we got to see from them, we actually saw Clicks and Higgs go up against peterbot and Poyo. And in the first few seconds of that, it looked like it was going to be going into the way of Pete and Poyo. Higgs actually getting knocked off the mountain and getting eliminated right away. But it is Clicks. He knew that this was it, do or die. If he was going to be holding Wonky Land, it had to be now. Getting the 1v2 against Poyo and Peter and claiming the spot for his own, sending them back to Squibbly. To me, Vivid, that is what Fortnite's all about.
Hi.
Yeah, and you can see here the message was clear. We know what you guys did. Look at this. We're going to be putting our initials on top of the drop
Higgs
spot.
and Clicks.
C and H up there on top of it. So yeah,
Falcon,
we're
Peterbot.
expecting
Why does
Clicks and
Peterbot's
Higgs to
hair
have
look like that, bro?
uncontested Wonky
I
and
won't
Peterbot
lie,
and Poyo
Peterbot and
went
Clicks
back over
both
to
have chopped
Squibbly.
haircuts.
Big talk of the town though, right? The comparison between the two FNCS
Higgs,
finals
yep, so
appearances is
I'm
going to be pretty
rooting
similar.
for
The experience is
Higgs,
going to be there. The
Clicks and Higgs
FNCS
to
titles
win.
is where we see the largest gap in this comparison. 10 FNCS titles on the side of peterbot and Poyo, and then 0 on the side of Clicks and Higgs. But that's what he is all about right now. Clicks is worried
10.
about one thing and one thing only, and that is an
Let's get it.
FNCS win.
If he wins this, he gets
Oh
his
my
first
gosh,
FNCS
it's
win.
happening, guys. It's
You already know
happening
I have
right
one
now. I
FNCS
cannot
win.
believe
So I
it.
could
We're
say I
so
have
close
more
to
than
kicking
Clicks.
off finals. Man, to see these guys go head to head.
Clicks
I
is
mean, I don't know. Do we think
one
this
of
is
the
it?
best
Do we think this
players,
could be
dude.
the one, Kelly
It's
Viv?
crazy
We
how
can
he doesn't
finally
have
see
an
Clicks
FNCS win.
walk away with that title. Is it? Or is it gonna? Or is it just gonna kind of devolve and become like, hey, you know, we have a tournament going on, but we're just gonna come over here and we're gonna fight it out every game, and then whatever happens in the tournament, whatever.
You know, there's so much you can say about peterbot and Poyo, so many accolades you can
Higgs.
give them that we really don't need to kind of prove their worth,
Super.
their abilities. We saw the FNCS titles that they have. We saw the appearances, how many times they're getting top 5. But for Clicks and Higgs, and they don't have that FNCS title, that is the big story. It is the David versus Goliath. Are they going to be able to take down the demons of North American Central? And I think as far as we have ever seen Vivid in the last few years of competition, as soon as this kind of rivalry has started, that this is the best that they have ever looked. And personally, over the last few days of scrims that we've seen, their adaptation to how they're holding high ground, even though it's early, and I know we don't like that, with these kind of little adjustments that they're doing to hold high ground have really been impressive.
I really wish I did.
Yeah, exactly. They have been performing well. They've been putting the time, the effort, the practice. I think they have the end game figured out, right? Clicks and Higgs, I think they're doing well, but I think peterbot and Polio, they've got something up their sleeve. I think that, you know, they should be feeling comfortable towards the end game. I myself am worried about the early game. Remember, peterbot had put on socials, hey, this is going to be like Boxy V2 this season. Do we remember kind of what happened last time we were in an FNCS online? peterbot literally landed on somebody else in the last final 2 games to go ahead and win that FNCS by 3 points. If it's close again, man, the early game, it could be shaken up a lot. peterbot proven he's down to do it. I don't know if he's going to do it this weekend, but he's willing.
Oh, man, anything can happen. We have 12 games total, 6 today, 6 tomorrow. It is that time. Major 1 finals are kicking off, so casters,
I don't know what the expected time for this is.
Monster, I don't think I've ever been more excited for an FNCS in my life. The storylines coming into this major are almost impeccable. We have so many teams that can actually pull out that first place.
Yeah, that's right, and the tension is starting to heat up. You know, competition on EU has always been known to be phenomenal, but there's something about the aura on NA that the entertainment is literally peak, and of course it comes down to the rivalries and the bar peterbot has set for the entire region. But now, again, for others, it's about that legacy, right, Jacob? We want to see who, of course, is going to be the first Major 1 champ.
Yeah, will we see somebody return to their former glory with another FNCS for their accolades? Maybe a first-timer like Clicks and Higgs could win, or maybe, Monster, maybe in a dream world here, one of our first-time finalists can end up with an FNCS champion. Either way, there's still more than that up for grabs because there's 13 spots for the Major 1 Summit LAN. And yes, you guys heard that right. The battle bus is ready. Let's get into the Major 1 finals.
Oh, let's go. Game 1 of Major 1 finals.
This will be the most intense Major 1 that we have ever had in the history of Fortnite, because 13 teams will be going to a LAN event to try to fight their way for a global championship spot. And not only that, we of course have legacy on the line. And what better region than NA to really be the cherry on top?
Yeah, I even got the history we're breaking down with Acorn in Major 1s. For some reason, the top of the season is the one for him. Peterbot and Polio, not too different. I know we know them to land at Squibbly Shores, but they make a short pit stop here at the gas station. They get the instant slurp truck, so that way they can utilize shields later on in the game. Clicks and Higgs, no surprise contested fights for them. And honestly, there were a few teams for both Squibbly and Wonky Land that were kind of teasing. Maybe we drop over here. Maybe we contest. They have landed here through the play-ins and heats, so wouldn't be crazy, but it's glad to see our 2 top teams here uncontested.
Clicks and Higgs have quite literally gone through a Ferris wheel of emotions just to get their draw spot confirmed to themselves. For others, not so much of the same story here for Avenger and Sniper Dude. You can see they get a little bit of a contested drop, landing investing Drew here, and Chris, who we've seen have a fair amount of success coming out of the heats as they were one of the consistent mid-game teams. But give that a second. Let's jump in with Ulk and Electro here. This is a pretty interesting fight at the Battlewood.
Yeah, and it was actually a huge moment for Electro at least, qualifying through the last chance qualifier just to get here, an amazing clutch. And I know we all see the vending machine plays, but the fashion in which Electro was able to clutch it out, but it never gets easier, does it, Monster? Contested side south of Battlewood Boulevard. Luckily for them, they're not necessarily fighting it out for the eliminations. They're just simply trying to get loot, maybe some extra surge before they continue on with the rest of the game. But not all fights do end up that way. Skittler does get an early game elim onto G Money, which kind of brings it down to a 1v1 on that side of the map.
We'll play for Skittles to go and clutch that one up and at least keep himself in the game here. Curve and, of course, Veno, though, eyes are on them to the north side of the Battlewood Boulevard. So already the story's unfolding. The drop maps teaser is true. There's roughly 3 teams in this area. Now, Battlewood Boulevard, if you have the northern side, is big enough for the 2. However, we will see most
I don't know
likely
exactly
different
all the
clashes go down
teams,
there. So we'll
but-
see how Veno and Kirk kind of hold it down for Mako and Blinks. This is one of the more scary parts of the map, right? We've seen a
I know
lot of
Mako
lurk
and
plays
Blinks
in the
are
heats
playing.
here, so everyone's got to be careful.
Yep, they get that unstable molecule underneath, which kind of unlocks that rare chest there. Seeing it's going to get a little bit of a boost to his
Unstable
loadout, being
molecule.
able to trade that twin mag SMG
And
for
a
that assault
central
rifle.
game 1 out
Kind
of
of give them a little bit
12.
more to work with. Blank Mako was a team that qualified with a VR out of heats. They went through a little bit of drop spot roulette before they made it here in the finals, but at least they're
Drop
able to make it
spot
off spawn.
roulette.
Agers and Ritual, a lot of our early game here monster is kind of business as usual for Agers and Ritual, uncontested
Agers and
over
Ritual
towards Sandy
are a
Strip.
good
And the
team, I
thing is
think.
about them is typically they would use that blob, launch themselves off to try to third party somebody. A lot of the surrounding lands for Agers and Ritual
Bucky
in
and
this game, number
Zen.
one, are going to be uncontested as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they get their surge.
Yeah, they'll likely have a really difficult time come the mid game, but we'll see what they have sort of strategized to make up for that. And it's kind of interesting because everyone who's broken down their drop, looked at things from a high level, they all recognize that there could be a major problem with capturing damage. So surely they have a strategy and plan, as do Zen and Bucky here. You can see not too far off from them, right?
Zen.
Trying to play this high ground, but you talk about how desolate the general area is. There's no one relatively inside. Jump back with
Avenger
Avenger and
goes for
Sniper, though.
it.
They're trying to finish up the fight here. We saw that they took down Drew. Now it's up to Chris to try and survive the test of time, but it's not looking too hot here.
Yeah, Chris is going to do a good job here of stalling this one out, drawing time, but the more time
Yeah.
it takes, the more resource you kind of burn through here, especially with both players just trying to spray their way into the box, getting you to use your material. Chris is still doing a good job of just all this time that he's wasting here for Avenger and Sniper, because even if they do win this fight, you got to start to calculate how much damage Chris was able to fire back, where that was
Yeah,
Storm Surge,
that's
all the
good.
materials and resource that he did get him to wait. You know he's still not going to go down without a fight, but unfortunately,
True.
no resource, no teammate, no chance to get back into this game.
You put a lot of counter damage back on both sides. I'd be surprised if they come out overly positive there on the net surge damage. Blake and Preston on the other side here, also in a bit of a scramble. Minish and Hobby seem to get away with the advantageous exchange there. And they're going to be content with that, with a quick disengage as opposed to fighting for the full finish. Meanwhile, Olsen and Scare see a little
Yeah.
bit of that happening there in the distance. Back into the storm we go, though,
Raven's
Jacob.
going.
We have Raven and Riley in a fight right now.
Yeah, it's Raven and Riley here were a good
Yeah,
surprise, a
Raven's
pleasant
gotta-
surprise making the grand finals. It wasn't necessarily through a VR, but it's how consistent they were
He goes
in
for
a
the wall
tournament
take. That's crazy.
in heats. See if they can keep it up here. It does look like they're doing a good job fighting against Dozier and Ishu, who have been consistently getting better week after week. They placed in the top of some
Yeah,
of these
great.
tournaments, not necessarily
Honestly,
first,
all
but
these
shows
teams
that they
are
do
good
have the
contenders
blueprint.
for
So for
FNCS.
CZ and Raven to be able to
For a
fight the way
win,
that they are and
honestly,
putting up
but
a good fight, kind
most
of
of
forcing
them, I'm pretty
Dozier
sure
and Ishu
all
to
of-
struggle just a
almost
little bit.
all
Is a
of them,
good sign
most
of
of
things to
them
come for a
have
team that is this
FNCS
young, but
wins.
you can kind of see a lot of what they have
At
in the
least
inventories
one.
from both teams' perspective. And for Raven and CDZ, they're officially on a clock here. Yes, they have gold. They could go south to the vending machine, but in terms of being in this fight, they don't have a lot of time.
Peterbot has 10
Yeah,
FNCS
two of the
wins.
31 players
Crazy.
making their first FNCS Grand Finals appearance here today. And CDZ and Raven actually opt to disengage here. Very smart play by them not to kind of do it here in the storm like you talked about. That clock, that timer is on. The damage does tend to rack up. We'll end up
Yeah,
catching
you're
back up
right.
with them. Back on over to Taki and Seek, though.
And
This is
Seek's
a-
low.
Of course, a very much experienced team when it comes to these finals set lobbies. And I think Kelly said it best at the top of the show. You know, it's been a few weeks, it feels like, since we had a real kind of representative set lobby of this caliber. So
Overtake.
obviously
Seek's
leave it to
going.
grand finals to
They're
give us
going up.
a real look at some top tier competition so far. You see a lot of disengages, Jacob. Players are treating this like a finals as we would normally expect. And the player count is
How do you
showing
expect
at
them to treat
84
it? It
still
is a
standing here now.
finals.
Yeah, that just means that Storm Surge is really going to play an impact here in the early portions of the game. And obviously, depending on where the zone actually pulls, a lot of that control is going to kind of escape your hands if you're not proactive in getting Storm Surge. But Visual and Braids not too far away from their actual drop spot, kind of center map, so they can kind of bide for their time, wait for teams to rotate in. But
Acorn
Acorn and
and
Bolts,
Bolts.
instead of waiting at the top of their mountain like we typically do see, whether if it's a Div Cup, Eval, or just in
I didn't
scrims,
think,
they made it a priority in this
Acorn
game to
would
rotate
be
off the top of that mountain
in a
and get as
bush.
close to the center of the zone as possible. Just going to show Acorn plenty of tricks underneath his sleeve. This is going to be one hard team to read.
Yeah, and already Acorn kind of playing a bit of a split drop here just to get that continued kind of landscape coverage here. Now popping shots from the bush, trying to see if he can tend someone to over peek, maybe fire back and open up some exchanges there. Here we have Muzz and Sphinx. Same scenario, different setting though. Muzz up top, Sphinx down at the bottom, replenishing material here.
Yeah,
It's gonna be
he's
tough
almost
for teams
max
like
max.
this. Sphinx and Muzz, Aviv and King, kind of two different smaller surge bases over at Sus Studios. When
Slight
teams see that
fixes.
in the distance, they're gonna try to stray away from rotating in that direction. So yes, they might not necessarily get keyed by any teams that might be low on
Weird.
surge, but getting those tags is going to be infinitely harder the more they're positioned up. But for Curve and Veno, already having that one elimination kind of eases the pressure up
Come on,
for
Veno.
their early game. You know, Veno's the one that kind of lurks around, replenishes the loadout, the materials. So there's a lot in trust in Curve here.
Cooper?
Not only just today, but throughout 12 games to really build them that cushion for the early game surge. That way they can rotate as they
Cooper's
want
on
as the
it.
game goes on.
Seen enough footage of Veto to know that when he
Cooper's
says it's time to
honestly
go,
a
you better
really,
listen or he's going to crash out.
decent-
So we'll
a
see
really
if Curve can
decent
keep up because
tournament,
now it's finals
honestly.
time and this is
He's
where the
won, I think,
pressure
over
does start to
fi-
set in for
4
some of our
FNCSs,
younger
I think.
competitors. Remember, we've been touting this whole conversation around this is the time for the new age. So we'll see who from the new guard is going to be up at the top of the standings when it's all said and done after
Cold
the 12
and
games this
rapid.
weekend. Cold, someone who is most notable for just showing up and putting in the work regardless what
Cold
you might
was
think of his
in,
practice
Peter
regime
Rush trio
offline.
and Flix's
When it comes to
trio at
finals
a
time, he does
point.
not play.
I just think of Cold in that step. Practice? You talking about practice? Like, what is that? Like, he just gets on, plays the game, gets right off. And honestly, I could just see him winning this FNCS, logging right off.
Thing about
Going to have a
Cold
good
is
rest of his
he
Sunday.
only-
has to
he
earn it,
doesn't really,
12
like,
games here. And
talk
you notice
in
one
real
thing
life
in his
to his
inventory.
duos,
They
or
were able
trio,
to get the
honestly.
mythic Chaos Reloader
Like you just
shotgun.
said,
Once you
he
get that
plays the
boss,
game
it's not
and
even
then
a
gets
guaranteed
off.
chance. It's like a 33% chance. So already in
Very
game one,
huge
the odds
relationship.
are in their favor. And a weapon like that in the hands of Cold is just screaming, get out of my way.
This is a fun quick stat here. 78 players trying to qualify for their first land. We
Going
talked
for
about
Cooper's
how there's
teammate.
31 players making it to their first finals, but 78 of the total lobby has never
Muzz and
sat
Sphinx
on
are
stage in a
right
land
behind
environment, not when it comes down to the majors. That's a very interesting take here.
Peter and
Just
Polo.
shows you how much more there
Polo.
is to be desired for some here, and that has to
They're
reflect
going for
in the hunger
Gila.
and the
Golden
preparation,
move.
of course, coming in. Peter Boy, what
It's
do you
a
think about
1-2.
this? Playing the Storm right now.
I don't think it's not necessarily anything too different. They have
Kind
the
of
squiggly shores.
weird
There's a lot of
for them,
extra
'cause
heals.
they're
Yes, they're
one
in the
of
zone
the
now. They got
best
the mini
teams,
machine below them,
honestly.
uncontested drop. You gotta imagine the gold that they have in their inventory. And if things do get worse, they can
They're
jump back
right
to
out
the
of
squiggly
zone,
shores. There is
too.
a lot of extra heals over there. Plus, they do have the rift, his power. Penta, another one of the teams that kind of necessarily didn't know where they were going to drop. to start the
121
day,
above
going over towards the
Storm
south
Surge.
side of the map, already getting that first elimination, and it kind of helps their Storm Surge totals overall. 500 monster and 37 damage above the threshold, and with the zone
Crazy.
looking like it's kind of pulling towards the south side of the map,
They're doing a
they
good
don't really have to
job,
worry about much
honestly.
other than a max pull.
One thing you will notice is that eliminations are, of course,
Going,
rewarding more
dang.
points. So when you see players like Penta here racking up these elims, they are, of course, rewarded for taking the fight and taking on the risk of taking a battle in a finals. 4 points is nothing to overlook. Can definitely jump you up a significant amount on the standings as you start to, catch these early game eliminations. If you can catch your footing and find placement later into the tournament.
Wagers is
Jumping
so
into the
far.
Storm, though, here we have Highlands Wagers looking like he is teamless.
I don't know what he's doing, bro. He's
I was about to say, below the damage threshold as
He's
well. So
very
even though he is going to be barely 22 above the damage threshold, you got to imagine what other teams are going through in the same position. You can see CDZ Raven, 257 below, trying to take the attack onto Muss and the Liquid. Keep pushing them back. They're going to be above the damage threshold, a little bit more control over their game, but they're just getting
112
pushed. They really
above.
have no choice over the matter. And for CDZ and Raven, they're officially on a clock here.
285
Storm Surge
below.
hasn't activated yet, but once it does, every 7 seconds, 25 damage to either shield or HP, and it's going to hurt mid-fight.
Well, I can say this, they're doing the right thing. They're taking the fight early before it actually turns on. You know, we've seen a lot of players, when they make
Storm
their way to
Surge.
finals, they hesitate a little too long
190
in trying
below,
to
there
fish
he
for
goes.
fights, but at least this team here started it sooner rather than later. But not finding that damage
Yep.
on time. You can see already the Surge starting to do exactly what it's supposed to. Meanwhile, Raven misses a very important shot.
Very well literally be a game-changing shot.
Oh, no.
Right back in for seconds, but he eats just a little bit too much
115
damage.
below.
Storm Surge ticks again.
Storm Surge
And
is
instead of
absolutely
going down,
taking
if you
them
guys
out,
get
dude.
ticked by Storm Surge, you get actually eliminated. That puts so much more pressure onto CDZ here because he has to worry about over 200 damage, maybe getting his teammate back, and then resources on top of that while still rotating to the zone.
326
It's not gonna be in a
below.
great position here to try and out
Holy.
heal it. You see 79 players still left alive, so even if he survives this one, he's going to be below in the next zone as well.
Yeah, you saw there in the side-by-side, Osid finishing up Blake and Preston as well during that Surge exchange. So a lot happening here faster
This is
and we
hurting
can
them
even watch
bad.
everything unfold. For
He needs
CDZ,
to
though,
go-
pressure is on. I
He
do
needs
find
to
it
go
interesting that they
get a
went
kill
for
or
leaving
elimination.
Raven behind the fight and then CDZ trying
He
to play
can get
for a
at
position in the
least
zone, but look at that.
elimination.
Even now, not
Would
going
be
to play off
30,
your
like
threat to
35.
of course, has found
below,
himself
which
here in
is
the
way
finals
better
now.
than-
Finds a nice
This
elimination
team's
there,
doing
and they're
crazy
above
at
the surge, so extra
280,
damage, giving them that little
3
bit more
above,
cushion
and
here,
then
Jacob. It's going to make the best of this
117
game.
above.
Yeah, and already I'm seeing another
Veer.
mythic Iron Pump shotgun, and already Fortnite's saying, hey, we're going to give everybody as good a chance to get the best loadout as possible. Alongo and Lulu trying to make it in from outside of the zone. One of them gets cut short. 171 above the damage threshold. Lulu's only worry is just trying to survive, but I said that maybe
Yeah.
a little bit too soon. 16 below. Trying to say a prayer here to try to survive because they're
35
right next
above.
to another team with a rotation to go.
16
And you can see in the
below
mini
is
map that
not
side of the zone is looking more and more
Pretty
stacked with
bad,
each
but at
passing
least
second.
they're not as bad as
It's
most others.
definitely starting to stack up here. But Lulu under the surge, just barely, only needs to find a tag. Already starting to gas out of heals though. Trying to wait this one out. There it is. At least things pause here while the
absolutely
rotates
take-
happen, but
He's taking
great shot there,
massive
puts him
damage.
at least in the game
One
for
more
now.
storm. Oh, there
4
he
tags
goes.
from
Lose
behind, and the
out.
surge just finishes the job there. We'll see who ends up getting rewarded with the points, but no, look at this. Even in problem, we're actually under the surge there too, so a lot happening all at once here. But hey, if you thought we forgot about the big names, give it a second
Oh,
here.
dang.
Boyo showing us that he
Where's
is in this
going?
game, and they were also almost under the surge, really showing you
Mako.
that these FNCS finals lobbies is no joke.
Yeah, it's a whole different playing field. And I've always said it, when you play opens, when you play eval opens or any of the qualifying
Exactly.
rounds, it's a little bit of a different field. You see teams kind of WQ
Dang.
around, drop 20, 30 elimination games. When you end up in a set lobby with the best of the
Clicks
best in
and
the
Higgs.
entire region, it's
You
much
haven't
harder to
expected
get that
them
much
since
freedom
the
to run
start,
around. That's where you're seeing
game
a
one.
few more struggles than you normally would in some of our earlier rounds. No struggles here, though, looking like so far from Clicks and Higgs. Over 200 above the damage threshold. Multiple slices of
210
pizza.
above,
They have
that's
the
really
fizz, they
good.
have the shockwaves as well. 6 zones, so rather early to say this team's going to go for
W.
high ground, but so far in a lot of our tournaments and in some of those scrim games, they are the team that goes for it almost every single time.
Still see Peterbot, Boyo, Cold, Rapid, Reek, Cooper, Muzz, Finks, Acorn, Bolts. A lot of big dogs
Yeah.
left in the game right now. Cooper, Reek, 5 below here. So
Especially
everything,
the
of course, coming to a
rivalry
close here for some
between
Agers and
Clicks
Ritual
and
fighting for
Peterbot
their
is
tournament
crazy.
life right now. 31 below, possibly going to find themselves in a surge here. And in the storm, and Seek is just holding on to dear life here, grabbing that wall. Agers, Ritual have had enough, though. Into the box they go. They make sure they finish things up. On the other side, you see Cooper, Reed, of course, finding the few tags that they need to stay very much safe and alive here now. And love how this is all playing out, but the rotates have to come through.
Agers
Agers
with the
Ritual go for the
shockwave
big
play.
bounce. And they're in.
There's a lot
Yeah,
of
you just
people
gotta be
left
careful
still.
rotating up mountains like this with those shockwaves. Yes, it's gonna be
Look
the
for
easiest
Clicks,
chance
I
you
don't
can
know
to get
if
up the
it's
map.
Rapid,
You see players flying by, but it also leaves you
Rapid's
open to
alive
getting
still.
beamed. Depending where you're at in the Storm Surge leaderboard, might not
Zen.
necessarily be a good
Zen goes out to
Kind
Higgs.
of see Rezi going down, Light falling,
It's
Higgs is able to
crazy.
get an elimination
Zen's a
onto
really
Zen
good
as well.
player.
So rotating is never easy for anyone. That's why it's important. That's why you see Cold and Rapid making the rotation early. That allows them to
Clicks
look
and
back
Higgs
at the
are
side of
still
the zone
both
and kinda
alive.
pad had that cushion when
Oh.
it comes to Storm Surge.
Curve
Flicks
eliminates
got the knock and
Cooper.
Higgs with the finish right there. So that's a real interesting pickup. But look at this. Cooper lost on the
Hold.
rotate here. Reed and Cooper have to play hyper aggressive. They are continuing to flirt with that line, and now it's all come to catch up.
He's
Cooper no longer in the game
pressuring-
here.
he's
It's all up to Reed. This is a few shots that
pressuring-
finds a couple onto bolts. All right, this is going to keep him closer and closer
Come
to
on.
being safe, but he is still not safe just yet.
He's pressuring Curve.
I'm curious why he's not just firing blindly at different boxes
No.
right now. He needs to get some kind of
You
damage
need,
in.
you need, you're 117 above. That's
But
good.
for him, I do believe somebody else took damage. He lands another shot. He's waiting for the last possible moment to get off of this high
Siphon.
ground. One shock left,
Not
only
bad,
5
yeah.
builds. The Siphon comes through just like you
Ooh.
said in time. He definitely would have been down and eliminated, just a sliver of
Ooh.
HP left. Trying to break
Oh.
through the wall, find a path, but he gets found out first. That's Curve who actually
Agers
gets that
with 10
elimination, but you're
points.
seeing the struggles the entire lobby is going through. Now Agers left with 44 HP as a solo. Acorn down in the distance. I was waiting for the moment almost
Clicks and
every
Higgs
single
are on
time.
height.
You got Clicks and Higgs on high ground.
Flicks Higgs playing for high ground, overdrive shocks to go ahead and secure
There
the
goes
next
Higgs.
positioning over. And of course, you got to start
Straight to the
pressuring
zone.
those second layer teams here. A lot of ammunition
Great.
in Clicks' loadout. Take a look though.
Peter
Boyo,
and
Peterbot
Polo.
continuing to do what they do
Takes
best.
out-
and they actually
Polo
find
takes out
on
Acorn.
the rotate right there. Another favorite down here. But of course, it is not over.
What?
Yet. You'll see Bolt standing. I see Rapid there in the
Oh, yeah, I
distance,
gotta
too.
grab
Let's see
them.
what Bolt can do by himself. Of course, playing for a machine there, trying to get some extra heals to buy himself some time. And this, Jacob, is where all the big positioning points, of course, start to add up. So I don't hate that play at all.
Now, it's sometimes the necessary evil in a game like this, but he's given himself a second opportunity in this game. And we've already seen in the qualifying rounds him slip into a victory royale as a solo. This is another big moment and chance to do that. Peterbot Poyo jumping to the front side of zone, not ready to contest the high ground just yet. You can see that Clicks and Higgs have that one locked down, taking turns, shockwave into the front, reclaiming high ground, so that way they can try to save as many materials as possible. You can see nobody's really even getting a chance to look up.
And they're doing it perfect. I love this shockwave to shockwave positioning, repositioning.
at Higgs
there.
on
Like you said,
major
saving
height.
material. This is not something we saw any other team employ in the heats. Most teams, of course, opted to
and
just do the
Higgs
traditional
with 32
tarping across.
points.
But Clicks and Higgs
Polo-
using that very critical
Peterbot and
movement
Polo with
mobility here early
44
to
points.
just conserve some mats. You gotta love it. And already it's paying off. But look at
3
this. Peterbot and
points.
Boyo on the bottom right have not stopped their just reign of terror on the low and mid.
Everybody's dying, bro.
Sphinx find their very important siphon as well to stay in the game. Sphinx gets the mats there too. Finally though, Peterbot goes for
2
high
more
ground,
storms.
and it's coming to a
Rotate
crash.
circles.
Yeah,
to
tries
go.
to chop them down, but Clicks Higgs quickly get wind of that, try to attach themselves, and now they're shockwaving
Clicks
over.
takes
They said, if you
massive
want high
storms.
ground, come take high ground, and now they're beaming
That's
up from above.
crazy.
The Thunderburst just
Oh, there
melting
goes
through those materials, but
Peterbot
Peterbot Poyo, they
trying
go
to
up
take
yet
the high
again.
ground.
Distractions allowing for
Going
Poyo to do
straight on
this,
Clicks
attacking
from
the side,
Peterbot.
but he's realizing without build, he cannot continue
Ritual's
to put down
alive
that
still.
pressure. Peterbot feels it as well, but
Clicks
he
and
goes
Higgs
down to
with
a
the
beam,
comeback,
an attack that's going sideways. Peterbot needs to be able to clutch up with an elimination on the cold. That might be step one.
This is what Boyo's been doing all week long. You know, it's so incredible to see Boyo continue to
Muzz
clutch
is-
from the heats now into the finals where it
Sphinx.
matters most.
Muzz
Clicks is
and
going to go
Sphinx
down,
are
and it's
still
all
alive.
up to Higgs on the high ground. So we got solo
Oh,
Boyo down low, playing
Boyo
the
goes
disruptor.
down.
He goes down, and just like that, it's only up to Higgs up top. Still, though, Muzz Sphinx in the game here. Higgs
Clicks
still
goes
has a
down
bit of
too.
control, but no more materials. So
Higgs is
it's just
low.
a countdown now to see how long
He's
he can
got
survive.
hero
Yeah, Higgs
heals.
did a good amount
Barely
of damage
any
on the
pistol
Muzz,
ammo.
making him kind of second guess
Oh.
that for us. And they go
There goes
back to
Higgs
it though.
down.
Yes, it
Good
is.
placement,
They
honestly,
realized it was
though.
a 2v1 against Higgs and immediately beeline their way towards that high ground. Aviv, he's going to be the only solo left in this game. He lands a big shot trying to disrupt the path of that duo down below. That's ruined.
They're
As
getting
he goes
fourth
down,
place.
Visuals of Braid still alive. 3 teams left in
That's
one of the most
actually
chaotic
honestly
starts
good.
to a tournament.
Gifted with a random med kit there. Still have a pizza in the loadout. They do have a win condition opened up. Muzz and Sphinx, we didn't see any white heals on them. So this is going to be an all-out filthy clash on the low ground. Braids and Visual still in the mix here as well. This is a team that has, you know, again, no strangers to victory royales in these set lobby settings. But look at this. High ground's got a bit of a disruptor coming up. Sinwatch says, you know what? I'm going to go for height instead of low ground. But as he comes down, Visuals, Braids gets gifted with a little bit of a refresh. That might be
Muzz is
just
up.
enough mass that they needed there to stay in the game.
Yeah, Ruins and his duo
Muzz and
going up
Sphinx
almost
are high
solidified
now.
the victory for Braids and Visuals down below. A good amount of damage on a Muzz and Sphinx, giving a huge advantage to Visuals and Braids. They even have the med kit down below. A possible heal-off win condition in the books for Visuals, but it's really going to be up to Muzz and Sphinx how they play this situation. Visuals, Braids, they're going up. They don't want to win by heal-off. They want to win it by force. Even trying to chop down the high ground, but we're going over recycled builds, so it's not going to be that easy. But Muzz goes down first. It's only a simple knock by himself.
Final circle is final. Sphinx and Storm going to the vending machine.
Oh my gosh, how much gold does he have? Because that is going to be the difference for another pay-to-win scenario in FNCS Finals.
And although the med kit came out from Braids and Muzz's body was there, I don't think he saw where Muzz was actually fully landed in the end, though.
Braids
had just enough gas in the tank there, Jacob, to go ahead and take that dub.
Yeah, just
absolutely
the difference
crazy.
maker right there from actually using the patch up and maybe getting some med kits out of it. But Visuals and Braids win game number 1 and start FNCS on fire, Zeke.
Oh man, Jacob PR, I thought for a moment we were having another pay to win. This is a joke situation. Whoa, Visual and Braids come out with the win. To think in that situation, obviously like they don't know, but if they were to go back and say like, oh, they were on that vending machine, they just ran out of gas, they didn't have the gold, and now it's enough to get a victory royale in game number 1. That's huge, Kelly. That's the kind of momentum we need.
And Visuals and Braids, this isn't necessarily new for them. It's a duo that we kind of frequently look over when we have so many big names in our NA region. But Visuals and Braids are consistently making it into the FNCS Grand Finals and consistently performing pretty well with it.
Yeah, I mean, they ended last year with a couple of 4th places in Major 2 and Major 3, so placed very, very well last year. But I gotta tell you, that game from them was played so well the entirety throughout, right? Whenever we were kind of looking at the whole lobby in that zone, kind of making their rotates, you know, people going crazy for high ground, Visual and Braids, they were just that duo that kept being in the exact same spot no matter how the zone was moving. They were on that front side of the moving zone, all the way on low ground. They completely dominated that position, and yeah, as all of the chaos kind of unfolded, they just kept it rolling, right? They were healthy, and when there was only a couple of duos left in their way towards the end of the game, they just kind of clutched up and got the elims. But Storm sickness plays a part here early in FNCS Grands. Braids was actually going to go ahead and lose this heal up when we had that, you know, both the POVs that were actually up. I think Sphinx was actually like 10 HP
One more,
ahead,
he would have been dead.
But one tick of Storm sickness actually came in and took Sphinx out. So Braids and Visuals got the clutch there. First win of FNCS Grands.
That's the way we want to start, right? This is awesome, and we are excited to break down more of that game. First, a quick break. When we return, we'll talk about more of what we saw out of game number 1. So stay tuned.
I think that was coming game 2. I think that was honestly 4th place for Clicks and Higs. Good placement.
Watch me
FNCS Major 1 Summit. Zen. There it goes. Easy. Oh. Is that Muzz? No. Still picture again.
Well, sick build? No. Wait, if you are mid, wait. 100? 100? Oh my god, look, look.
Oh my god, that was close.
And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk?
The milk. What the heck?
Stay there.
Welcome back to the FNCS game number 1. I can't believe it, finals. Here we are, in case you missed
Crazy.
it. Visual and Braids pick up a victory royale against Muzz and Sphinx. It was close, came down to the wire, but ultimately Visual and Braids win out. As we prepare ourselves to kind of take a look at the leaderboard, game number 1 of finals was chaotic.
Am I
feel like we
doing
got
the
a
same
little
thing
bit of
tomorrow?
everything,
Yes,
right,
I
Kelly
will
and
be
Viv? I mean,
watching
we
the
got
other
high
6
ground, we
games
got Clicks
tomorrow.
versus
See if-
peterbot, we got soaring through the air with overdrives. We got it all.
I mean, if you actually rewatch our show open, we actually showed high ground with Clicks and Higgs going up against Peterbot and Pollo, and it was very reflective of what we just saw at the
Higgs,
end of game 1. This is clearly a strategy that not only Clicks and Higgs had in mind, but Peterbot and Pollo as well. They kind of read Clicks and Higgs, knowing that they're going to take height early, and you saw that when they kind of went for height, Vivid, they didn't necessarily go for height. Instead, it looked like they were going for Clicks and Higgs.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. At one moment, it kind of looked like they could have just kind of like walked up, but they were going instead for the fight, like you mentioned. And this was kind of crazy. Like watching these two duos kind of go head to head for the high ground. It looked like you would try some of this stuff in like a scrim game as opposed to like an FNCS grand finals lobby for game number 1. Like they just kept going up and up and up and trying again and again and again. And you know, listen, I had a little like a shower thought, I guess you could kind of call
Pollo
it,
got
after
Clicks
watching
there.
EU Grands and how kind of successful some of the teams were by not playing for high ground.
And
And my immediate
Sphinx
thought was
goes
like,
for
man, I kind of
Pollo.
hope that Peterbot and Pollo are kind of like the team on NA that we see just not go for high ground and kind of concede it. Because if you take a look at the position that they were at in game number 1 before they went for high ground, they were so healthy. They could have just kept going with the flow, you know, playing their mid-ground layer. They had 6 eliminations. They were fine. And instead, you kind of get the situation where they go for height, they take the 2v2, and both Clicks and Higgs and Peterbot and Pollo kind of, as the dust settled, neither one of them were in a good spot.
Ooh.
Just terrifying visuals there from the high ground. But I mean, you know, Viv, I'm here for it. I'm here to see these two duos go head to head. That's what I'm here for, man. Excitement. Also, I have to highlight there as well. I mean, Muzz and Sphinx ending that and almost winning it out, right? Storm Sickness kind of being the decision maker there. Love seeing this strong start. There we go. Out of Muzz and Sphinx. This is how I'm excited to talk about Muzz. Can you tell?
I can
But
tell.
excited to see them.
I mean, who doesn't stutter when we talk about Muzz? I mean, there's a reason why he's our international player.
Go!
But Muzz and Sphinx, once they had the high ground, it looked like it was going to be their game. But honestly, I think it's less of what they did incorrectly and more of the fact that we had Braids on
Crazy.
the low ground getting some eliminations
Honestly,
from
I
that
think-
other team down below, obviously getting
Uh,
shocked by
Braids,
Storm
we
is not
haven't
gonna be
seen
the
much
position
of
that
him
he wants
yet,
to be in for
but
Muzz. But
he
Sphinx
could
here,
be
you can see the
strong
electricity beating
contender
that he is
for
going to be taking
winning.
that storm damage or storm
FNCS.
sickness.
Honestly,
and
I'm still
unfortunately, that
voting
was
for
gonna be
Clicks
the
and Higgs,
difference
though.
maker for that victory royale.
Yeah, that overdrive grenade might have been the actual difference maker there, right? If Muzz was actually in a position to go ahead and stop some of that heal off from Visuals and Braids, could have, you know, helped Sphinx kind of clutch
Clicks and
that
Higgs
one up.
had
But hey,
52.
first game of Grands, a little bit of jitters,
Yeah,
would not
placement
be
points.
surprised. Taking a look
Um,
at the leaderboard
Clicks
here,
and
though,
Higgs,
our top 10 kind of what we
44
expected, right?
placement.
Cold and Rapid find themselves in 6th place right there. Didn't really see too many
Yes.
like highlights from them, but obviously made it into the end game, you know, far enough
Oh.
to still be placed up pretty high.
Cold and Rapid sticking to the low ground, as we know that they love to do. But as you were saying, not necessarily the game that they probably wanted from game number 1, but still getting things warmed up right now. We do kind of expect a little bit more aggression coming out from them. But I think everyone was kind of just trying to feel out how the low ground was being played right there, because there was a lot of chaos going on. And Cold, you know, he did what he could, and still, as a solo player, of course, he's getting elim and refreshes, but eventually that was going to stop, and still in the top 10 right now. Still, you know, game 1, Vivid, there's still so many more games. Zeke, you're freaking out right now. What's wrong?
Zeke, that moment, man. That's one of those moments where Cold was probably like, yo, Rapid, what happened? He was like, dude, just don't.
Just don't.
Just don't.
No, just don't. Listen, everything's fine, right? That was just the first game out of 12, right? We have 5 more today to kind of cement ourselves and prepare ourselves for day number 2. So for now, we take a step back, we chill, right? But why don't we go get some more action? Why don't we go over to the casters for game number 2?
Yeah, we definitely want more action all over this. Game 1 proved to be exciting already. Cliques and Higgs on the high ground. I didn't think too many teams would contest them until peterbot and Poyo did it not once, not twice, but it looks like 3 times in a single endgame.
Yeah, and they definitely were trying to go for the fight, trying to secure eliminations as opposed to just building over them and kind of keying up, locking up the positioning. No, they wanted to contest anyone who was willing to go for a victory royale in that game. You got to appreciate that. One thing I did notice about Cliques and Higgs is early game was that they seemed to be very well off on Surge in comparison to a lot of the other top teams we tuned in with. Now, this could be due to zone factors. It could be due to other things. We'll see, though, Jacob. They can keep it up.
Yeah, we saw a little bit from peterbot and Poyo, a little bit from Agers and Ritual, that the Surge plan may not have been going according to usual. But game 2 is here. Plenty of time to change it up, so let's jump into it.
Major 1 finals game 2.
With game 2 now to be written, once again, I continue to bring our focus on top 13, that land qualification being the most important part of this entire thing. Obviously, winning a championship is fantastic. However, continue to keep pace, playing as well as we saw some of our favorites do, is exactly what we want as we start leading our way towards Germany.
Seeing if anything kind of switches up too much here. This is one of those spots we saw was going to be possibly double contested, triple contested, but this is the thing, when FNCS does roll around, those drops only mean so much because, hey, you might have a little bit of an inkling, you might want to drop somewhere else, maybe you play roulette to try to keep teams surprised just a little bit. G-Money Magma got a whole range of space uncontested. Down low towards the south is going to be another team, and right towards the north at Dark Dominion is going to be Cold and Rapid. So even though they have space in this early game monster, it doesn't mean it's always going to stay that way.
Yeah, I saw the feed. Really curious about what happened there with Paper. Maybe we can get a highlight from the House of Sales or something like that, but we'll catch up. A lot of ball damage happening all weekend long. We've just kind of seen it go time and time again. But G-Monster Magma, you can see splitting loot across one another as well, throwing heals, etc. Now we jump in with 7 names and tags here.
Is out
sitting above the fight that's about to go down with Noisy and his duo down low. And then you have this lurking team here to the north in the Aviv.
Success Studios, Aviv doesn't usually travel too far away from his drop spot. Almost everything you need, from brick, metal, wood, and even a mending machine. But for Naves and Teeks kind of landing in the open, split drop. Got to make sure not to get pushed. Teeks looking like he was almost getting approached there for a moment, and this is kind of an interesting decision for Teeks and Naves in this split area because they don't really have a lot of extra heals. They don't have a ton of materials, and now they have to go elsewhere, but you can see how contested the surrounding land it actually is. This one is not going to be an easy early game for Teeks and his duo.
Things are going to settle out there. A little bit positive damage, though. That's all you can really hope for. Meanwhile, back to Irvin Vena, as we know, they take the north side of the boulevard. Then you have the Sanctuary having a full-on fight. As we jump in, it ends. Void, Zifta there, finish this one up pretty quickly. They have attracted a couple other duos here to the sounds of the battle, but not near close enough to go ahead and jump in and add any influence. So nice little 8-point swing here for Voids and Zifta.
Yeah.
Counting right now, around 12 teams, Monster, just land on that bottom right quadrant of the map. Basically from the east side of Battlewood to around the north side of the new sanctuary, and that's over 10% of the actual lobby, maybe even close to 20. So you can see how stacked that edge of the zone actually is, what makes it hard to rotate into the north like you actually see it kind of shifting the zone, forcing everybody towards the top side of the map. Chance and Tyler, they went ahead and left their contested drop early on, maybe getting some loot just to get what they're missing in their loadout. It's kind of a necessary evil when you're going ahead and triple contesting the south side of Battlewood Boulevard.
Back on over to peterbot. Boyo
Peterbot's
here.
got a decent
Scooping
loadout,
the shores
honestly.
all to themselves. Not a soul in sight either. Just look at that map. No one looking to come close to their
135
territory
builds.
right now.
Oh, it's max.
Last game though,
Polo
Boyo
with only
continuing
34
to just
builds.
keep that tension on the rest of the lobby. We've seen him, for whatever reason or another, really shine in the heats, and now shining to start things off here for the game one, the grand finals. But one thing's for certain, peterbot, Boyo, you start to take away a big lead on them, they're gonna make sure they influence the lobby to try to fight back as they want to play for that championship.
Raven.
Two teams I feel like that can single-handedly close the
Raven
gap
and
with
Void.
eliminations. We're probably waiting until their back is up against the wall. Those there in Isho, a familiar fight here, north side of the map, with the changes from Treetop Terrace going out and this spot kind of replacing it. Most of the loot is a little bit more focused towards the north side, which kind of causes a little bit more contested fights rather than splitting it. So for those there in Ishu, they've been landing here almost
Only
all
24
season long,
points.
even throughout the changes. It'd be crazy to think they would leave anytime soon, especially with finals here. So for Raven,
There's still a
CDZ,
chance for
having a
Raven.
pretty good run
With
from
no
the play-ins
points.
to the heats till here. They just need to keep that momentum on their side against a team like those there in Ishu, who have also been playing pretty consistent in Division Cups and so on.
Those are issue are experienced as well, so Raven and CDZ just have to take note, learn from their previous games, but
Curve.
Venno Curve lurking on Electro and Oak. Electro and Oak seem to feel like something is up though. They're fully based down. They
How
might
do
have
they
heard
know
or
though?
caught some visual cues here, hence the waiting. Venno
How does
Curve
Oak
won't
know?
be able to stay here much
Electro-
longer. They will have to start healing here soon.
Electro and
The
oh,
feed, I do think CDZ found a
how did
location,
they
so we'll
know?
have to catch that update here in a second.
they're gonna have to
What do you think's
heal
happening
soon.
Oh, this takes a lot of patience from Venno and Curve. They're camping the mending machine right there. They're hoping that they kind of
Ooh,
lost
the
Electro
fight
and
comes
Ult.
out
Yep,
here.
just like this. They peek through. They try to access the mending machine. First shot's going to be fired, which is an important amount of damage. You said it yourself.
One
Curve and
takes
Venno
build.
have
They
not
have
healed
tw-
just yet.
Curve has
Bullet
20
shield,
seconds.
but it's the
30,
HP that
50
is
seconds.
drastic here. Curve using the splashes by himself. Not sure what Venno has on the other side, but they're keeping pressure onto Ult, not letting him try and heal up.
Curve.
And even though Venno just took a second there to heal up, it's that second of difference that allowed for Curve to get pushed off of his current
Curve
position,
needs to
take some
heal.
damage, and almost reset the fight.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was definitely limited on heals, so they had to get those pieces there, but this fight's not going to end here
Oh.
now. Venno Curve already have a little bit of a damage advantage in the exchange, but they were trying to hope to secure those elims. This is that fight with CDZ and Raven, so what they learned from the last game is we got to finish this one up quickly. Once we attack, we got to finish the job. It looks like CDZ and Raven do just that. And that's going to be their first big 8 points earned here in the finals. They can say they've done more than some as far as the finals appearance goes, and let's see if they can keep it up.
Limited to
Meanwhile, Venno and
Electro.
Curve pushing aggressively to finish the battle like we knew they would. They do come out successful.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say it
Wow.
for CDZ and Raven. I think in a good way, they've been the biggest refresh and the biggest surprise to competitive this season. And honestly, I hope they continue to show off and show out as one of the new teams. We always talk about the new guard. Well, this is a crucial chance here because we could see a first-time finalist qualify to the Summit land. I think it said something about like 78 players are trying to qualify for their first land. And if the math just checks out, right, Monster?
zone.
There are 13 spots
It's
up for
still a
grabs. That
zone.
means 26 players will go to the Summit land. And if 78 players are trying to go to the first, that means roughly 2 to 4 players, no matter what happens here, will qualify for their first land in Fortnite. Exciting times.
Yep, the possibility is definitely there. I think 13 spots is very generous. Very generous. You know, most finals lobbies, when you look at the overall leaderboards, you know, you think like, oh, okay, you can drop a game or two each day and still be up towards the top 10. So that amount of grace and consistency for sure a new team can just have their moment here this weekend and see their way straight to the finals. It happens every year. We'll just see if it's going to be Raven and CDZ this time around. Threats and Veer, though, making do with their opportunity right now. Seem to be positioned pretty well. Last game, they were, of course, making it just past that mid-game now. Early game looking relatively decent for Muzz and Sphinx. Great end game showing from their side. Obviously, a second place. Nothing to scoff at. But one thing's for certain, catching storm sickness is one sad way to go out at the end.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they're one of the teams that they did deal a good amount of damage overall throughout the course. Muzz in game one had the most damage dealt out of every individual player in the game. Just goes to show that they're really just kind of building that storm surge cushion. No matter if they're positioned high up on a mountain, not far away from their drop, or here where you think it's kind of disadvantageous to box up next to one of those mountains, they are very, very calculated about how they approach each and every one of these zones, whether if it max pulls far away or kind of goes and turns in their favor. They're ready for whatever comes their way. And this could be another team that's a very, very similar case, especially to start the year. We had Rapid. No matter who he teamed with, it seemed like he could not be stopped. Even in the solo finals competition, Rapid was at the top of the leaderboard. And Monster, let me tell you, when Rapid was reading zones like he knew where it was going to go 100%, he was almost never wrong. And now you bring that to duos when you have Cold by your side. So if you have somebody that can lead the charge, open up opportunities for someone like Cold, this could be another one of our big contenders this weekend.
They're still alive.
Rapid and Cold now on teams Twisted Minds. You know, looking back to Globals, I remember the last organization that he was on, you know, the leadership over there was telling me, like, Monster, keep an eye out on this guy. I'm telling you, Rapid is next up. And look, he's only continued to do better and bigger things now leading into this first major. You know, it doesn't get any bigger than working with one of the best on the region. Visuals and Braids, though, talk about a way to start their tournament run off. You know, this is not a new guard team. This is an experienced duo here that has been playing side by side for quite a few years now, it looks like. And just really nice to see them start this off so strong.
And rightfully so, because you not only throughout the heats, but the last chance qualifier, that high ground, especially in the win in your in type format, was so contested with so many teams. So it's almost like great heads up play for Visuals and Braids. Said, you guys want high ground, you guys can fight for it. We'll control the low ground here. And while everybody was fighting for high grounds, teams that gave it up, they went down low and were in shambles. Visuals and Braids, cool as a cucumber, they made sure to make that game one count. And like you said, you can slip up on a few games, but it really plays an impact on how you get to play day number 2, whether you're having to go full aggressive to catch up on the points or just getting to have business as usual if you're on the top of the leaderboard.
Quincy Neko in a bit of a skirmish against Listen there in his duo, but you have to back off, being a little bit more passive. Don't want to get caught too long in the storm here now. You can see Aloe and Listen. Not too sure if the opponent's actually backed out of the fight just yet, so keeping that defensive stance. Then you have Reet and Cooper on the other side. Much different scenario here. No one in sight. Opting to kind of live in the storm now before just super padding out here.
I like when you say that, the super pad. The super pad. If you guys don't know, if you guys are tuning in, maybe you missed play-ins, heats, and the last chance qualifier, there are 2 launch pads at the north side of the map, this being one of them. On its own, Monster, it takes you higher and farther than regular launch pads. Now you combine that with the fizz, now you combine that with the shock grenade, you see how high you actually go. In some cases, you're out of render distance. Teams literally can't even see you to get those shots, and you're going to show in game number 1, they kind of rotated in early. They used that launch pad, they went towards the south. This time around, they're taking a slower approach, knowing that there's different mountain ranges and edges that they can access.
Yeah, and they only earned 6 points in game 1, so they have a lot of space to make up for. You looked at anyone's kind of lobby list of who's going to perform up towards the top. Reet is surely in that conversation. He's done it before. He did it last year.
474.
Let's see if they can pick up the pace now from Major 1. Now, of the few games you can kind of dud out, having one down after game 1 is a little rough. But it's not over just yet. Venno Curve, though, on the other side. Already 2 elims. Still, once again, going from machine to machine now, just trying to stick to that same strategy. I mean, this is true and trusty, right? Look, you have G Monster Magma here. He's about to start med kitting. they're actually exposed.
Oh, just a quick peek. Veno and Curb. This time around, you saw they kind of made a play similar to this in that last game. They made sure to heal up first, but now they have quick access to the vending machine. The patchups are in with Magma down. G-Money looks like he's going for a revive, but he might end up in that same situation. But luckily, Curve goes up and over, forces him down into the hand of Veno, where they're able to clean up that elimination. They fell asleep for just a second too long, and Curve and Veno strike, get the elimination, and build that cushion for Storm Surge, almost 700 above that threshold.
They're just playing so good right now. I'd probably bet that they're the furthest ahead when it comes to overall Surge right now. And their execution just couldn't be better on those 2 ambushes that they set up. Veno playing as great as ever. Obviously, coming from EU to NA, you have a lot to prove.
Trying to get out of
that huge investment in yourself, right? To come on over and do the thing here on the region. And then doing it with someone like her. Hasn't really had that much of a chance to show how good of a player he could be, right? We've seen him play with the folks like Re and a few other top tiers, but Veno, I would say, is definitely amongst the most elite of his duo options so far.
Yeah, I think everybody's quite pleasantly surprised. I want to give a huge shout out to Mom and Pop Curve, really believing in their son and just allowing him to follow this dream of not only just playing and competing in Fortnite, but a chance to be one of the best players in Fortnite. They get to travel the world if they're able to qualify here inside of the top 13. When we talk about history being on one team side, Acorn has that Major 1 history. I think you called it the Major 1 magic. I like that. So if Acorn can pull it off here, definitely would be a magician. 38 points in game number 1. So already a slow start for them, but you can see the zone pulling on over toward the north side of the map, almost 300 above the damage threshold. They're just taking it one step at a time.
They're looking good. Love the positioning here on the bottom edge of that mountain. They should have no resistance from any other team. And then they go with the full metal base, so that's just showing us they're not looking to move anytime soon. Jumping on over to Clicks Higgs. Ager's Ritual side to side here. Clicks and Higgs have a little thorn in their hip, but right now just fishing for opportunity. Nothing available just yet. Mud Sphinx is going to be the first that they put a little attack onto, but Clicks unfortunately misses those shots. And look at this. This is not actually looking too good for Muzz and Sphinx. They're just barely holding on right now.
Yeah, blessing for them to kind of make that quick rotation onto a slower side of the zone. Kind of allow them to peek and get a wide variety of options here. The curse is going to be everybody's fully boxed up already in both brick and metal, so it's going to be hard to spray your way through. But they're 142 above that damage threshold. And they're not a team that goes in desperation mode just because they're below the damage threshold. And that's a huge focal point for their game plan. Peterbot and Boyo, they're just getting sprayed at from multiple teams. They're forced to reposition, having to go lower and lower onto that low ground as they reunite. The spray is not slowing down or stopping just yet. Boyo is barely surviving, less than 50 HP left, and it's not slowing down anytime soon. They're burning through their materials, less than 10 left on Peterbot. He's still trying to scramble around, but not really finding an open opportunity here to get back into this game.
Very smart scramble, though, going back to all that invested metal, trying to find himself a little bit of a safety spot amongst the chaos, and that was all because the teams in his general area needed damage. So they unfortunately found themselves positioned next to all these opponents that needed a ton of damage. They get shot up by the entire lobby, and now they have to find damage themselves. Peterbot at least gets an elimination there, so it's not a zero-sum game, but they are still so far below. Boyo has to go into the box. We've seen him do the impossible before. He gets another set of points, but how much more can he realistically do here?
Yeah, I'm not really feeling too worried, though. We saw what Boyo could do in the heats just to get to this stage, but you got to be careful. Chance does go down. Cold and Rapid just terrorizing those floors, dropping him into the box, and you're kind of see the shakeup that this lobby has right before our very eyes, and this is where we're going into these next couple of zones, Monster. If we go towards the north, the northwest, or even towards the northeast, you better buckle in because we're going to be in for a roller coaster of emotions. Yes, if we go south, we go down a mountain, but it eases up the pressure from a lot of what these players are facing, and we go towards the northeast. Boyo, I hope you're ready for this ride.
Yeah, this is going to be crazy. Now, he does still have a couple shockwaves, but with Acorn here to the side, I mean, these are dangerous teams on high ground. Clicks and Higgs already looking out in the distance as well here. Boyo has found himself in so many solo situations this weekend, and he has just performed time in and time out. feel like we're asking so much of him to keep their team on the standings right now, but hey, he is nearing a top 20. Clicks Higgs have that natural elevation to play with as well, and they are just in the best position right now that we have seen so far, as far as making it into another top positioning endgame here.
And you see
Higgs
Higgs clicks
goes
back
up.
to that game, going for that high ground early, and you see they're focusing not only on the players kind of rotating around, but the
Trying to
ones
get
that are
tags
in
on
that
Ritual
Bizmiss. Those are the
from
threats
Higgs.
to that high ground, the second height. They keep putting down that focus.
Sphinx
Muzz and
and
Sphinx
Muzz.
might be one of those teams
Rocky
as well.
have tried
They're
to
not
take
dropping down
height.
unless they have to. You see Poyo trying to shockwave off, probably only has
Look
one
at Higgs
shockwave
on
left
major
in his
height.
inventory. You
Sphinx
see
and
him
Muzz.
down
Muzz
to
goes
6
down.
builds, and this is where it becomes just a nightmare of a
The low
situation
ground.
for Poyo, but he gets a little bit of a blessing.
Whoa.
The mist is there. Sphinx dropping down along with Muzz, trying to control their own destiny as well.
That was crazy. A little missed here to kind of support him, and he's trying to find out, hey, where was that throw? Who can I jump on? Who needs these heals right now? Unfortunately, he doesn't quite find the opportunity there, but just 4 builds. One shockwave, so this shock has to be played almost offensively now. Can he get into a situation for a refresher here? Of course he can, finds a player there, but
Zero
doesn't quite
builds
find the
from
follow-up.
Polo.
This player's jumping all
Poyo.
around him. There goes a missed tag. He's got
18
nothing
builds
there,
on
and
curve.
into the hands of another duo. That opponent goes, so no refresh for him. Down he falls in the top 18. Getting back to the
Muzz
live
and
view, you
Sphinx
have
have
Clicks and
dropped
Higgs
from
on high ground.
low
Acorn
high ground.
bolts, sizing up the second layer. Cold and rapid, front side of the low ground, just
They're
playing for
trying
an
to
ultimate
take
end.
height, but they
Yeah,
were
and for Acorn and
to-
Bolts, they wait till the last second. They think you're out of builds, but
Sphinx
Muzz gets in the
and
box,
Muzz
ends
get
up with 1
taken
elimination.
out.
But Wager sends them right back to the lobby, and this goes to show we're in second place there in the first game, kind of going down relatively early here. Cold, along with Rapid, they're controlling one side. You see Venom and Curve controlling the other, but this is where it continues to become a nightmare. We're going down into the divot off the side of that mountain. For Clicks and Higgs, they have the biggest advantage, control over the high ground, but Osid, Scared, they're there. Agers
He's
and
the
Ritual,
30
they're there as well.
29.
The problem with this is you
Ritual
have to
50
use
builds.
material in order to, maintain your positioning right now.
Agers,
This is the
24
type of
builds,
endgame you
24
cannot practice for. Agers, Ritual, also starting to fizzle out now. You can see as they're starting to
Higgs
lower
with
themselves
27 builds.
gently down the layers here, looking for opportunity into a box. They're trying to send themselves, but no,
Clicks
the
and
defense
Higgs
was good
jump
from
out
the
of
opponents
storm.
there.
Curve
Higgs, meanwhile, on
above
the other
with
side,
Clicks.
loses
Clicks
a lot
takes
of
down
shield here,
Curve.
forced to miss up, and Clicks as well. Very desperate situation for Height now. Acorn and Bolts finally attack, and it's theirs to secure.
Wow, Clicks and Higgs read the curve, and Veno play from a mile away. They get the elims, they get the knocks, but in comes Acorn and Bolts while they're distracted. Clicks and Higgs said, nah, you're not going to get it for free. Clicks is literally putting it all on the line. He said this is his FNCS to win if he's going to get it,
straight
and he
to
takes
height
down Bolts,
and
leaving
healing.
Acorn as a solo, but there's still
There
3
you go.
more threats
Clicks
in the
goes right
mix.
back up.
Scared, Osid, Ages of Ritual, they're still alive, but Clicks is still focused on the Acorn.
That was disgusting. Clicks goes up, Higgs breaks the foundation, and then they actually take that team down, and now it's their high ground all over again as it bounces back over their original investment here. Now, they haven't picked up a refresher, but they surely have control of the skies right now. Agers and Rituals haven't quite had a time to do anything with the high ground, but they are running things on the low ground. 8 eliminations for them now, but look at the POV here from Clicks and Higgs. It is looking like a breeze fest here to the end game if they can just pressure these lobbies out and use the terrain to their advantage.
Yeah, this is definitely
Ritual
theirs. They're
goes
going up
down.
the side of the mountain. Another knock
Clicks
onto
takes out
Ritual.
Ritual.
Cooper falls.
Ritual.
Ager's alive, and
Cooper
Taki's
takes
making
out.
a mad dash, trying to get inside of the zone.
Boy,
But he
my
falls
gosh.
all
down
the
to
same.
Clicks.
Clicks is just cleaning up.
Clicks and
out
Higgs
here
get the
as
win.
Him and Higgs caught fire in game 2
Let's
to take
go.
it all.
It almost feels like
All right,
back-to-back
well, Clicks and
performances
Higgs
for
are
them right
honestly
now. You
winning.
saw the game 1. They are showing us how it is they want to play the grand finals this weekend.
Victory
and
Royale.
that's
Let's
height
go.
or nothing. Game 2,
Honestly,
though,
they're
Zeke,
doing
is now
really
wraps.
good. Clicks and Higgs.
This is what I was waiting for in finals. The fight for height. Clicks and Higgs. Kelly, I can't believe it. In 8th zone, they were at it again. They're like, hey, remember our plan from game 1? We're doing that again, but this time, no one will take height from us. And now we get a game 2 victory royale?
If you have been watching any of the scrims since Heats, you would probably be a little less surprised to see Clicks and Higgs acting this way. This is something that they have prepared for, that they have studied, and you can see through the evolution of literally just over the last 2 weeks, the little adjustments that they're making in controlling height. And this was honestly a masterclass of those changes that we've seen, where they had height potentially stolen away from them twice, 3 times in that game, and their ability to just
Placement
drop down
points.
1 or 2 layers to make sure that they're not
Elims,
necessarily
this game
sacrificing height
6.
and have that opportunity to go back and reclaim it again.
Holy,
But honestly,
bro.
even going back before
From
people
Clips
are trying to
absolutely
steal height,
aimbotting.
even the way that they're just claiming it from the start of Zone 8, where they'll build a tower and they don't actually tarp. If you notice, they'll wait till Zone kind of pulls all the way to the edge, and then they'll launch themselves forward to build a tower to take height, saving up all those materials that they're going to need for the very end game.
Almost nothing about that game makes sense. Like, it genuinely doesn't. Like, we're watching them, right? They're building up height from 8 zone. It's like,
Head
okay,
and
you need
take
a
right
lot
now.
of materials to survive from 8 zone high ground all the way into the end of the game. They ended the game with 4 eliminations. I honestly thought you would need more refreshes. But then if you also take a look at the natural terrain that we were building over and had to kind of, you know, traverse, it was mountainous, right? A lot of like dips
100%,
and elevation.
honestly.
So you kind of have to account for that. It usually takes a little bit more builds to build over something like that. So not only did Clicks and Higs fend off like 7 different teams amongst like an incredible amount of chaos of people just flying above them, and somehow, you know, when the dust settled, they were the ones that ended up on the higher ground, but they also made it work from 8th zone with only 4 eliminations. You got to imagine, like, how do they do that? First 2 games, Clicks and Higs, they fended off the fight for height. They look good.
What?
Man, and I just
I
don't
don't
even
know.
know, Viv, how they're just in the air for so long.
Right? It's
Like, dude, they're even getting hit, and
I
it's like,
don't
it's just
know.
not enough, right? It's just not enough. They land on builds. They're like,
What?
everything's fine. We're back to full HP.
I
Don't
don't
even worry about it.
know.
Clicks and Higs looking so good. That was game number 2. We're going to a short break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the lobby list and start preparing for the chaos that will be game 3. We'll see you in just a minute.
Coming up, game 3.
Watch me arrive.
They're just playing the same clips. You need a showcase.
I got here. I'm popping in that bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds? No.
TNX. This is me.
Wait, if you're mid, wait. 100? 100? Oh my god, look!
It's my teammate talking.
And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk? Stay there.
Be cool if they played different clips here.
Welcome back, Fortnite fam, to Major 1 FNCS Finals in day number 1. Game number 2. Clicks fans, rise up. Our time is now. They get themselves a victory royale in game number 2. Kelly, they went ahead and put the whole lobby on notice. We're here to play. We are here for high ground and high ground only. But there was more that happened in that game, right, Kelly? A bunch of things as we get ready to look at the lobby list. You'd think Clicks and Higs would be in first place, because I would think that, right? Like, oh yeah, they got a victory royale, but that's not the case, is it, Kelly?
No, it's not, because Agers and Ritual are up on top, and there is a big number that could indicate as to why, and that is their elimination number right there, currently leading the lobby with 13 eliminations. And yeah, for it just being 2 games, 13 is actually quite high. And of course, that's Agers and Ritual. Like I was saying earlier on at the top of the show, they actually have a higher amount of average eliminations in their Div Cup finals over Peter and Poyo. Agers and Ritual understand what a win condition means. And I don't mean a victory royale condition. I'm talking about the whole tournament. They know exactly what they need to do, Vivid, and they're showing it in our first 2 games.
Zeke completely destroyed Kelly's train of thought right there. That was awesome. Anyway, 10 eliminations for the duo just there in game number 2. As you can see, 7 on Agers, 3 on Ritual. And this is exactly what me and Kelly were kind of talking about. That elim heavy refresh style of gameplay where they try to make it work from the mid ground. Gotta give a big shout out though. You want to talk about fighting in the early game.
Am I gonna? Oh, sorry, I haven't been reading chat.
Kind of talked about
am
how,
I going
you know,
to
drop
be
spot, the situation over there? It's been a little bit weird.
Yes,
there should be plans, a video out. To me, it doesn't look like they switched plans at all. Because to get their Storm Surge, they've basically been taking a couple of 2v2 fights in the early game, even sometimes in the Storm itself, and it's just been working out. You would imagine if you're taking 2v2 fights, you know, the way the Storm Surge works now, it's a damage ratio. So they're taking these 2v2 fights.
Going straight for Clay.
Really taking damage. How cleanly are they winning those fights?
I mean, if we're taking a look at this height still right now, it definitely was not too clean when you're kind of a little focused on a certain player and everyone else is looking up at you saying, oh, hey, he's just in the air. I'm going to take a few shots. It definitely makes it a little bit harder for you to defend yourself. But you talking about them fighting in Storm, I love that play we got to see from them. Fighting next to the mending machine, which actually allowed them to fight even longer in Storm and eventually get one of those eliminations. And they're, again, it's Venno. He's so smart when he plays, and to see them kind of handling this this change to their drop spot situation and still being able to come out on top, I love to see it.
Yeah, as we bring up those standings, the reason we wanted to highlight them is we just talked about these 13 elims, and remember, we're getting 1 more point per elim, right? First place, Agers Ritual, 13 elims. But as we look at Curve and Venno, they already have 12, right? So we're just missing a handful of like consistency points, and then suddenly we're starting to run up that leaderboard. Cold and Rapid though, again, I feel like, Kelly, we have so much star power, right? We can look at any duo and just be like, yo, they're going crazy, and we probably would be right. But now we're kind of starting to pick up, right? We kind of talked about in that first game, maybe a little slower, a little like subdued. And even now it's a very similar place, right? 7th place, 4th, 8th place, 5 elims. I'm kind of waiting, you know, Kelly, I'm kind of waiting for that ice cold game out of cold.
I think how they play in tournaments is similar to kind of how they play in the end game. They kind of like to play in the mid ground. They love to play for refreshes. And if they need to go for kind of a heavy elim, they'll lock in and they'll go on the low ground. And then that's where we really see them tear. But for me, Cold and Rapid, it's less about how consistent they are and more about these insane pop-off games, Vivid, that we know that both of them individually and as a duo can pull out.
Yeah, so it'd be scary stuff for the leaderboard when we do see one of those games. Got to give a big shout out to Acorn and Bolts. I feel like that game as well, because we saw a little bit of life of them in that game where they actually attempted to go for high ground right there. So it'll be interesting to see over the course of the next 10 games if they're going to kind of continue with that plan. Although I do want to kind of talk about how this whole like lobby and how the kind of lobby plays out. Clicks and Higs, I feel like they fended off peterbot in game number 1. I feel like they fended off a lot of teams there in game number 2. You got to imagine at some point, Zeke, these teams are kind of going to get tired of going up for it if Clicks and Higs are just going to keep beating them at that fight, and eventually it might end up where Clicks and Higs just have high ground for free. Kind of something to think about.
Yeah, man, like you're pointing out, the amount of players that have gone up to fight for it. Like, I think in any other circumstance we've seen that, it's like that team usually just like, okay, hey, my bad, like you guys can have it. But Clicks and Higs, they are holding on, Kelly. It's looking nice.
It's looking good, Zeke. But you know what else is looking good? Game 3.
That's right, Fortnite fam. It's game time. Buckle up. Game number 3 starts now.
Thank you. And yeah, just like that, we're approaching game 3 already. Finals days tend to go pretty quickly, but one thing's for certain, Jacob, it's too early to call anything just yet.
Yeah, I'm already kind of getting my wish. I said I just want game 12 to matter when it's all said and done. Already a 1-point difference, proving that history lesson we gave might come true. And this is going to be an exciting time to kind of see it. Will Clicks and Higgs continue to play for the high ground? Aegis and Ritual, will they wake up? Or peterbot and Pollo? Teams right now are poking the bear. We know what type of team they could turn into day 2.
Yeah, one thing's underrated is those elimination points are starting to rack up. You're earning more for your value here when you get eliminations. So seeing someone like Aegis and Rituals up at the top just because they managed to pop off in that last game, they definitely are being rewarded there on the standings. But one thing's for certain, peterbot and Pollo don't usually get lobbied like that. So we'll see what they're going to change up here for game number 3.
Lot of consistency coming out of Clicks and Higgs so far throughout 2 games. Aegis and Ritual as well, their first place on the leaderboard, already locking down a 2nd and a 13th with 13 total eliminations. You gotta like what Curve and Veno are doing as well. Just kind of keeping it close, and that's going to be the interesting thing of how the day ends today. Really has control of how you get to play tomorrow.
You know, one thing about Fortnite is there is a little bit of luck involved. You know, when you went back and saw the highlights, I actually can't believe Higgs survived the way he did. That should have been Veno and Curve's game right there. I'm just going to say that for the record, as Paper and Resi are getting active right now at their drop here, Jacob. Not to distract us too much, but yeah, that highlight really showed us how lucky Clicks and Higgs were there.
Yeah. Back to this fight, though, you know, Paper, that was almost a must-win as Tyler and Chance taking down Electro and Ulk early on the south side of Battlewood Boulevard. Actually, elimination probably spinning it. Does look like Toronto somewhere else on the map kind of stole that one away. So they're only going to get the 1 elimination, 4 points, but they are going to get most of that loot out of the elimination. That's Toronto and Slips. Further down south outside of Battlewood, kind of split the drop down there towards the bottom. Just kind of take those little opportunities while you can. That's kind of the name of the game.
Nice little elim for them, given that they're playing the coastal line. Back on over to the Pizza Palms here. Blanks and Mako, again, managed to find a nice little victory there coming out of their heats category. Team to their north, though. Again, you're going to find a lot of duos trying to hold down the vending machines at the POIs. They're basically death traps. You got to be super careful when approaching those areas. Raven CDZ coming off a hot little victory of an early game battle for themselves, but wasn't able to convert anything else after that game too.
Almost feels like for them, they've been almost 3 different drops throughout the 3 games that we've seen so far. Top side of the map, we saw them take on Dozier, Ishu, go against Chris and Drew, and now against Threats and Beer. Just trying to find their spot on a map like this is not going to be the easiest thing, especially a team like Threats and Beer who just want to rid everyone out of their POI. It's a legendary POI, so you can see exactly why they're fighting. More loot, more gold, more opportunity if they're able to get it to themselves. If they quickly go through at least 1 box of pizza, while Threats heals, Veer is kind of put the pressure down so that way they can't easily turn and burn to try to take down Threats in a 2v1.
See what Raven and CDZs can take away from this finals as a whole, because they're starting to notice, I think, that you can't just be too flexible on the lobby. You will encounter incredibly talented players everywhere you go. And even now, one might argue that this is an even better team in Threats and Veer. Monster shot for him there to finish up with the assistance of a team and the Riptides there, and just like that, they get sent back to lobby.
Yeah, I gotta imagine that was HQ and Encrypted from their lighthouse just west of Squibbly. For them, it's not even necessarily about the elimination. For HQ Encrypted, it's just the early game storm surge. You can kind of see cut halfway through Battlewood Boulevard, the zone is already pushing teams towards the north side of the map. And that gives a little bit of a cushion here for Veno and Curve to do these lurk plays just like this. We saw it in the last game. We're going to see it here again. Curve probably trying to distract Tyler and Chance from the distance, saying, hey, they're nowhere to be found on this side, and that gives Veno a little bit of a lurk opportunity.
keep eyes on what Veno's up to. He's one of the most decorated players, one who tends to come in with an extreme amount of preparation. It's always something to learn. Always something up these elite pros' sleeves, of course. For Clicks and Higgs, things are just business as usual here at the Wonky Land. You got Higgs on watch up top. Meanwhile, back to Veno. Just when you think it's safe, you never know.
This is a long investment in time right now from Veno. Up above, you got Curve lurking around, so they got basically all the important exits locked down. Veno watching the whole other side of that building, probably getting the audio visuals as well. A lot of information for him to keep to himself. And just the patience here is going to be the biggest thing. Does he try to go in and make a play by himself, especially with how far Curve actually is? You could use a shockwave to cut the distance, but anything can happen in a quick couple of seconds. For Tyler and Chance, great heads-up play for them. They probably realize what Veno and Curve do, how they play and lurk around the entire POI, whether they're contested or not. So better safe than sorry.
Yeah, and of course, they're just trying to get that critical medal, right? So Veno recognizes this. He knows an opportunity is just moments away. Boyo, peterbot on the other side. Just trying to get their medal in order as well. Preparing for the mid-game. Peterbot eyeing up a team in the distance. Gonna be Muzzin Sphinx right now. Will tags come out? Those are tags that Peterbot will just not miss.
Yeah, a little bit of a different game this time around. Does look like it's going to continue to go towards the north, over towards Wonky Land, maybe the north side of the map, Frigid Fortress. So Peterbot Poyo do have access to that rift if they do want to use it. Haven't really seen it in play too much so far on the day, but sometimes you got to save the tricks to when you do need it most. Ages and Ritual, you can see some of their early games so far throughout the first two. It was Storm Surge early because they're not contested and the surrounding land isn't as contested as it usually is. They're just going to have to hunt for that Storm Surge rather than sit in the zone.
Got a couple highlights though. This is one from Listen and Aloe's duo. Oh, they find someone fresh off the reboot. Quick finish there, and then of course they're gonna go into collapsing the solo. Just like that, they earn their first set of points here in the finals lobby. Jumping back to Paper though. Paper went from early eliminations have to drop now to fight Bucky and Zen here. Bucky's in big danger. Zen forced to back him up right now, give him a little bit of room to work with.
Paper and Resi have been rotating north to end up in this position. Mending Machine is right there, so you can kind of see what their focus is. Resi doesn't have a ton of gold, so it's not really going to get much out of it. You got to hope Paper has the lion's share of that one. But they're just really trying to control this whole side of the map. But for Bucky and Zen, you see empty item slots, not a lot of builds, not a lot of heals. They're in a drastic situation. Maybe not in a spot to where they start to get desperate, but they have to start thinking what plan B is going to be.
I was going to say, remember, Peterbot and Poyo were desperate for Surge last game. Look at the adjustment in their strategy. They find a duo that seems to be somewhat isolated from the rest of the rotate, and now they're going in hyper aggressively.
Run from one team to the next. A lot of teams on the north side of the map, for some reason, making their way down south. You can see the drop is there. Almost a little bit more of a reward outside of the eliminations, but Poyo lands the first big shot to try to break things up. Peterbot is going ahead and putting pressure, cleaning up that elimination, easing up that Storm Surge pressure here. You called it out. Last game wasn't the best game for them in terms of Storm Surge. In fact, it was almost the reason why they went down early, got lobby focused. Now with that elimination there, they're going to be able to claim that drop to themselves and maybe even move back to their POI.
Yeah, and the speed of which they can finish a fight is definitely the difference maker from them to a more average pro team. Jumping in with Cold and Rapid here. We got a little update with the situation. Talk about that Mythic shotgun in hand. It's definitely a power loadout here. And, ooh, Cold with a quick two-piece right there. That's a plus 50 for them.
Who's counting up all the Surge for them? 110 points so far throughout 2 games. Cold and Rapid in 4th place, but just like the first and second place point differential, you got Visuals and Braids right underneath at 109. They won our first game of the day, really setting the tone and the pace that everybody has to follow up on. It was definitely not going to be easy. Wagers and Slepsy rotating on over towards Riptide. They used to land here, but didn't want to end up in a disadvantaged fight, so they went ahead and went elsewhere as Flex goes down, leaving Light by himself. Plenty of heals in the Chug Jug and the Splash just to get up to 200 effective shield and HP. Nut has the same comfortability with the Slapperoni Pizza on the other side, but it's a 1v1 with the zone pulling further and further away. Even if they win this fight, they got to find the time to get the reboot.
Finding reboot's always difficult as well. It just attracts so much attention to you. And look at this. Talk about attention being drawn. There's a team moving in hot from the west side already now. Light and Flex are on a timer. I mean, obviously we know Light's by himself. He's got to wrap this one up or Nut's got to fight back, but they can't. It'll be the end for both of them. It's actually Penta and Power who are lurking up and in now.
Big advantage though for Light. In terms of the solo players, he does have a lot of the HP heals, but Power and Penta crouching, hiding, but they get a big Elim onto Light. A worthwhile Elim. Look at Power's inventory before and after. Now they're getting a bunch of materials, a bunch of extra heals, the splashes and the Chug Jug. Even though they don't necessarily stacked out in terms of shockwaves, they came for what they wanted and they got it, and now they're just continuing on with the rest of their game. Hopefully they can find a safe spot in zone, so this is actually worth it.
I'm just laughing. I'm thinking, like, put myself in Nut's position where he's like, oh my gosh, and he just stops moving. He's got his pizza out. He's like, bruh, please. And then they leave. So he gets really lucky. Bailed out the desperate spot there. And you know he's got the reboot card, so they will get to continue their tournament life here. Acorn and Bolts, completely different situation here. Much more chill scenario on hand. Pretty much just camping the launch pads right now with the zone on top of them. So nothing to worry about right now.
This is where it looks to get a little spooky. About Pollo, yeah, this is where they actually kind of land for the most part. They have the slurp trucks that's there, the mending machine, and we saw peterbot farm up a lot of his metal. Quick moment there where you said it yourself, looking dangerous with Curve and Veno rotating nearby. We saw the sheer amount of lurks throughout the first two games so far, using the mending machines as a distraction for teams, and that's how they picked up not only damage but eliminations. Probably seeing how far the zone is actually pulling towards the north, so instead of waiting, they probably realized they already have some good surge eliminations early, so they're trying to beat every other team to the punch.
Yeah, I'm just thinking they got spider senses like Curve and Veno reading a situation like, nah, maybe not this team. Let's just go go to this storm. It's going to be the best decision they make in this game, that's for sure. A clash with peterbot and Pollo when there's 700 above the surge is not the type of peterbot and Pollo you want to fight right now. Not in this game, not in this lobby. Love that we got to see a little glimpse of Osidon's scarce position there. That sleeper duo that has been creeping up the standings bit by bit. Mako and Blanks, though, quite the rotate for them to make here. Carillion, meanwhile, whoa. Nice little knock out the sky there. Someone's fired up.
I'm always a what have you done for me lately type of guy, and honestly, in this short span that Jargu and Carillion have played together, Monster, they have won 3 games in set lobbies through their heat, or through the last chance qualifier and the eval finals. So even though right now they're sitting on 40 points, I wouldn't necessarily be too worried. This team can pull out some insane moments and victories. Just unfortunate they are contested at the far eastern side of the map, going against Sniper Dude and Avenger. So not every game is going to be guaranteed. Just goes to show Carillion taking advantage of those little opportunities while you can. Peterbot and Pollo, they did clean up a few eliminations here. We saw one early, one in the feed, and you can see they're rotating away from Tyler and Chance. Already up towards the zone, but they're going to where they think it is going to open up and give them a little bit more cushion in terms of spacing.
Nice little find right there to get the chug barrels. But I did want to say, you know, 40 points is still in the race. Like, remember, the real winners are who's going to land, who's in top 13 when this is all said and done. So if you're 40 points, you're 60 points like Cooper and Reed. I mean, you're in the conversation right now. Your shoes are tied, you know. You're on the track here. You got to respect it so far. But again, this is only game 3, right? We're about halfway through day 1.
Quarter of the game's already completed. You can kind of see Cooper, Reed, trying to see if anybody else is going to make a late rotation off the side of that mountain. They're ready and waiting for it to happen. QK and Khan, 57 below the damage threshold. Right now it is going to be a 2-tick, but that's going to quickly switch on over to a 5-tick. So timing is of the essence to get in towards the zone. So they don't necessarily have to rush for the Storm Surge. QK does anyway. Not only gets the elimination, but puts them above the damage threshold. And it's usually when you're on that line, Monster, teams get desperate and they start to make mistakes. So glad to see them already answer the call.
Yeah, their timing couldn't have been better. Like, the zone pulls to their side. So many teams are exiting from the Wadki land, storm into the edge, kind of congested positioning there. And I want to update from Clicks and Higgs as well. Like, this is their drop, right? This is the dream scenario. You're in the lead point-wise. Then you get the whole zone to land on top of your POI when you normally play natural high ground. This is a crazy development happening in general right now for Game 3. Bolts and Acorn have invested a lot to get to the safety here. And look at this, not a lot of heals to work with, so the pizza box comes out. This is obviously, I'd say, the best heal, right, like in the game right now, for sure, as far as quick heals are concerned.
Look at the background. Creon went down, almost held my breath, thought it was somebody else for a moment. Paper is going to be knocked as well. A couple of players left as solos in some big moments here. No bigger moment than this for Rezi. 348 below the damage threshold. Rezi literally put the team on his back just to get this spot in finals. 2 games gone already. 341. Quickly has to start to make a play. 15 players need to go down. He might have an opportunity to out-heal this monster. 2 pizza slices, 3 med kits. He does have a full chug jug as well. I just wouldn't necessarily advise it as a solo.
This is crazy because while we've been watching Rezi, just to his bottom left, you have Veno and Curve, and I saw Curve pick up 2 eliminations, by the way. So Rezi's trying to find opportunity, and then you have someone like Curve just lacing up the lobby, and all the chances that might have been his in his general vicinity. So it couldn't be worse for Rezi right now. For Clicks and Higgs, though, this is the update I wanted. 500 above. They have no worries in the world right now in maximum material. What a clean rotate here. They're not quite safe just yet, but plenty of time to work with. No pressure right now for our position leaders for the most part.
This is where we could start to see an interesting end game. You see all the trees, Monster? You see every single one of those trees. Well, the thick ones, they have a huge amount of HP, and you can connect to them as well in this end game. And more of them as we go towards the south are going to be in play. So we're going to have teams that not only could contest the high ground, could hold on to it for longer than usual. Cold and Rapid try to make their way in, moving forward, almost running to peterbot and Poyo as they're almost 1,000 damage above the threshold. Monster, this is one thing that you wanted to pay close attention to, and right now, from one game to the next, this is night and day here for peterbot and Poyo.
Yeah, definitely. They're playing aggressive right now. It's almost as if they say, or are feeling like they need to earn a bunch of points if they want to stay competitive for first place. And they're playing like someone owes them something right now, big time. Meanwhile, Curve, though, as exceptional as he has been, he has lost Veno on the rotate here, so he's now left by himself. Meanwhile, you look to high ground, and look who it is. My, it's not a bird. It's Clicks, it's Higgs up top right now, getting positioned.
Just like in a couple of the other games, I stopped asking myself when I see certain players going up the high ground, is it too early? I think Clicks and Higgs have proved it's never too early for them to try to take that high ground, especially in a zone like this where you have all those trees that you could actually attach to maintain your position on height. But for now, Clicks and Higgs just continue to look down below, realize the zone is going to force players not only out of their boxes, but to shockwave from point A to point B, and that's going to be the best chances they get to beam people out of the sky. You see a good amount of damage landing on Cold before he gets to the front side of the zone.
And you saw the hesitation there, just trying to see if Rapid was with them. Fortunately, ends up on a different layer there for a second, but reunited now. Looking to kind of reposition, refresh up. Up top, Clicks and Higgs have this juggernaut of a positioning over the rest of the lobby, connected to that big trunk of the tree there, and they're just so high up that no one's going to be able to contest them, I don't think. So they might just be able to waltz their way into the end game. Muzz, Sphinx here fighting for what they can do right now. They're starting to run out of material though, Jacob. This is getting really desperate for Muzz and Sphinx.
Yeah, but you can see Muzz just sliding through a couple of those closed boxes before he gets in zone. Clicks and Higgs continue to elevate themselves higher and higher because they know the shockwave with the Fizz, anybody can contest that high ground in a moment's notice. We've already seen it throughout 2 games so far as peterbot peaks at the perfect time, finds another knock. Elimination going to be cleaned up elsewhere. Even Sphinx going down. Acorn cleans up another elimination. You see threats going down in the corner. It just goes to show that these players that are on that mid layer are just bumping heads back and forth just to get inches in a game that seems a mile long.
Finally, Cold and Rapid get their first eliminations here in the end game. Bit uncharacteristic of them to not have a several set of elims right now, given how they like to play aggressively in these end games.
I feel like everybody's been
just
doing
yet.
good.
Peterbot Boyo continue to turn up here as well. Living off
I wasn't paying
right
too
now.
much
They have
attention.
Ocean in sight. They take them down so quickly.
Braids.
You can run, but you can't hide. Boyo and
Still here.
Peterbot for the first time
Acorn.
playing side by side in the end game, and what feels like the entirety.
Peterbot gets the kill.
Visuals, Braids on the other side, coming off that victory.
Clicks and Higgs are still. Higgs is on mace height.
Here, but
Clicks is on
when you
height
look
still.
to the high ground, not a soul has decided to contest Clicks and Higgs just yet.
Yeah, I don't think there's very many opportunities the way they have it set up as well. That one's clean. Poyo almost gets blocked off away from peterbot, but he's not letting go. He's not giving up on his teammates, saying there's a huge strength in numbers. We have to
Everybody's
make it
getting
count. Cole gets
eliminated
another
right now.
elimination as well. You said it. There are
14.
eliminations here. and
23
they're looking
people
for a
left,
couple more
14
top 14
teams.
situation. There are 5 solo players running around this lobby. Make it 6 as another one gets separated. And you notice still not a single person has even looked up or even built a single box higher. And that's because of Clicks and Higgs and constant pressure from above.
I'm just looking at Cold right now. He went from no elims to now 6 and a knock body down below. He needs that siphon to turn online like now if he wants to stay alive here. There goes the mini
there
shields
you
to keep him in
go.
the game. Meanwhile, Peterbot in the bottom right is by himself trying to clutch this one up right now. It's been the Boyo solo show all week long.
Clicks and Higgs.
Now it's up to
Higgs
Peterbot
is
to
on
show
height
us what
still,
he's got.
so is Clicks.
One shockwave left, 5 build. Definitely is trying to pick the perfect moment to strike. Using the Fizz for the utility, not necessarily the shield. Cold is finally gone down. Rapid stuck outside of the zone. Acorn trying to cut off the path of Braids, but Braids takes him down. These trades going back and forth. 8 teams remain, but that's making 7 teams remain, Monster. 9 players in this game. Almost everybody left alive is solos. Rapid probably feeling the pressure. Gets a huge elimination. Peterbot as well, but he's out of build. Huge
Clicks is still in. Clicks and Higgs are both still here.
Gets demolished himself.
A sliver of HP and
Big Clicks and Higgs are.
and earned a little bit more, but Clicks and Higgs are here on the high ground.
Yeah.
They're looking to get another victory royale here and now.
Come on,
they
Clicks.
want it more than everyone else. Rapid
Yes! Clicks and Higgs, let's freaking go, dude.
The job in the end there. In game 3, Jacob, let's Clicks and Higgs off to the races.
Already,
They're
Buster, we
first.
have
There's
our
no way they're
first
not first.
back-to-back victory royales from Clicks and Higgs. They got their wonky land uncontested.
Major
and
one
they're
finals.
putting it to use, Zeke.
This is not a drill. Clicks and Higgs won back-to-back games in Major 1 finals. We're doing it! Kelly, it's happening!
I feel like someone ordered some pizza, and Clicks and Higgs are just the delivery drivers
I
right now.
swear
because
they
they're
might
holding
actually
on
win
to those
FNCS.
slices
This is
throughout
crazy.
the entire end game. I mean, I appreciate the pizza party. Who doesn't love that? But Clicks and Higgs right now on high ground are having a party for 2. They are just absolutely dominating. And Vivid, you called it out. You said the word conditioning, and they conditioned the lobby, and it's only game number 3.
Ooh.
Absolutely. I mean, it's crazy. Like you mentioned, it seemed like it was so chaotic over the course of game number 1, game number 2. Everybody wanted a little piece
Going
of the pie.
straight
They were
down on
flying up. It
Higgs
seemed
with
impossible to
the
control.
thunder pump.
In game 3, it was a
Dang.
breeze. Nobody looked up. I don't even know
These are
what was
bad
going on in
pictures
that
of
lobby.
both of them.
We were so busy watching the eliminations that were kind of happening on the lower ground. People were going crazy down there, and Clicks and Higgs, you know, again, one of those situations where what did they end the game with right there? Like 3 eliminations. I know I saw they had 2 in like 11 zone. No real refreshes are coming in, and they are somehow tarping the entirety of these end games from 8th zone throughout. Nobody's looking up, Kelly.
I will say though, they're not tarping, and they keep doing that where they're actually split, and they're kind of creating these 2 towers where Clicks will launch forward at the front of
Actually,
zone, and they don't
very
tarp
smart.
over, which kind of saves their materials. It's now allowing Clicks to kind of get these refreshes, or at least get some shots onto low ground. It's amazing, Zeke. And again, this is just halfway through day 1.
Can we get the back three back? That's all I want. That's all I want. Back three back. Fortnite fan, we hope you are enjoying all of the action. That was game number 3. We still have 3 to go. First, a break. When we come back, we're going to take a look at this lobby list. You're about to be in shock. We'll see you in just a moment.
4 hours. Let's go. By the way, this is raw at all. There's no edits in this video or live stream. Everything's raw footage. That's crazy.
I got hit with that one off. I'm popping in that bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds? No, max up. Wait,
This is me you're watching right now.
100! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Let's go.
And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk? Stay there.
We are back. Really quickly, I said lobby list. What I meant was standings. In case you're just tuning in, you've missed the fact that Clicks and Higs got 2 back-to-back victory royales in a major finals lobby. Now, I told you that you would be shocked. Now, remember, after game 2, we're like, Clicks and Higs should be in first place, right? Well, you know what's crazy? They are kind of in first place right now as we bring up the standings, but interestingly enough, Kelly, we are actually tied currently because Cold and
Score
Rapid
is
decided,
tied.
you know what we're going to do in this last game? We're going to get a second place with 11 eliminations, and here we are. Scores are tied.
I mean, Vivid, you're asking how, but between 9 and 20 eliminations, that right there is a 44-point difference. And if we look at their average placement, yes, Clicks and Higs do have a 2.33 average placement, but Cold and Rapid are right behind them with a 5.67 average placement. So we talked about it. We'll talk about it again, that it doesn't just need one facet of your game to do well. You can't just grab a bunch of eliminations, or you can't just grab a bunch of wins. You have to be able to do both, and that is what Cold and Rapid are doing. They're making sure that they are making it to the end game every single time. For some reason, someone's giving them the mythic reloader, and this is what is allowing them to just have so much damage and so much control on the low ground that the teams that are on high ground, like Clicks, is not even able to get any eliminations.
Ew. Oh my gosh,
Disgusting.
Rapid fending off, winning. 1v2 there on Largon. I didn't even catch that. But as you can see there, when we actually tuned into Rapid, when that solo clutch started, they were on 180 points when Cold went down. So Rapid himself, just being a solo in the end game, picking up 1v2s like that, picked up 30 points to put them on 210. So an incredible performance right there from Rapid to kind of keep them at the top of the leaderboard.
And that was the game that like we were calling out for, right? Like right before this game, we were saying, you know, we're kind of waiting for that big pop off Cold and Rapid game, and they just had it, right? And it's enough to go ahead and tie up first. We have a competition on our hands that is so crazy. Man, even Agers and Ritual right now holding on. And I think what's crazy too, if you look in 5th place, Peterbot and Pollo, right? We've kind of continued to see Pete and Pollo get in the situation where one of them is left solo. But even in these tough situations, they're only 60 points behind. Like, this isn't like, hey, first place is like 100 points behind or like over 100. Like, we saw what one good game can do for Cold and Rapid, right? Peterbot and Pollo, they just need that one game. And then suddenly, like, that gap closes, right?
Yeah, Peterbot and Pollo right now are kind of just, I think they're failing from too much success. They're doing too much on the mid ground right now, and that's kind of putting them into these a little bit of rough positions because they're being so aggressive, because they're looking around at all these different angles on the mid ground. They're getting kind of like chopped out. They're getting pulled out so that they're ending up being a solo over and over again. And although it is Peterbot, and if anyone can run a solo game, it's going to be him. Eventually, you are going to need to be a full duo going into the end game right now. And I think that is just the slight issue that we're having with Peterbot and Pollo. But I say that, and if you look historically, Peterbot and Pollo are a day 2 team. They're already climbing up the leaderboard, Vivid. So although they might not be having the first 3 games that they want, it is definitely not the end for this duo.
Yeah, I think the larger theme here of the fact that still towards the top of our leaderboard, even like the top 10, it still feels like an incredibly close competition, even though we just had, over the course of 3 games, a team win 2 of those games. So crazy stuff kind of happening over here on NA. Every single team, every one of our top teams is picking up points some way, somehow, and they're keeping themselves in the fight.
Oh my gosh, dude. Viv, talk to me about the damage numbers right now. You looked up a stat.
This is cool.
I love you're the stat guy. Hit me with these stats right now. Oh man.
Over the course of the first 3 games, this is how our damage ratios are kind of breaking down. Clicks and Higgs individually both find themselves in 1st and 2nd place, which I just think is crazy, because going into game number 3 right here, it kind of panned out like this as well. Like Clicks was up there like 5+, so I was like, oh my gosh, I want to take a look at the damage ratio after game 3. Got better. His damage ratio increased somehow after game number 3. And if you remember how game number 1 and game number 2 kind of panned out, how many people were going up for higher ground, how many people were fighting them for it, and they still had like these incredibly positive damage ratios. And again, game number 3, that one, yeah, it's kind of justifiable because, you know, we talked about how nobody looked up towards high ground, so it makes sense that they didn't really take that much damage, but those guys are playing super, super good.
That's just wild to me, because we would talk so highly of Cold back when he would get like a 3.0 damage ratio.
Yeah.
That was almost unheard of. And yes, we are only halfway through. I'm sure those numbers are going to be adjusted as the tournament goes on, but absolutely incredible showing from Clicks.
Yeah, and I think if we could just get nitpicky for like a second, right? And this is kind of like we're kind of like talking about this a little bit before break, but yes, we love that they're getting the victorials, right? But we're not hitting those like elim thresholds that we need to be seeing, right? That's why Cold and Rapid suddenly shoot up the standings, right? Because remember, we have that extra point, Kelly, and it doesn't sound like a lot. 1 more point, okay, big deal. But these elims, they will very quickly stack up, especially if you hit double digits.
I mean, when you consider 1 point is, I said 25% before last time, I was wrong. 33% increase is a huge stat increase for any number. And of course, when it's eliminations, when there are teams that focus on eliminations, having you just eventually just go up to them and be like, hey, that tournament that you just did, let's give you 33% more points for your eliminations. And if you look at some of these Div Cup finals, if you have it in the format for grand finals where it's 4 points per elimination, it would be very different teams in the top of our leaderboard.
Yeah. Zeke's greedy, man. He wants more. He's like, I got 2 wins. I want elims. Like 2.
Don't. Why are you putting my? You know what? Casters help. Just take it away.
Yeah,
I want to give credit to Clicks and Higgs. I think what we're watching is the best team as far as positioning and decision making going against the best team at eliminating and running things on the low and mid ground right now. And again, it's only 3 games in, right, Jacobs? But the identity is starting to take shape for these duos.
Yeah, it just almost seems, especially for like Clicks and Higgs, is they are going to win this major one or lose this major one for something they did or didn't do in their own right. They have full control over their own destiny here. A little bit of a passive game plan here. That's how they've been able to get 2 victory hours, Monster, and they're tied for first place. I don't want to cause any curses, but could this be the major? We're already done with half of day number 1. We're jumping into game 4 to start the second half.
This game 4 is going to be an important one. It's going to be the solidifying factor of how did you do generally here on the day. All you need is a good 4 games to be very much in a race to contest a championship weekend. And we are already 3 down. Well, one thing's for certain though, Jacob, no one's playing super perfect just yet, right? Every duo so far has a little bit more to be desired in one area or another.
I was gonna say Sniper Dude and Avenger reaching on over to this side of the map to try to take on Jack and Enpen. Avenger and Sniper Dude, they were landing on the eastern side of the map, almost triple contesting their drop. I thought they were maybe gonna make their way on over towards Wonky Land because that is where they have been playing time in and time out, whether it's a divisional cup or the actual finals lobbies. They're trying to switch things up more so in their favor. Paper and Resi. Split drop here. You can see the 2 differences. Top of the mountain, inside of the house. And Teeks already getting a good amount of damage onto Paper as he tries to make his way down.
Yeah, great amount of damage right there being secured. Resi just opting to back up and get to the usual plan here for the loots. The opponents back off as well. Anyway, Clicks Higgs on the other side. Still, so far, no team has decided to give them any friction just yet. Everyone's somewhat sticking to their strategy, sticking to the game plan, if you will. Just a quick highlight, though. We're at the Sanctuary. Nice little elim here for Sinwatch.
Chimp over here on this side of the map. This side of the map is just so stacked. Even if you're uncontested, it's never easy to make your way on out. Chimp sees a battle in the distance, easily third parties it for a good amount of damage, forcing Ruins to go down low. Catman getting knocked all together. The team actually officially eliminated thanks to more than one team looking on over in this direction. It's not slowing down either. Zypta, Void making their way on over, hearing some of the noise, and they're just trying to figure out what is it all about.
I was gonna say, remember, Zypta and Void were just putting some shots onto Paper in Resi there, so interesting to see how many teams are willing to quickly rotate towards the Sanctuary to get in on the action here. In the end, though, everything seems to settle down now, Jacob.
Ooh,
what's this?
Different approach. You know, they must have been listening to the stream. Zeke was like, I want elims. Kelly's saying 4 points per. We could probably see a different leaderboard if that's how it's going to be. Clicks and Higgs say, you know what? Things have been decided by less than 1 elimination. The majors have proven. The last 3, all last year, Monster, were all decided by either 4 or less eliminations, proving that it could be the difference maker here, even with 2 wins. Tied in first place with Cold and Rapid, who, guess what, Monster, have been picking up eliminations. So Clicks and Higgs trying to take a page out of their own playbook here, trying to go aggressive for the north side of the map instead of just sitting at Wonky Land and letting teams and damage pass you by.
I like it. It seems like this game, they had a bit of a different strategy. Obviously, early game fight's super important, but more importantly is they recognize, hey, the zone's right on top of us. So they kind of pull this card out of the books there. You'd love to see it. Back on over to Veno and Curve, also staying relatively dynamic. No lurk plays for this one. This is another just full-on clash happening here in front of us. Great tag so far. Curve thinking about going in for the shock move there for a second. Oh, those are some big tags. Wouldn't be surprised if now's the time.
Yeah, I was about to say, now it's Shockwave. Shockwave, just thinking in my head, Curve does exactly that. Shockwave's over. Close the distance, reunites with Venom, trying to take two different approaches. Electro just trying to hold him off, but the persistence is there, not only from one, but both of these players. But Venom goes down. He enters into the box, 2v1. Electro and Ult get that elimination. Curve with no shield, honestly 55 HP, almost one shot away from going down. You know they're going to be on the chase.
They're coming in quick. Tyler and Chance are moving in fast as well here. Curve, though, doesn't get caught out by the visual audio cue there while he was eating pizzas. Lucky for him. And look, he actually had to ditch what was left of the box just to stay low here. Take a look, though. We haven't seen Veno lose a fight like this here. Not today. He's been winning these for the most part, but Electro just connects with some big tags there.
Right before we went to the replay monster, I saw them stealing his pizza. Curve, man, how can you let them do that? But hey, sometimes you just gotta let them run away with it, or at least think they can, so that way you can hopefully get Veno back into the game. Consistency is definitely going to be key throughout the weekend. Yes, we do have our top two, but you see a little bit of a gap start to open up from third and down, and honestly, that's going to continue to be the case here for top 13 overall is what's going to make it to the summit land. So you see not just first place FNCS, not just the mountains of prize money, but just to keep your journey to globals alive.
You know, we were all curious on how Rituals and Ager's Storm Surge strategy was going to work out in the early game. So far, we haven't quite seen their definitive route, but we are seeing a little sample of it. Ager's just playing that high ground right now, looking to tag any teams in the general area who are boxing and or rotating around, and seem to be playing their drop very deep into the storm, and so far it's working for them, right? As they're finding themselves in the top 5. Peterbot, Boyo, different strat for them now. Playing the big base here as well. Last game, they were pretty much boots on the ground, keying into boxes and teams anywhere in the vicinity. But for all we know, Peterbot is looking to call a target out.
You know, there was a time a few months ago, before FNCS Divisional Cups even started, and Peterbot was kind of taking a little bit of a break. Players were looking at Clix and Higgs, saying they are the team to beat. Higgs is the best player in the game right now. Everybody was saying it's off season, it doesn't matter, Peterbot's not trying. Guess what? Divisional Cups roll around, the same type of conversation continues to start up, and guess what? Peterbot shows up, he shuts down the talk. But now that FNCS is actually here, we got Clix and Higgs proving that, hey, maybe teams were calling it a little early, but they could be right with the way they've been playing so far. But you have to watch out. Not only those two teams I mentioned, but Cold and Rapid as well. Rapid has been on an insane hot streak to start the year. He's even had a second place in years prior with Higgs in a different tournament. So he has right now a good as chance as anybody else to probably win this tournament.
It's crazy when you think reputation. To have a reputation like Codes where it's like, don't worry, he's going to show up and do what he needs to do is actually just incredible. He is doing it so far here today. Again, we're only 3 games in. It would be silly of us to call it, right? There's a lot of Fortnite ahead of us, and I'm sure we're going to see tons of adjustments, especially not only for the last 2 games, but leaning into tomorrow. Who's going to pick up their replays and come up with some new strategies? We will, of course, have to see that. Visual and Braids continuing somewhat of the pace, if you will, right? Game 1 was a victory. Obviously, the last 2, not quite so, but they've still managed to stay very much in the competition so far. They're looking like a shoo-in potentially for the land spot.
Yeah, I think that's one of the benefits of their drop spot here. A little bit of a split drop just outside of Dark Dominion. You see the Fun Factory, the Carmine Lodge. It's kind of the split in between the two. No matter where the zone actually pulls, they set up on that mountain, because whether it pulls north, south, east, or west, chances are teams are going to have to rotate through them, or at least the paths where they can get shots. And we tune into Curve, still forced to lurk around. They are just waiting for him there. Even when you can buy reboot cards, Curve is just left with very few choices here. As Avenger and Sniper Dude, I talk about them possibly making their return to Wonky Land. It wasn't at the start of this game, but they're still making their presence known over here.
Higgs clicks already looking to secure some eliminations right now. Again, nothing has come of it just yet. There's a team there. Obviously, Higgs is eyeing them up. I'm pretty sure they recognize There's that duo behind that wall there. Flix, though, has a lot to be desired when it comes to the overall loadout just so far. That material count looking a bit light. Comes the big super pad setup right now for Acorn and Bolts. As they're playing this rotate through the dead side of the storm. They actually want to opt to stay in the storm. You can see the marker coming out there.
Yeah, and because we saw what Flix and Higgs, Sniper Dude, Avenger, even saw Cole and Madden all converging over towards Wonky Land, this is going to make it essentially a free rotation towards the western edge of the map. All the teams that could land those shots are already busy, focused on entirely something else. Just trying to stay alive, trying to get Surge, so we should see Acorn and Bolts in a good position this game around. And better late than never in the second half of the day, trying to play catch up to what's been going on around you throughout the game so far. Listen and Aloe, same thing so far, 16 points. Half of those coming in this game alone, contested towards the new Sanctuary. They're able to pick up those 2 eliminations, and sometimes you just need a big moment like that to get things going.
As we're watching this, I'm still thinking about Curve, who was sitting at the reboot card while Electro and company were just lurking, holding it down. Talk about that team. You can see in the distance here, Threats actually putting down some shots onto them as they thought they were slick hiding out there. For Threats and Veer, they might have just saved Veno's tournament here if that distraction's enough for Electro and crew to have to make a move.
Still relatively early, 1 tick, storm damage, plenty of time to decide. See Listen, Aloe rotating on over towards Sus Studios, one of the last teams. Say from this side of the map, you'd still do that a couple more over towards New Sanctuary, but they're just kind of making a pit stop here, healing up before they make their rotation on out. And you see the zip line, they're not necessarily going to carry that into the end of the game. They're just going to use it for right now. That way they can make this rotation just a little bit easier. As Penta spots an opportunity in the distance, he immediately goes after it.
This is crazy. Curve is actually 300 damage above the Surge somehow. Still as a solo. It looks like he might have been putting up a strong defense against Zyfta there for a second. And now contemplating if it's time to go for the reboot. But of course, he's going to make a quick pit stop here for the machine. See if he can pick up some heals to go in and sustain himself here in the storm. I mean, odds. What do you think the odds are looking like right now for Curve here?
I believe in Curve. I believe in Curve. I think he's the new era when it comes to NA Central. He's had some big moments in the past, even before teaming with Veno. It's just Neo. It's just lurking around. You see Noisy, you see Listen, you see Aloe. And so, yeah, you might think they have to go to zone, but for Curve, he's still being hunted down. Look at it in the mini-map. They might have spotted him out. You hear the shockwaves going off. First shot's going to connect on the Curve. The second one as well. Less than 5 HP. No. Time is not on his side to get the medkits off. Neo and Noisy. I'm not sure where they got a glimpse of Curve, but they really made that little moment count.
Yeah, Curve needed to just overbuild right there. Get a couple splashes out and try to survive. But unfortunately, he couldn't put up the offense needed. And they fall in 10th. Positioning now. That's going to be a really tough one to deal with now as we're in game 4, so we're getting deep into the tournament day 1 here. Rapid on the other hand, just kind of healing up right now. Still haven't secured any new points here, nothing fresh earned.
I think that's the difference between Cold and Rapid and some of the other teams is they not only get all the gold, they don't necessarily wait to access the vending machine. They buy their med kits early, so it's much safer for them to sit up there and wait the storm out before they start to rotate in. See, Agers, Ritual, decent loadout, having to rotate. Jargu and Carillion, 1 elimination so far, 600 damage above the threshold. Things can definitely change on course of this rotation. You see them rotating right behind Agers and Ritual. They make a quick peek, try to get some damage. Don't really find too much success, but at least they keep themselves moving.
Sphinx dropped here on this moving zone right now. Muzz is getting chased here. They're looking to try to finish this one up. It might not have been their Elam, but they definitely had influence in it. You can see the loot just sitting here as the lobby all kind of focusing in here and now. Boy and peterbot do have to be careful, though, not to end up like game 2, fully focused by the remaining lobby. And Muzz barely skates out of there. But, you know, I wanted to say one thing about Cold and Rapid. Last game, they had no Elams going into that end game, and then all of a sudden they just took off, rocketing their way straight up. So that is going to be where they shine the most so far. This game is looking exactly like that. Meanwhile, Agers and Ritual, though, Jacob here, are 50 damage below right now.
Yeah, first thing that popped in my mind as we tune in. Uh-oh. Not where I expected this team to be going into FNCS. Constant struggles here at 4 Sturge, below the threshold for sure. Depending on where the next zone goes, they might have to go up the side of the mountain, but they see solo players trying to work their way in. They do land a couple of shots, but I was gonna say not necessarily enough to get above, but they do jump 65 damage above that threshold. Not enough to continue to hold that confidence, but for now it's them grabbing a breath of fresh air, letting the lobby kind of settle. They have almost a max pull, just like a few other teams, so they're just trying to pinpoint where they're going to start using those shockwaves to make it in.
So a little glimpse of CDZ and Raven still in the game right now. This is their first mid-game that we've seen them develop in. But eyes are on Muzz right now. 40 damage above, no Sphinx in sight, still have at least earned themselves a single Elim this game, so it's not a 0-point game. It's a big shockwave here, though. He's got to find himself in a position to actually take a fight or something. But no, look at this. Clicks and Higgs. Higgs is down. Clicks, no heals. Barely anything else to work with. He's got the damage, but he needs a siphon. Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh. I'm watching Muzz kind of go crazy as we tune in. Higgs is already down. You can see Clicks in his struggle here. He's already picked up the elimination. No, he does not make it over in time. Higgs goes down. That kind of leaves a lot of pressure onto Clicks. Top 34 monster placement points have yet to set in, so this is only a 4-point game so far for Clicks in that one elimination. You see he's looking for more opportunities. No shield, no HP, not even a shockwave to boost himself forward, so he has to burn through his materials before he's eventually taken down. The back-to-back will not be a back-to-back-to-back.
Yeah, and that was crazy for him to get the siphon right there to kind of stay in the game. It was looking like there was hope for a moment, but it's just not going to be enough. So down goes Clicks very early in this game before the positioning gets to get rewarded for the rest of the lobby. Cold and Rapid have a chance now to break away. Everyone else inside the top 10 has a chance now to jump up. peterbot, Boyo, need to take advantage of this opportunity. Muzz still holding on. Hey, don't count him out. He's in roughly top 6th or 7th there himself.
This is going to be a big moment right here. About Foil just gearing up, ready, and I was just kind of thinking with Clicks and Higgs down, it's not only Cold and Rapid in which you were talking about, it's Agers and Ritual as well. It's about a 50-point gap between that first and second place tie, and Agers and Ritual are sitting in 3rd place. And so with only a 4-point game for Clicks and Higgs, they're definitely going to try to close that gap, hopefully try to take that top 2 spot after this game. Acorn and Bolts, a couple of speed bumps in their journey so far, but they're looking like here in the second half of the day, they finally figured out how to make things work, rotating underneath the bridge, but you can see not a lot of material or resources left on the Agers.
This is what they do best, though, finding eliminations right now. These big, pivotal moments here where placement points and elims are going to start propelling you up the standings. Cold and Rapid at the front side of zone, nothing to worry about right now. They're going to surely be breaking away here if they keep getting this amount of runway to work with. Cold shockwaves deep into the storm there. It was worth it. He picks up a bunch of extra heals, material, and everything else now. So Rapid and Cold, like we said, just at the start of this, have proven to be the strongest low ground team so far here in the lobby, and they're not switching up the strategy at all right now.
Yeah, they get the front side of the zone and immediately return back, starting to build up, giving them time to work with. Even with Acorn and Bolts trying to go ahead and shockwave over, they have a little bit of elevation advantage. Acorn and Bolts going to be stuck underneath. Quick couple of shots going to fire off in their direction. They're going to hold their position. 336 though above the damage threshold. No real reason to peek, but they're just trying to build that cushion. 4 players go down. Storm Surge no longer in this game. And for Agers, it's not necessarily Storm Surge he has to worry about. It's the lack of HP. It's the 0 builds. He needs a miracle here.
Yeah, and I still saw Muzz playing solo as well right now. But look at this. Talk about solos. Pollo is by himself in this end game right now. So close to making it out the edge of zone. He is going to make it. Could find elimination here potentially, but no, not enough shots inside the magazine there. Still though, does need to splash himself here. Goes for the material first and gets shot while going for it. That little bit of shield being the difference maker to keep him in the game right now. He knows there's danger ahead of him. Forcing himself to build right now. Use the shockwave to give himself that unlimited stamina here now too. Agers falls on the left. Boya falls shortly behind him. in the runway. The opportunity to catch up comes to a close there, and things remain competitive now on the standings. Meanwhile, Bolts and Acorn get off the low ground into the high ground here now.
Good chance for Bolt and Acorn to play a little catch up. Coming into this game, Monster, they were at 9th place, 126 points. No Clicks and Higgs in this lobby. For the past couple of games, it's been them going for high ground, which opens up an opportunity for anybody else if they're daring enough to take it. Reet and Cooper almost picking up an elimination. You can see the desperation in their materials, almost fresh out, and you see Reet going down, just kind of leaves Cooper by himself, trying to hide in that mist, make sure no one could see him, maybe pop off a big shot while he can. Cold and Rapid, though, this is their chance to extend their lead in first place. They were tied up when this game started. Now they're almost at 250 plus points.
Big pressure coming in from Acorn up above. That's almost the decision maker to send Cold back to the lobby, but the pressure's coming in. They see the mist as well, so that's why the shots are focusing in on them. And Bolt and Acorn are recognizing this is their immediate competition right here. This is the threat in the lobby. Who's daring to hold the second height? That's the team they want to send back. Great tracking so far, as now we get to see Braids and Visuals in the bottom right. So far, so good for them. They are slowly creeping their way back up the standings here. From that game 1 victory royale to a strong game 4 right here. They're positioned very well. They're just a couple elims away from being inside the top 3 now.
Cooper
Meanwhile,
going
Jacob,
for
look at
it.
this. Cooper is by himself here.
Game 4 of 6.
Forced into another clutch situation. Good damage, unfortunately enough. Not enough
And
to get the
Wagers.
elimination. Would have been helpful for the Siphon. Wager Slepsy getting approached. They're forced to scramble
Wagers
outside
and
of the box. They go
Slepsy.
2 different directions, though. They don't
Acorn
necessarily
and
have the
Bolts
strength and numbers anymore.
going on a
Slepsy
height.
gets tagged up. Wagers goes down into
I
the
don't
wrong
think,
box. He goes,
Clicks
and what a perfect
and Higgs
elimination
are
for
live
Cold.
still.
Only thing he was missing there
They
was
might
the
be,
HP, and
honestly.
now he picks up the Siphon, looking for more. Slepsy in his path along with Veer. They get good damage. No eliminations just yet, but
Braids.
they're staying persistent, making sure to push them further and further outside of the zone.
That's the problem.
Bolts.
You were hoping Cold and Rapid were going to fall early. Well, guess what? They made it
Rapid.
deep into the top 10 now. Rapid is going to fall here, but Cold follows up.
Cold
just
takes
get
out
the
Rapid.
elimination there too, and the Siphon keeps him in the game. Meanwhile, back to Acorn's perspective, just 30 mats now. That's not a winning amount of material
Three
just yet,
builds from
so
Acorn.
don't count them just in. But hold up, I'm still seeing Visuals alive. I'm seeing a lot of solos here, Jacob. This is not looking too hot for the low ground teams.
Yeah, unfortunately, Visuals' run comes to an end here. Madden goes down. Cole is still left alive, though. It's essentially solos versus duos up above. Veer and Cole down below. They're clashing. Bolts is ready to steal away the eliminations. Remember, 4 points per. Those eliminations could be the difference, but Cole is able to get the elimination onto Veer. That's 4 more points for them, but he's in a tough situation against Acorn, against Bolts, front side of the zone. Medkit just in case, and they're ready to chop it down. No instant retakes.
Twist it.
Mad dash. Bolt's only
Acorn
chance to make it in towards the
goes
zone.
on
He gets
Zen
pulled off
with
again.
the
That
win.
opportunity goes
Acorn
out
and
the window.
Bolts.
Acorn and Bolts have finally woken up here in the second half of the day to take the VR.
And if you was looking at the standings, you wouldn't have even thought they were in the race at 128 coming into this game. Acorn and Bolts do it in game number 4 there, Zeke.
You see, MDF? You see it. Every time you think like, oh, it's all good. Like, it just takes one game, a single
Crazy. One
And we
game.
knew going into that game that 210 was tied at first. They end with 211, so we know they're probably going to be in the top 5, if not even higher up the leaderboard. Oh my gosh, Acorn and Bolts, let's go. Like the casters point out, they are alive. Guys, this is a live situation. Everything's going crazy.
It is going quite crazy right now, but I do love to see Acorn and Bolts, as we heard Jacob say, finally wake up right now. And it did seem like in that game, a lot of our top teams were struggling a little bit, potentially going down. So that top 5, as you're saying, Zeke, it's quite possible, Vivid.
Crazy, bro.
Crazy stuff. Obviously, we
going
did
into
see,
highlights and
unfortunately, a couple of
replays.
our top teams, those that are typically found on the high ground over here on this region, did go down early. So good recognition there for Acorn and Bolts to realize, hey, listen, high ground might be our opportunity to kind of go up there. And as soon as they secured high ground, they never lost it for a glimpse. So great work from Acorn and Bolts to kind of go ahead, take the higher ground. And I got to tell you, this game, like casters are kind of calling out, all of the solos, everybody was just kind of tearing themselves apart all on the low ground. I don't know what happened to this lobby, but it's like everybody ran out of mats super fast. There was even like a minute left to this game before the storm fully closed in and the final elimination comes in. Like, this was a early win here for Acorn and Bolts, ending themselves there with 211 points after that game. That one is going to put them in the race.
Guys, I got a sneak peek. I got a sneak peek at the standings. I got a sneak peek. Are you guys ready to find out where they are? We'll have to wait till after this break. When we return, we'll take a look at the standings. They're in the top 5, but you're going to be surprised yet again. See you soon.
Like that, I beat you in, crank up back to back. Oh, just like that. I see a dub in my future stats. Oh, I know a place you can go. The doghouse outside my massive abode. It's lovely, it's cushy, and sometimes it's cold. Now sit and watch me get this gold. I just want it all. I just want it all.
Welcome back, Fortnite fam. So, Acorn and Bolts got themselves a victory royale in game number 4. Now, as we called out, we knew going into the game 210 was tied at first, right? So, they end that game with 211 points. They are in the top 5, but it's just a little more complicated than that, because you see, they're currently in 4th place, because if we look up the standings, Clicks and Higgs, even though they had a rough game there, they still managed a handful of points. Visual and Braids in that game as well managed to find themselves points with a 5th place and 4 elims, and look all the way at the top. Cold and Rapid. Oh my gosh, guys. This is as unpredictable as it gets. To see Visual and Braids, we'll start with them, to come out with a game like this, a 5th place, 4 elims. We're starting to hit that consistency factor right now, Kelly. It's looking really good for them.
Yeah, this is definitely what Visuals and Braids is known for. We saw them do this all throughout last year with Aminish. They are doing such a good job with consistency, and especially being able to be consistent on the low ground when you have huge names like Cold and Rapid running through it. They're playing this so smart and so safely, kind of sticking to the back end of front zone, or the back end of low ground, instead of staying to the front, which is where all the chaos is. But we gotta talk about it. Cold and Rapid now with a 51-point lead over second place. And you said that we couldn't have predicted it, but I got a tweet that I sent out earlier or not a tweet, but a text that I sent out earlier that Cold and Rapid are gonna end in first place in day one. You all can quote me on that right now, because Cold and Rapid, honestly, when we saw how they've been doing during the scrims, some of these solo clutches that Cold's been able to pull out, I knew that he was locked in. And sure enough, Vivid, we are seeing them today show everyone up. You can say that Cold maybe hasn't played in the last few months, but it doesn't matter because he's playing now.
Yeah, I think the big storyline here in this game is that we did see, going into this game, that Cold and Rapid was tied with Clicks and Higs. With Clicks and Higs kind of going down early, only able to pick up 4 points. This was their big opportunity to go ahead and create some sort of a lead on our leaderboard. And as you can see right there, they picked up that 6th place for eliminations. And I got to tell you, looking at their games right now, they have yet to place worse than 8th place in any of these games. So just playing incredibly well. But yeah, because of how well they're playing, they've got that lead, 266 points, about a 50-point lead now for them.
That's scary territory, right, Viv? That's scary territory because, yes, with a single game, right, we can close that gap, no problem, but they are now firing on all cylinders, right? Cold and Rapid, like you said, have not placed outside of 8th place. They literally have nailed consistency right here, right now, in just day number 1. Kelly, if we continue this trend, they will pull away, right? If we just get 2 more games like this, that's not going to be a 50-point lead. That could be over 100 points.
That's true. And just the storylines that are coming out, Acorn and Bolts, after winning that game, also climbing up the leaderboard right now. Wouldn't it be just so fitting to have Cold and Acorn fighting for first place in major number 1 instead of it being peterbot and Clicks? I would just love for that story to develop. Also, Rapid and Bolts are also 2 teammates that have a lot of similarities as well, or former teammates that have a lot of similarities as well, joined by Cold and Acorn. So maybe we're focusing on the wrong story right now, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a possibility. Speaking about like peterbot and Pollo, did go down early that game as well, which is another one of those teams that we do expect to see on the high ground. Which again, Acorn and Bolts kind of found it a little bit of a breeze to kind of sit up there on the high ground that game. But even though they went down early, peterbot and Pollo, they're still in 6th place right now. So, like Zeke mentioned, one game kind of closed the gap immensely. But right now, about 100-point difference between 1st place and 6th. So that's the difference between Cold and Rapid and peterbot and Pollo. So a lot of ground to make up if they want to, return to the competition at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, man. It's looking different, right? Like, even if we kind of go back to Clicks and Higs, right? We have had these games where, and like, just think about it, right? The moment that you have a tough early game or something goes wrong,
Highlights of Game 5, I think,
making is pushing them closer
or
farther up that leaderboard, right? Because in this situation, one thing goes wrong, and now look, we fall early, and that allows the rest of the lobby to catch up. That allows
absolutely crazy plays happening.
Further away from us, right? Like,
55 seconds going
how just these micro
into
decisions that the players are
Game
making, Kelly,
5
like, it's either
of
going to make or
6
break their game right now. And
today.
right now, more than ever, we can't be allowing that to happen.
No, and it's something that you can kind of expect to happen, even with like,
Clicks and
insane
Higs
consistent
can pull
players
off some
like Agers
crazy
and
plays
Ritual,
and a win
they got
FNCS.
21st place, they got 17th place. They're known for being incredibly consistent. So if you look at, teams,
Ritual
regardless of how they perform
Agers
beforehand,
have
I
been
think what we
placing
need to
pretty
look
good
at
throughout,
is
too.
how, once they have a bad game, like a lot of our top teams did in game number 4, how do they recover? Because we know emotions can run high, and a lot of our top teams are very emotional players. And I think when it comes down to emotion, Ritual and Agers are able to stay cool, calm, and collected. So I think although they might not have had kind of the game 2 that we saw them have, that they are definitely not out. And in fact, even with a 21st and a 17th place, they're in 5th. So they're doing just fine.
Man, I like it. Oh my gosh. Okay, look. We got 2 games left to go. And remember, this isn't the end, right? We just have 6 games to prepare ourselves, to kind of lay the groundwork, and then we come back tomorrow for the last 6. And that's where we're going to go ahead and claim an Axe of Champions. And the top 13 move on to the summit with 2 games left to go. These duos pressure's on. They need to make sure they're doing everything they can to move up that leaderboard and secure these points. Casters, let's get ready for game 5.
Man, Cold and Rapid are on such a hot streak right now, Monster. I'm not sure what anybody in the lobby has to do to slow them down. They land mid-map. They get a chance at a Mythic. They had Rapid IGLing, who's on the insane streak to start the year.
Yeah, and one thing that we're noticing is they're taking their time. So let's see how game number 5 shapes up for this wonderful team.
Now we had a tie to start last game. Now we have Cold and Rapid with a 51-point lead. Visuals and Braids in second. Clicks and Higgs 1 point down from there in third, with Acorn and Bolt. Big victory royale in that last game, bursting them into the top 5. And this is where it starts to get interesting, Monster. As we said, 2 games left. Where you end on day 1 really plays a part in how you get to play out day 2.
Yeah, no one's played perfect so far, other than Cold and Rapid's incredible level of consistency so far. You know, and you would think by now, because of how slow they play that early game, they might have surge issues. So with these next 2 rounds, let's see if that strategy continues to hold up. Meanwhile, Naves and Tex make quick work of paper. It looks like off the drop, just besting them there. So things are looking good. Empen and Jack found themselves obviously here in the finals today, finally making good use of the opportunity. There goes their first eliminations. Nicely done, putting themselves on the board here. Jack and Empen now just have to finish up Avenger here on the outskirts. Gotta run for it.
They're gonna have to find him first, but he shockwaves in their direction trying to get out. He's hoping to hit the rift here. Even if he does, it just puts him in the sky right now, and almost looks like Jack's persistence there is gonna make sure they clean up that elimination. That's their second one on the board. And it's gonna be raining loot for a little bit, so I got plenty of time to go pick that one up.
Back on over to Electro. Oak, we know that this was, of course, the team that kind of threw Veno and Curve for a loop after getting Veno early. You know, Veno and Curve did get to play their game out, but not exactly at the pace that they probably would have liked. Either way, can Veno and Curve find their way back on the tracks here and push themselves up the standings? It's yet to be said. Take a look at Power. Noisy, still in the competition right now, but Neo finds that elimination right there. They're at 110 points here, Jacob. Actually doing surprisingly well so far.
Yeah, and that sometimes all you got to do is keep yourselves within a certain point gap, right? For some players, it's for first players. For others, it's that simple top 13. And right now, if you look at the leaderboard, there's still plenty of games left to go, of course. It's Aviv and King at 136 points, so they're not far off from that threshold, which is a spot at the Major One Summit, Dusseldorf, Germany. And that's why you see teams kind of trying to switch things up. As others taking it a much faster approach, others slowing things down. And for Power, already knows that Penta's gone, no builds. That means these next couple of shots, if he does run into either one of these 2 people, are going to be some of the most important shots in his entire tournament so far.
Most definitely will. So off he goes, try to lurk about here. Zifta, Void obviously watching the exits. Nothing coming about just yet. Meanwhile, Veno Curve back to the lurk. It's just like clockwork for them. Veno might have missed his opportunity though, as Oak was right there in front of him. Still has Electro here to the side though. Electro doesn't even know he's by. Couldn't help it. Has to open fire there. Not the biggest opener that he was looking for, but Curve's already playing a side angle.
Oh, did Oak
Did he
not
see him?
Curve?
Oh, he didn't.
This is going to be one of the biggest lurks right now. It's almost like flip-flop of what they've been doing with Veno approaching close, Curve being in the distance. Chaos Reloader here. Just 1 second of distraction. Nice shot onto Oak. Curve now fighting off more than he can chew, though. Instead of getting full-on aggressive, getting the box, he approaches from another angle, trying to keep the pressure on the Electro, not wanting to let him heal. Veno doing the same thing, but it's only going to be a trade in shots between Oak down below as Curve finishes off the elimination there onto Electro. Now it's going to be a 2v1 situation that does not last long. This is Veno and Curve. This is their get back from that last game.
That puts him at 3 eliminations right now. A very strong start here. Again, elims are rewarded so much more in the current format. You love to see it. Back with Higgs and Clicks, man. This is tough, right? Because now they have to make up for the lead that they lost, and they pretty much handed up on a platter to Golden Rapid there in the last game.
Yeah, they've been blessed the past couple of games. Zone going in their favor, up towards the north, close by wonky land. To see how they handle the pressure if the zone pulls away in the last 2 games. Maybe they can actually utilize the wheel to try to rotate in. But at least they don't have a first place target on their back like Golden Rapid might. Center of the map is Reet and Cooper. You see them straying away from Latte Landing, doing what some of the other teams are doing. One person is kind of on a hill, trying to distract shots from the distance, while Cooper is just trying to walk up, hide the audio visual, and get a sneaky shot. Yes, it's going to be the Thunderburst onto QK. No knock just yet, but that in its own mind is a little bit of a success for Cooper and Reet.
Oh, for sure. Mistakes were made from QK, leaving a sidewall open there, allowing them to just get free tags there. He didn't even realize where the shots were coming from for a second there. Saw the hesitation on the builds. QK Contract have also earned a fair amount of points, right? These are all teams that can still jump their way into top 13. Back on over to Cold right now, who clearly is in top form here. And they're just ahead of the pack by over 50 points right now. Really respectable tournament run so far. Jack and Inpen, though, not looking too hot. We're started off super strong for them, earning some points now. Inpen, though, lost in the exchange outside of the Latte Landing. Madden and Cole are going to come out ahead there. Jack is forced to retreat, and he's going straight into Reed's team, so he does have to be careful.
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't have the timing there. For Reet and Cooper, who've almost done something different every single game so far in terms of how they've been rotating into some of these zones, so it's easy to catch a couple teams off guard. Onboard visuals and braids. Talk about sticking to what works. 250 points, sitting in second place. This split drop outside of Dark Dominion. Just like I said in one of the previous games, no matter where the zone goes, they're more than likely going to be center map on top of a hill. So it gives them the luxury to kind of sit here. Yes, they might have to tank some storm damage, but every team in this game rotating in from the east, rotating from the south, will have to pass by visuals and braids, which gives them at least an opportunity to start accumulating that damage.
Better now than later. For Bolts, Acorn, back to the high ground they go. This is their trusty strat. Again, they started off pretty slow, right? We were looking at them like, okay, so decent game 1, and then things kind of fall off pace, but you have that monstrous comeback all of a sudden now. They are up in that 200-point threshold. And look at this. They got eyes on Clicks and Higgs from up top. You would think that'd be out of render distance, but they can just barely pick up the names there. Meanwhile, peterbot doing the same thing. Has Spoyo down low. He's kind of playing the base here. He's continued to do this as well, being the sniper in the tower for the duo.
Some of the best aim in the game. You kind of see why I connect with 2 tags there, 40 damage. It all adds up over time. Some extra heals not too far away, and then the mending machine down below. And with the zone pulling in their favor, Monster for peterbot and Poyo, they have options to rotate. They can shockwave, they can walk it in, or simply hit that rift that's not too far off next to them. They're going to have kind of pick of the litter, essentially, about where they actually want to end up after this next zone.
Backing over threats and fears. Highlight here. Catching a free Elim onto Muss out the sky there. Liquid in the distance too. Meanwhile, Minish, Javi here, based out, camped out right now. 152 points so far, on pace to send themselves to another LAN event here. For Javi, it'd be his first. Exciting times. But look at this, Jacob. Threats and Veer just trying to finish what they started over here.
Rightfully so. You know, you get that one elimination. Yeah, you can rotate the zone, let him reboot. Maybe you can go ahead and try to attack that later. They just don't want to get beamed for free trying to rotate on out. So you create some distance. Now they start using the shockwave, so Threats and Veer continue on with the rest of their game, which gives hope for Liquid to try to get his teammate back in. Hopefully they have some gold. There is a free mending machine or some scraps all around they can try to access. Only time will tell, though, how well they're able to make this game count with only 2 left.
What?
Curvin.
Look at their Elims.
What?
What's going on?
Okay, so we got Electro Oak. Maybe Tyler Chance. They got to live. What? I'm not gonna say what went wrong, but like what went right for Venno and Curve since the last time we saw them. And honestly, depending on how much damage they take, they might not have to worry about Surge for the rest of this game.
Yeah, that's crazy. 6 eliminations. Obviously, I'm more impressed by the amount of points they've managed to earn after coming up short last game. So they're on their way back up to the top. Meanwhile, QK Contrap just a sleeper duo so far as you know how well they've been able to play for what it's worth, right? This is their first time in this level of competition, going against this level of competition, and they seem to be holding their weight just fine.
I like them not overstaying their welcome, knowing they're going to have to rotate on out. I wouldn't say the farthest pool by any means, but it is going to start getting more and more drastic as more and more teams crowd that edge of the zone. You already see a few in their path, so I don't think they're going to be leaving the zone itself anytime soon, maybe rotating towards the north. You see another team in the mini-map towards the outskirts trying to do just that. Maybe trying to utilize the Latte landing launch pad, but that one's still locked down by Reet and Cooper on this side of the map. Even with them having rotated in just yet, it's almost no worry when they finally make that play.
Cooper, Reet have the nice high ground here as well, but the zone is already pushing them out. I was gonna say, really not many opportunities to find teams either. You can see the remnants of other bases and whatnot. They were probably hoping to see a little bit more activity rotating through here, but might just be a wrong decision for them. Meanwhile, Carillion and Jargo set up the ambush here. Find Aloe rotating behind what looked to be an abandoned base, but no sir. Had this duo still sitting in it.
Trying to think, like Jargo hasn't healed yet. It almost seemed like they had some extras there to try to get the HP back on up. But timing sometimes is of the essence. Beating other teams to a rotation is going to be important to jump back on board Khan and QK. 243 below the damage threshold. You're going to see why they're getting aggressive in this moment outside of zone. It's Listen on the other side. Even if they get the full damage from Listen, there's a chance they're still below the damage threshold here. So depending on how long this fight continues to go, how much Listen actually heals, they're still going to be in a tough spot. But at least they're trying to take it while they can. Continue to close off any exits, take control of the pieces, spotted out Listen again, and instantly going right to the top of those builds. First and second shot is going to connect for Khan, but as I said, still below the damage threshold.
Yeah, nice clean elimination there, but they definitely need more damage here. Carillion in the distance there, kind of listening to the fight go down. Meanwhile, Muzz and Sphinx have built their own additional layer straight across the fortress's edge. This is the first time we've seen an endgame position up here, and look at this. It's going to pull right on top of them for the 50-50. It's a perfect spot to be in. 244 above, not too bad. I think they'll be probably just fine, so long as they don't do anything too rash here. This is actually a really good spot for Sphinx and Muzz to be in.
Especially rotating in early on towards their west. There is going to be the rift. It's out of zone for now, but depending on where the zone continues to pull, you can see a rift in the end game, creating some unique strategies. We go on over to Clicks and Higgs. You see them chopping their tower out just so they can do the long one. You see them attaching on over. They're going to glide their way in. Peterbot and Boyo waiting for the moment to try to get some tags out of the sky. And then they can easily just mimic that same rotation. Choice is definitely theirs because they can go ahead and do it on foot as well. But for now, it just seems like they want to make the fast and easy glide into the zone.
Yeah, definitely, but lucky for Clicks and Higgs, the way they set it up, it sends them so far up. They do end up getting out of that render distance there. Peterbot, Boyo now are going to send themselves straight into the new zone. We'll see where they end up landing. The fact that they're on this same kind of warpath here means they might just end up colliding here shortly. Keep close tabs on them. Jumping in with Encrypted and HQ again. Another team we haven't quite got to see much of their journey. However, they have been very much competitive here on the standings. 138 points here is nothing to be upset about this late into the tournament here. Game 5 right now is in front of us. 98 below though, Jacob. They're hoping to find teams rotating out from outside the zone, but there's no one in sight. They are quite literally the last ones on the edge here.
And this is where the mind games start to play, because you saw the leaderboard when it pops up. They are the line in terms of top 13 going to the Major 1 Summit. They are the team currently to beat. So going down here, especially with one game left and a whole day tomorrow, leave you with a bunch of regrets in the back of your mind. See multiple teams
Peterbot.
rotating in. Yep, Peterbot Boyle below the damage threshold monster.
Yeah, I saw that lightning come down as soon as we were panning over. 42 below now. A couple tags get put in there, but Peterbot and Boyo have a lot to deal with right now. Pressure's on, not only for them not being as comfortable as they normally are this late into a tournament run, but also now having to deal with the surge. Already, though, you saw there, Clicks Higgs to the south, other teams in between them. Great tags here putting onto the solo player in front of him. Power has to deal with that, too. He doesn't get a shot off, though, so it's going to be pure positive for them. But tags coming in from top. Someone might have jumped into the box. I thought for a second there. Even Peterbot shot his own teammate, not sure of what was going on. And the surge is just a lot to deal with now. Here comes another lobby focus. But luckily, they get just enough here onto Raven and CDZ to keep them above the surge. It's not for long, though.
Yeah, it's like a miracle right now, one after the next. You don't necessarily hear that someone's taking these ticks of Storm Surge Monster, but you hear the shields getting cracked when it does that much damage. I think teams all around them getting a huge signal here of what's going
Especially
down. They're just trying to
Peterbot,
take part,
dude.
make their jobs
Falcon
that much
Polo
harder here in terms of survival. But they're
game
constantly
5.
on the lookout. Peterbot Boyo connect with a few shots, yes, barely above 29. They're going to increase that just a little bit, 69
Absolutely
above the damage
crazy.
threshold. It's not a feeling of safety here, but for them,
think
exactly
Clicks
that. We're
and
going
Higgs
into
are
the next
alive
zone. It's a
still.
moment of fresh air, but instantly the wind gets sucked out of their lungs
Oh.
here as they fall 60 below
Going
yet
for
again.
a limb.
Well, for a team like
Pushing-
this, that's all you need, right? Just a little moment here. And
Pushing
they do have some
Higgs.
heals to work with, but the
And
clock
Muzz.
is ticking. 30 seconds remaining. Duo's right up above them into the box.
I don't
Boyo
think- I
goes.
don't-
He hits one monster's tag.
Try to see
Gets
if
the
Higgs-
knock, and
if Clicks
Peterbot's
and
here
Higgs are
to
still
back him
alive.
up. The zone does the rest, and just like that, 2 more elims, and they are safe for now.
Instantaneous.
Big heals to be found as well. Now the Chug only has 40 in it, but that is plenty considering where they
Clicks
just
and
left
Higgs
off
are
from.
still alive.
Meanwhile, we pan over to the other side.
Playing low
Visual
ground,
Braid still
which
in
is
the
a
running.
little bit
Clicks and
different
Higgs there
than
in the
it
distance
used
too.
to be.
Much different story for our second and third place leaders
89 builds on
here.
Clicks.
99 above for them, so things are just
Higgs,
on pace, but
93
the
builds.
pressure is starting to slow
98
creep here.
above.
Look at this, Clicks
Damage
and Higgs
just
might be going for another high ground
threshold.
positioning.
Yeah, this is actually a smart rotation by them. We saw Bucky down, rolling around at the bottom. Zen was trying to save it. Visuals and Braids were pushing up. Instead of focusing any pressure in that direction, they immediately rotate to zone. Jump on board Rapid, less than 25 HP. Luckily, he has Cold by his side, holding on to those builds, making sure they don't get pushed for free. It's actually separated right now. They're in 2 different boxes. That would have been a perfect time to strike onto Rapid.
Easers and Rapid.
Gathering information, waiting for Rapid to make the rotation on over into the same box.
What a
Meanwhile, he
find.
finds
What a find.
another big elim onto Magma. This is how you create moments instead of waiting for them.
That timing couldn't have been better, and Cole's got the right idea. He's thinking this guy has to get knocked somewhere
Absolutely
close by,
crazy.
but unfortunately is going to be out of reach, and they could have used that little bit of loot right there, but the fact that
To
Cold
their
and Rapid
advantage.
have managed to kind of found a stable ground here, that's going to be a problem.
pushing
for the standings.
Braid and-
Meanwhile, Visual and Braids is like the sleeper
Braids,
duo we're not talking enough
Cooper
about right now.
goes
They
down,
have just remained
Preston.
so competitive, and while all eyes are on Cold, Rapid, Clicks, Higgs, Peterbot, Boya, you have Visuals and Braids slowly working their way up the standings as well.
Yeah, they didn't even
Peterbot
really look
and
up by
Boyo,
high ground. They know how many
190,
teams like to go
100.
up there. They said, you guys
Braid,
can have
62
it. We're gonna
builds.
wait and find these perfect eliminations
4
down below
elims.
as another one spotted out onto Wagers. No Slepsy in this game, which means that team is fully eliminated out of the game. Braids and Visuals
Peterbot
continuously
pushing
heating up here
Preston,
in
gets
this
the
game.
knock
Peterbot as well. I did
on
see Preston
Preston.
go down. Luckily, we get a huge view of how Peterbot and Boy were able to pick up another elimination.
I like he captures Preston, opens it, and Preston tries to jump out the box immediately. Just never know. Meanwhile,
Clicks
Higgs
and-
and
Clicks and
Clicks
Higgs are being
taking
pushed.
Storm to get some ultimate positioning here, but Clicks gets collapsed on by Dozier and Eshu, and just like that, he is
Clicks
slightly out
goes
of position,
down,
but so is Acorn
and
too.
Bolts
Higgs
takes
tries to
height.
break the bills there. It's Bolts who
Higgs
goes up
chops
for a
him.
cheeky little high ground play there, and it's all
Absolutely
up to Higgs
crazy.
now to try to play this out for positioning here. This is going to be close, but hey, he's got this mountain, which is all natural elevated here to
Higgs
work
has
with.
mats.
Dozer, Ishu know that they've taken one out from the top. Up they go. Peterbot and Boyo bounce their way back into the game now. 5 eliminations for this team, and finally now big placement points are being earned here.
Yeah, if you didn't watch the last couple of minutes, you would almost not even know peterbot and Boyle were such in a drastic situation, forced to literally fight their way out. Cold and Rapid as well. They finally reunite into the same box, but they're getting pressured on the other side. Rapid's trying to hold on for dear life. Cold is there. They're just trading shots back and forth, but Rapid is taking most of that brute force. Luckily for him, Cold is there, just trying to push that team further and further out towards the zone. There's really no time for Rapid to heal. He has to make this rotation
Higs
with barely
and
a
Cold.
sliver of HP before him and Cold once again reunite on
Cold
the front
and
side
Twiz
of the zone.
Rapid.
Cold is just playing so well.
Peterbot goes for a height, jumps off height.
Meanwhile, Peterbot and
Those
Boy,
the
if you blink,
keys.
you missed it. They went up for high ground. They contest the team. They take down Dozer and Eshu.
Peterbot and Poyo are still on height. They're both alive. Agers, Agers and Ritual are alive. Pushing for a height. Ritual jumps off height.
All a runaway train though. If you are Rapid and
Absolutely.
Cold here.
Ritual makes it sound.
Agers, they made a
Peterbot
play
gets
for high
knocked.
ground, and they get the knock onto Peterbot.
Venom gets
Nobody is
knocked.
now solidified as
Cold
that
gets
team
knocked.
up above. Cold is even trying to retake it.
Cold
Rapid
is
shockwave
still alive,
up.
though.
One team's lost.
Ritual
Another team
blasting
gains.
up
They
to
get
go
shot
to
yet
high
again.
ground.
Agers and Ritual, the persistence is there. They're ready to fight for it all. That fight for that first place spot on the leaderboard. Doesn't matter who's in their path. They're ready to bulldoze their way out of the lobby.
It's only a matter of time before
They've been
someone else gets a
playing
victory
for
royale, but then you have
3
Visual
hours.
Braids here at 8 eliminations. Again, the team that no one is talking about is running things on the mid-ground. Make it
Cold
9, make
and
it possibly
Braids.
even 10 here in the coming moments. Meanwhile,
Alive.
Cold is on the ultimate low ground, no mass, nothing to work with, and he is just earning placement points.
Looks
The
like
one thing
Higgs
that's
has
holding
gone
him back
down.
from really breaking away
Unfortunately.
here, and now he's inside the top 6, and another elim is all his.
Yeah, the zone passes over Cold, allows him to cut back onto Carillion. Now he has another player in
Ritual
his
and
line beside,
Agers,
which is
the
bad,
only-
but there's
one of
still
the only
in
duos
his
left.
path as well. Visuals and Braids. These are all heavy
The
hitters that are
only
looking to end
duo
the run
left
of
is
first place here,
Ritual
but
and
he gets
Agers.
fifth overall. Cold and Rapid continue the hot streak, but there's
Ooh.
only 2 duos
2v2.
left alive. Visuals and Braids, winners of game 1. Agers and Ritual inside
Goes
the
down.
top 3. They get that
Agers
first stop
and
on the
Ritual
Visuals.
get the
Braids
win.
fall shortly after. Agers and Ritual take the game.
In a great fashion there too, but Visuals and Braids now a second place. They already won a game here today. What more can you ask of these
Double
teams?
wins
It
on
is a
Clicks and
who's who
Agers.
in the
Clicks
end game
face
here for game
Agers
number
and
5 there, Zeke.
Ritual.
FTF
Going
the
on to
chaos.
game 6.
It's too much. I cannot believe it. There is just so much packed into these games, man. There's just people overdriving in the air, fighting each other, contesting height, fighting on the front side of the zone, bottom zone, mid zone. It doesn't matter. There's chaos everywhere. But in this moment, Agers and Ritual have found themselves a victory royale in game number 5, and in the process took down the titan that is Peterbot. Kelly, I feel like if that doesn't give me a boost of confidence, I don't know what will.
Yeah, I need to apologize. I was kind of questioning how Agers and Ritual were in 5th place with a 21st and a 17th. I'm sorry. I'd like to apologize. Clearly, your placements are not an issue because you're walking away with a victory royale in game number 5. And you're talking about the chaos, Zeke. You're talking about how we weren't able to really follow along. Well, they were kind of able to just forego all of the chaos, Vivid. Agers and Ritual just kind of allowed themselves to sit in the mid ground, saw all the chaos happening on the high ground, and then waited for everyone to kind of get that out of their system before they went for height and then able to hold it.
Yeah, patience being key here for the duo. Yeah, all that chaos, I couldn't even keep up what was happening. We had solo clutches going on. Low ground was fighting for this. High ground was fighting for that. And yeah, at the end of it all, Agers and Ritual somehow not only impressively got the win, but got it as a duo. Sometimes when those games get so chaotic, it's really, really hard to stay healthy as a duo. But from the high ground, it was easy for them to do, and they got that game win. And I can only imagine what the leaderboard is going to look like.
Oh man, one game left to go, Viv. When we return after this short break, we'll start taking a look at that leaderboard. We'll start setting things up because remember, we have 6 games today, and then after the 6 tomorrow, we're crowning champions. Fortnite fam, we're gonna take a step away. When we return, we prepare ourselves for the last game of the day. See you in a bit.
Game 6 in 2 minutes. Overalls coming up. Game 6. Current watch at FNCS Major 1 Finals Game 6. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing live and video on the Major Finals Game 12. Swizzy mustache, Canada. I will see you guys in the next game.
I got hit with that one off. I'm popping a message. Wait, short. Got 6 builds? No, max up. Wait, if you're mid, wait. 100? 100? Oh my god, no! Oh my god! Oh my god!
And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk? Stay there.
Going on buzz. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We are back.
Fortnite fam, welcome back to the FNCS. This is Major 1. This is day 1. Kelly, don't laugh.
All right, I'm back.
Panicking. I'm stressing. Much has developed after this last game. In case you just tuned in, maybe you're just like, oh man, I've had a long day coming in. I'm watching the FNCS. Welcome. Happy that you're here. Game 5 went the way
many
of
people are
Agers and
watching?
Ritual.
10K.
Which is massive for the duo. They
on
ended
Fortnite
with 267
competitive.
points.
Yeah,
As we
just
take a
go
look
and
at those
subscribe
standings, this now puts them in 4th
notifications.
place. This is
Give it
huge
a
for
look.
them. Now we only have a single game left to go here.
One
I don't know
game.
how, but Cold and
Where-
Rapid
where are we at? Clicks,
continue
we're in
to
fifth.
hold on.
Clicks,
They
clicks,
just
clicks. You guys
continue
need to-
to just
you
find
guys
these
need to pull
little
off here.
consistencies. They just chain
First place is
together these
334.
situations, Kelly, and it's enough, right? A 5th place, 6
You guys
elims,
need to
and
absolutely
still they
crush
are
it.
ahead of the pack. It's only 20 points, but if we just
Cold
keep doing that,
has
right, we just
0
stay ahead of
wins.
everybody else.
Those elims
No,
are
you
more-
keep
most
saying I don't know
points,
how, and then you explain exactly how. They're
Muzz.
constantly making it into the end game. They haven't placed below 8th.
Muzz
They
and
have 30
Sphinx
eliminations, which is more than anyone else in the
are
lobby right
in
now.
last
Cold
place.
and Rapid are completely locked in, and this is exactly what
Peter
I wanted to see
and
at
Poyle
the
have
end of
0
day 1.
wins
We can talk
in
about all the other
7th,
teams right now.
6th
There's so many
place.
narratives to go on, but to see Cold and Rapid, a team that, for whatever reason, people. I don't- I
We
say for
may or
whatever
may
reason,
not
it's
be
because
seeing
Cold, for
something
whatever reason,
crazy
doesn't play
being
Fortnite all the time,
pulled
and
off
you've gotta
from
wonder
Clicks and
if he
Higs if
did
they wanna
play
win this
as much
FNCS.
Fortnite as some of these other players, like a peterbot or a Clicks, just how much even better he would be, Vivid.
It's crazy watching back.
He's gonna have to
some of the
get, like,
replays
a
from
30
that game.
bomb.
You can see a lot of the times how
Not
close
30 bomb, but he's
their
gonna have
game
to
is
key
to
the
being over,
lobby,
right? They
dude.
were kind of walking around on the
Try his
mid ground there.
best
They had
to
0 builds to their
absolutely
name, and
just
that was
obliterate
16, right? There
everyone
was 16
and
teams
try and gain
left
some of his
alive when
placement
that
back.
actually happened,
That's
right?
probably one
No
of the
builds.
most
It seemed like
important
the game was
things,
pretty much
'cause
going to be
he's
done.
in 5th
And
place,
somehow that game ends up
beating
being
out
fifth place for them. Like,
Peterbot and Poyo.
these guys just will not lose. They will not go down without picking up a plethora of points to keep them in that first place spot. Now, they are in first place, but hot on their heels right now. Visuals and Braids. They did close the gap. That game for sure. Visual and Braids picked up a 2nd place with 10 eliminations, which, I mean, dude, that is huge. As you can see, I mean, yeah, they're winning out on the placement points right now. Those eliminations is probably all of the difference between them in first place.
3 minutes and 30
I mean, Visuals
seconds.
and Braids is,
till
again, we
game
talked about it.
6.
Last year, they were constantly getting 4th place in 2 different majors when they played with Diminished. And before we went live, Jacob PR said that they are the best duo that we never talk about. For whatever reason, they only lock in when it comes to the grand finals. But when they do it big. And they're always in the top
It's
5.
the
They're
last
always beating
game
out some of the bigger teams that we
of
talk
the
about. So I would love to give them the flowers that they deserve. And finally, by being in 2nd place
made
after
my
or
bed
towards the end
earlier.
of day 1, they're just grabbing the flowers themselves and saying, look what we can do.
It's scary, right? If Cold and Rapid make one of those little mistakes we've kind of been talking about, you know, Visual and Braids, they're ready to capitalize. They really are. It's got me questioning, guys. Like, obviously, we make the joke like Cold doesn't play the game. What if, conspiracy theory, I'm going to break out my own board here. What if Cold has a secret account we don't know about and he's playing Fortnite all the time? Think about it. Think about it. Let's go back to those.
Secret account.
Let's go back to the standings. Kelly, don't make me laugh on broadcast. Let's go back to the standings. We got to talk about Clicks and Higs, Peterbot and Poyo. Their battle continues, man, for like a while. Clicks and Higs were like, they were pulled away.
2 minutes,
But look at
15
this. We're
seconds
just
till game
separated by 10 points. Oh, man. Even after those 2 victory royales, Kelly, I'm looking at those 10 elims being the difference maker right now. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Well, this is the moment right now that we can see the misstep from Clicks and Higs. We know that they love to take an early high ground, and they saw a zone folding towards this mountain, and so they kind of thought, let's get an early aggression onto this high ground. We're going to claim it, but they stayed in Storm just a little too long, taking a little bit too much damage that Higs and Clicks were not able to recover from Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, they looked like they were in prime position to go ahead and win that game, right? Kind of launching up on top of the hill right there. Just a little bit of an over peak from Clicks. Got beamed by the rifle. I would have to imagine that was, you know, on the receiving end from Ishu, who was going to be the player that ended up aggressing towards him. So Clicks and Higs, yes, 234 points in 5th place, right behind them, like we talked about. Peterbot and Poyo, 6th place, 224 points. Honestly, not a terrible game from Peterbot and Poyo, right? It doesn't really like feel like that because we didn't see them in the end game. We don't really like see them fly up the leaderboard right now, so we're kind of like, okay, it doesn't really look like they had a good game. They got 12th place, so not the best placement, but picked up 8 eliminations, which is their most eliminations so far throughout the day in a single game. So super cool to see. Really liked the high ground play from them, by the way, because as you can see, the elevation changes that were kind of happening over here amongst the natural terrain allowed it so an overdrive grenade combined with a mist actually allowed them to float up to like perfect height to take the fight up there. So super cool to kind of see them make a good play like that. I think ultimately another team ended up getting the best of them. Yeah, that was Ritual and Adris who went up. And I swear, Kelly, we kind of talked about it. These fights that keep happening up in the sky, it's so wild to me. Is there no other better play to make in those scenarios?
Yeah, what was it? Ritual launched up in the air, and then Peter followed up launching in the air as well to shoot Rituals, but then Agers followed Peterbot and shot him instead. And you gotta wonder just how distracted everyone is that there's just 2 different duos floating up in the air having their own Dragon Ball Z fight, and no one else is looking up towards them. But 5 games.
Oh my god, guys, get your popcorn for the game 6 of the FNCS Major
Kelly,
1 Grand Finals.
Okay, this is the final opportunity for these duos to cement their day 1 performance, because they're gonna have to look to pick up the pieces that they've laid out tomorrow, right, and bring whatever they've learned into tomorrow's 6 games and fight for either spots going to Dusseldorf and the Summit or an Axe of Champions and a title, right? Like, this is so crazy. One last game today before we say goodbye. Casters, for the last time, take it away.
Honestly, Monster, I feel like we're just sitting down for game 1, starting the day. We're in game number 6, the last chance that these duos have for today to try to get as many points and close that gap as possible.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have had another coffee before this all started. I really didn't need it. The competition is that good right now with Cold and Rapid in such a monstrous lead. Let's just see if they can hold on to it.
Cold and Rapid with 0 victories.
It might be too early to start making a little prediction. Who's landing on who's ready to take it by force. This is
There's
game
those
6,
clicks
and
and higs
honestly,
that
where
won't
you
land
stand
again.
at the end of today, you're gonna have to go elimination crazy tomorrow. You're gonna have to get consistent top
NPen.
placings if you do
I
want to win this
see
competition,
that.
as Jack and
Haven't
NPen do
spectated
fly
them in a
down
while.
at their drop spot uncontested this time around. They got to watch out for the mountain ranges with Cole and Madden, Acorn and Bolt, and even Frigid Fortress where Osin and Scare land. But for now, it does look like they're going to have a good early game.
Still can't believe Paper's trying to 50-50 this weapon here, considering he fell off the mountain before, but this time he does win the exchange there. He is up 1. He's got full control here. Other fights happening in the feed. Seems like a little bit of a mix-up. Saw Ritual take down Raven. Wonder if that's because he put boots on the ground first and took him out the sky. We'll end up getting some updates there shortly. Jumping in with Cold and Rapid, though. I mean, Jacob, talk to me, dude. What do you think needs to happen in order for the Kings of Dark Dominion to fall?
Rapid.
Honestly, they just need to have a game that is unlike any other. Their worst game today is in 8th
I feel like
place
we haven't
with
been
5
spectating Clicks and
eliminations.
Higs
So it's going to
enough
be hard to topple
over
over
the
a team
hype
like this. You
of
see Max,
them
you see
trying to
Moppings.
win FNCS.
No, I know by looking at this point of view, you'd think they're going to run into each other. But Max and Moppings are underneath in those little turbines just trying to loot. It's a little bit of a split drop. Cold and Rapid don't typically go underneath there. So it does look like both of those teams, you know, I'm doing air quotes here, uncontested in this game. Nothing too much to worry about. Visuals and Braids, we've seen them at the start of some of these games so far. They don't really stray away from their plan. They are in the center of the zone. They just got to hope that they get the good loot because they don't normally go and scoop loot up else from anywhere else.
Just take me way back to that like Cami Seti day where they were landing kind of split mountains and having full control of the center zone. No problems with rotates, but give us a
4
second here.
ammo,
Peterbot,
double 4.
Boyo doing what they need to do, finding an early elimination, rotating out. This is almost looking like a repeat performance of game 3 and 4, where they wanted to play hyper aggressive to start making up for points. And it has seemed
They
to
need
pay
to
off
make
for
up
them
their
for the
points,
most part,
honestly.
right? Like all they're missing is kind of closing things out and making some big end game performance or positioning points, but the elims are definitely there.
100% though.
You know they can pop off at a moment's notice. We tune in Acorn and Bolts.
Don't worry, I'm not
This is
going
one of those
anywhere.
drops
I'm
where
gonna
you
watch
don't
the whole
necessarily
thing.
get contested if
the
you're
whole
Acorn and
game.
Bolts because it usually narrows down to just kind of like 2 separate 50-50s on top of the mountain for those chests where Acorn and Bolts usually more times than not have beaten out
Make you
teams
guys
like Peterbot and Poyo.
use code
to go ahead and play this
MAXPLAYS in
drop
the
as
item
their
shop
own, which kind of means they're safe
for
for the early portions of this
50%.
game. 20, not
that's
so
gonna
much.
help you a
Neko's
lot,
already down,
dude.
so the world is literally
Today's
on his
sponsor,
shoulders
I
for the
haven't
last game of
talked about
today.
them
But luckily
yet.
for him, there's still
But
so many other teams right by him
I
battling
will
it out. It's
be
going to allow him
reviewing
to
them
disengage for free.
just in a little
Yeah,
bit.
get saved by
when there's
Bucky and Zed
50
who just
people
come
left.
in and then get crashed on. They thought they were going to set up the big alert, but it seems like they were spotted out. Meanwhile, Listen and Aloe seem to have been fragmented apart as well. Well, he's forced to play by himself, so quite the messy start for all 4 of these teams or so. Meanwhile, Braids, though, falls here. It's all up to Visuals. Big
Void.
problem here. It's Magma and G Monster who come crashing the party here. Visuals, though,
Go
gets
in, go
collapsed on.
in.
It's not looking good. G Monster's in the box. Visual forced to back off, and I don't think he's going to be able to get away. But G Monster fails a little edit there. This gives him some time. Visual gets a little heal off, and this is so close. Just like
Magma,
that.
don't-
Second place is down and out. They thought they were
Crazy.
safe on the mountain here, and it's just all over.
Luckily for them, they have a 36-point
Bucky
gap. They
is
are in
still in
second
this
place,
too.
like you said, 311 points. Third place is Acorn and Bolts at 275. So a little bit of a cushion. You got to imagine they're going to fall from that second place spot. But how high do they stay on the leaderboard after this game is said and done? Is what really going to matter. start bot reviewing a little bit early as peterbot Foil continues their rampage, returning back to Squibbly Shores for Mafia and the Tick. This is where they went to try to get that reboot off. Maybe they're gonna pick somewhere better because they just get eliminated yet again. The Tick is literally going to be left by himself. Not sure exactly where he's at, but he has to be close by because the reboot just went off.
Nice little pickups there. But you know what? Last game they did this too, and they still found themselves not exactly in a position to, you know, outpace the general surge damage. So these elims are just coming across as super quick, but it will come down to can they pick apart other teams on the rotates there as far as positioning is. But Curvin, Veno back into the mix here, back in the action.
In with Veno, trying to get the elimination chance. They got it.
A little deja vus. They take down Chance and Tyler once again here. We tuned in like Zone 4. They had 6 elims. We'll see what they end up doing this game.
That was my friend
really
Chance
just
that qualified
quick advantage of the teams that are contested on the south side of Battlewood, whether it's just damage or full-on eliminations just like that. They have their game plan set and ready to go. Acorn and Bolt similar for them.
Anymore.
This time around, you see them get off of the mountain right away. They have a feeling the zone is not going to pull over in that direction, so they want to get one of these priority positions over towards Painted Palms. A little bit of a mountain. They go ahead and replenish some of those builds, brick and metal, and they're going to sit Bolts up top, and he's going to be the primary source for their search.
Got the split once again from Higgs and Clicks here. This time, not opting to sit right on top of the wonky land.
42 teams, 77
here,
left.
so
145 builds on Clicks.
Here it is. Creon and Dragon there, based up in the distance. Clicks might find some tags here shortly.
Takes a bait right there. One of them in the bush. He knows Higgs is going to be able to watch his back. Got to make sure Clicks doesn't get lurked on for free, and vice versa. Trying Threats and Fear. Riptide, uncontested. They've been able to get the Mythic more times than not. Time to put it to use. 220 points. They're in contention of that top 13 spot. About 114 points away from first place as well. So one good game here to close out the day for a good chunk of the teams.
Only
Possibly bounce him into first place as Bucky does go down. Blake and Preston are able to get both of those eliminations and even a third on top.
I don't think it's possible for them to catch up.
Nice set of points right there.
Because they don't even have
them
100.
in the conversation so far. Again, there are still teams fighting for that top 13 to make it to land. Jacob, you want to take a glance at what's the threshold, just so we can continue to kind of bake that into the story here, because I know we're looking at obviously who's in the championship race, but remember, there's so much more on the line for this first majors.
Yeah, right now it's at 158 points, and that's being held by Slepsy and Wages, barring any eliminations early on in this game, of course. And it just goes to show how close it is, because below them, Scare and Osid, 156, Tyler and Chance, Jargo and Carillion tied at 150, H-Cube and Encrypted at 138. Literally, one elim separates so many teams from the next placement point. A couple of actual placement points throughout the course of this game could really change the role. And last time we saw Threats and Veer, and looking like clean rotations through the zone, but they get spotted out by Curve and Veno, and in an instant they go down.
And they were in 7th coming into this game, so that's going to open things up for sure for everyone else below them. Madden, Cole here are one of those teams inside the top 10 that are just trailing behind them. It's quite the jump, too, from 8th and 9th. It's a 20-point jump to get to Threats and Veer, who was at 220 points there. So you can see that because they fall, this
oh my god, what is
in general
Cooper
is going to become
doing?
more and more condensed
That's
towards
crazy.
the bottom.
Oh, jumps on Skinny,
We've seen them
trying to take him out.
And come out successful. They just seem to be
opening the box.
essentially picking apart these same duos in their vicinity, and this is how they're earning all these points here.
Absolutely going crazy.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's planned or not, but kind of like what you're saying.
I'm still hoping
one
Clicks
elim,
and
let the
Higgs
reboot go
can
down,
pull this
clean
off.
the elim up again.
I honestly
Only
don't
3
think they're
so
going to
far.
be able to, but
2 of the elims
maybe
from
it's still
one of the
possible.
same players, then he's able to get Skinny
They can
Cat, some of
get
the
10
eliminated in an
wins
earlier
game.
game, but
I
all
think
of
it's
that was
possible
going
for them to
down.
win
Guess what I
FNCS.
saw on the feed? This here, Veno with a double elimination, the
Veno,
shockwaves and the fizz. And the interesting thing about that is you don't necessarily get the audio visuals, so he is just just sneaking on players left and right.
This is how they're doing it. This is how they're basically the most successful early game team I think we've tuned in with on this entire tournament.
Was
They could just
in
clean up their
13.
end games, get a little bit of luck on the zones, maybe some positioning. They'll be up at the top. So tomorrow could be a day of adjustment
Just
for them.
barely
And we could
is
very
making
well
it
see
to
a Venno
win.
curve comeback. Mud Sphinx were in that same conversation for quite some time, but again, just coming up short, finding themselves being picked apart, I think, by peterbot and Boy on that last game there, as they fell
124
23rd in the
kills
previous one, and then
on
8th
Sphinx.
last round with only 2 elims. So either way, they did manage to clutch up, even though they were taken out a little bit earlier.
Sometimes just being patient, not making a
Getting
rush
tags, which is good.
to decide any decisions. I'm just kind of having a calm, cool, collected demeanor. It's very, very similar here to Cold and Rap, and you can see
Lots
top
of mats
total
and builds.
shock and damage of everybody else in this game.
Absolutely
Just goes
was.
to show that Cold, man,
Which
it's
is
just the
one
rumors
good
are true.
thing.
Doesn't have to play. Honestly, just the grind that he's put in the past couple years alone is paying off. He's prime time player here. One team's going to be in their path towards the south. Even though they have to rotate in towards the east, they do have the shockwaves, they have the fizz, so they can cover a good chunk of distance in no time at all.
Trying to
Just
take
little
out
did they know there was a
Cold
team
and
rotating
Rapid.
right below them there, so
Oh
a
my
little bit of a
god,
missed
what are
opportunity
they
for them.
doing?
Meanwhile, Cooper and Wheat have
Peace
this
and Cooper.
crazy.
If they get shot out, bro,
I was gonna try to describe it, but
what
I
the
don't know what to say.
heck?
This was
That's
set up
usually
for
so much
obviously
mats.
some tags fishing here.
How does Cooper still have almost max?
game is
They
when the zone
both
gets
almost
pulled towards
have
the
max
south,
mats.
or even the western side.
both have
where we're
backs,
going over towards
actually.
Wonky Land and the mountains.
How?
Reed and Cooper kind of made it a priority to rotate rather early on, but this
Just
time around they
Reed.
do got latte landing. If they do need it, they have the launch pad right behind them as well. But they're there just on the edge of zone. They can easily climb back down, shockwave off, try to close distance that way, depending on where the next zone falls. So it's not going to be too many difficult decisions for them to come up with as the game continues to move on. Aviv and King, though, all the way on the south towards New Sanctuary. 2 eliminations so far, and this is one of the first times we're seeing them really stray far away from Sus Studios to try to pick up early damage.
Those are some huge elims. This is going to put them right in contention for the top 13.
100%.
We're at 144 now. Elims are just the best way, really, to go ahead and make sure you're on pace to qual.
But it's also one of the hardest
Trying to
ways.
fight for first.
Placement's easier than getting limbs.
Targeting down Osid. Scared
Sometimes
down
you're
low.
forced
See up top,
into
Bolts is clutched
elims,
the
which is the
78
worst.
points as a solo, the most of all players here today. Just really showing you why Bolts is one of the better fraggers out there. His ability to perform clearly has been shown here this weekend so far.
Absolutely going crazy.
They've been able to get at least one win so far. Kind of woke up from that slumber. Venno and Curve getting aggressive. This is first place thereafter. They got the Elim onto Cold. Rapid's now by himself, stuck in a tough spot, trying to get out. He used the porta potty. King and Aviv in there are as well. They're just trying to get out, and now Curve and Venno have to make that decision. Do we go along with them? It does look like that answer is going to be yes, but luckily for them, King, Aviv, they've already rotated on out. 2,000
Curve
damage
and Venno
above
in
the
store.
threshold. Venno
Making
and
their way
Curve
out.
realize the
They should be able to
situation
make it
that
out
they're
with
in, Monster.
shockwaves. It
Taking a
is
page out of
one of the
Peterbot's
best
playbook,
ways
saying, hey, if we have any hope
to
of
rotate
winning this tournament, it's
this
going to
season.
be by eliminations and coming back.
The best part about that is Venno and Queasy quite literally set that trend, right? They were the first villains we've ever had in the Fortnite lore.
I don't think Pixie.
Venno's at 7 eliminations
alive.
total right
I
here
don't think
alongside
Pixie's
Curve.
even
This
in.
is just some exceptional performance right now. And again, it just makes you wonder. They have been the most successful
Curve and
early
Venno
game duo that we have seen when
absolutely
it comes down to
cooking right
just the way they've managed to ambush duo after duo.
Curve has
It
2
is
kills.
just a matter of finding placement
Venno
points
with
in the end game.
5.
I'm feeling a
7
big Venom
kills.
game here.
Holy.
I'm feeling a big
This
Venom
game.
here. Gold pistol, mythic iron pump. This dude is going to turn. Look at people.
Drew
They are going to
in
go
F4
out like a
taking
light. So I'm
surge
eager to see how he
damage.
continues to perform. If he does make it into the next portion of the game, Max Pull, though, for
765
Peterbot, Boyle,
above
and a few others.
on
Much
Peterbot and
better off,
Boyle.
though, this game
Holy.
than they have in
And they're
previous
both
games
almost
in terms of that
max
Storm
health.
Surge, almost 800 above the threshold. Kind of doing something similar to Curve and Veno, looking around for those eliminations. They've been able to close
That's
the fights
crazy.
down pretty quick, not extending them to where they're trading damage back and
Higgs
forth. They just got to worry
oh my
about this
God.
rotation here. We're kind of seeing the other
Higgs are
side
in
exactly that.
6th.
Rapid by himself, and honestly, any points
I
here
don't
from
think they can
Rapid are
clutch
huge. He
unless
just
they
needs
get a
to get inside of
win.
the top 25.
Got to give himself a little bit of cushion to work with here. Now, remember, Visuals and Braids is down as well in second place. So first and second go down. This is the perfect scenario for an Acorn and Bolts to have an opportunity to kind of solidify a lead going into day 2. And Acorn has not been someone who has often had
still have
successful day 1s.
tomorrow
He usually comes
for them
back
to catch
stronger
up.
day 2. And although he's won Major 1 for the last 3 years consecutively, it has not been easy performances, no easy walk away, no runaway performances. It has come down to strong day 2 kind of cleanups in his performance. So this is by far the best we've seen so far. Just keep that in mind as you watch this game go down. So if Rapid can manage to clutch up, the rest of this entire tournament is in trouble, right?
Muzz
Now, if he
and
falls
Sphinx
early,
still
as he probably
alive.
should, everyone's got a chance.
Yeah, if I'm Rapid, I'm aiming
32
for top 12,
teams
top
left.
10. That's a good chunk of the placement points. Almost half. We're in the top 8. You get those, but he gets
Here he
spotted
is.
out. You
60
can see he's
players
running
left.
low on materials.
144
Uses the shockwave to
above
try to get
damage
away. He's going further
threshold
outside of
on
the zone
cold and
to try to
rapid.
hope there's less
Cold
and
goes
less people
down
in this pathward inward. 89
to
above the damage
Ritual.
threshold. A couple shots are going to connect there in that instant. But you can see he's just trying to return back to some of these boxes. Maybe even break his way in to try to find any scraps left behind. But he's just waiting for the zone actually forces him to move in. That's where he's going to dig in the pocket and try to pull up
Right
the
above
shockwaves.
them is
Let's get a
Muzz
couple
and
tags in while he's
Sphinx.
at it. Meanwhile, Muzz and Sphinx healing just outside the box of Peterbot and Boyo. They're looking, they're trying to see if Muzz is going to make a mistake and weaken that wall with an edit. That's all it's going to take for them to break right in. They say, nah, screw it. We're going to go out and break in ourselves. Meanwhile, Ritual takes down Blake and Preston here. The little side angle.
Ritual and Agers.
And Agers and Rituals are
Good
very much
contestants.
in the race
Clix
right
and
now.
Higgs
This
are
could be a
still
team that
alive.
we're going to have to be talking about here shortly. If they go for high ground, if they go for a win. Rapid, you see him on the side of our screen just flying across now. And everyone here in this back corner, Jacob, is in a world of trouble.
Yeah, they barely got above that damage threshold for Muzz and Sphinx because that would have been Muzz
Sphinx
going
needs to
down. He had
pop his chug.
24 HP, one strike takes him
Veno
out
falls.
of this game, but luckily for him,
Boyo's
the
down.
Jug's there. Boyo's down, Veno's down, Rapid's still alive, and for Rapid, with how things have been looking, this is a huge blessing with a bunch of our juggernauts being left as solos.
Curve, that's it. That's all that's left to kind of play this one out. Placement points hasn't even been given out, mind you. Peterbot's also solo here. So everyone that has this blessed opportunity to try to close the gap is now left as solos. Sphinx in the same position as well, 66 below. He's taking damage in your bottom right.
Crazy.
Peterbot's just
Curve
lurking
with
here, waiting for a chance. Everyone here just wants
1,584
position, mind
above.
you.
Oh my God.
Just
Sphinx
basically
at
get
2
in the
HP.
zone. Three
Muzz
different
goes down
solos.
with
World
27
difference that
above
they're all going
on
through.
Sphinx.
Sphinx literally has 2 HP
36
trying to
above.
find his way out. Curve finds another elimination. That's Higgs.
If he
That's
gets
an
one
elimination
strike, he's
onto
out.
Higgs.
Oh my God.
Not sure if Clix
Peterbot
is
and
still
Boyo,
left alive. Didn't
520
necessarily
above.
see a knock there, but another big name
1,000
being put on the
30
back
above.
foot here. Even Sphinx
On
barely
Curve.
surviving. I'm not even sure how he's not been looked at once. Barely just 2 HP. Clix is in fact still alive. So another big name left as solos here. Luckily for all three on screen, all of them are going to be above the damage threshold. Even more so as Peterbot finds another elimination.
This is crazy right now. Peterbot's putting up the clutch here that he needed for the tournament. There goes the big shockwave to get him into the zone. He's just going to take the most advantage of having that max stamina. And there he goes. Changes layers now. He's in a strong position. Meanwhile, Sphinx is still at 2 HP. He is slowly earning placement points, though, here. He can't afford to play with the zone. These are some of his old builds here. He's going to still continue to go around the outskirts. Bringing focus back to the left, though. I mean, this is
I did
insane to
watch
kind of
some
play
of,
out right now. Everyone
the
here,
EU version
although they are solo, are playing
earlier
exceptionally well.
today.
Curves on the heels of Clicks, though. Clicks barely manages to get away there.
Yeah, you can see right now in terms of curve, he's really just out of builds entirely. 0 left, gets spotted out on the other edge, can't build to protect himself, so he scrambles
Curve
around until
goes
he's
down.
finally
Clicks-
taken
Clicks
down.
is
That's
alive
a big
still.
elim by peterbot there. You said it yourself, 266 points single-handedly
Higgs
trying to
goes
put the
down,
team and the
32
game
builds
on
on
his
Clicks,
back. Close
32,
the gap coming into
21
tomorrow. Clicks trying
builds
to do
on
the same
Clicks.
thing, but it's a diminished in hobby. We talk about solos here in this game. We
Peterbot
finally
with
had to
5
emerge as
builds,
the high
3
ground
builds,
team.
1 build,
Clicks is still in
gets
this
the
as well.
refresh and then
Couple builds, but
dies
QK
to
contract
Ritual and
got him
Agers.
cornered. Meanwhile,
One of the
Agers and
few-
Ritual finally
one of
start
the
finding more
few
eliminations.
duos
They're one of
left.
the stronger duos still alive in the low ground right now. They find a refresher, and
Clicks
Clicks
is
here,
still alive.
although he's got no eliminations, that's been the problem with Clicks and Higgs. They've gotten the placement points, but they need the elims. And what more can you ask for from Clicks right now as he's almost inside the top 10. He runs into a full duo. He has to back off. Monster's shot there, though, just to kind of keep pressure on these opponents, but he's got to be careful. He still has no builds.
Ooh, they go
And there's
down to
another
Acorn.
duo there. It's Acorn and Bolts just waiting to pick them up, and they secure an elim. Up to second place, Acorn and Bolts go now as they are inside the top 3.
Yep, now just to be able to
21
secure a
left,
win,
11
who knows,
teams.
we might be able to see them at first when the day is over.
Agers
Peaks,
goes
that's a big
down.
shot. Agers goes down, though. You see Ritual scrambling around.
Ooh.
Even with 3 builds left, he's trying to be calculated about how he uses his materials. Big shot gonna be supplied. I'm not even sure why Dozier went back, but he's gonna regret that one as Ritual picks up a
18
big
builds
elim.
on
Even more so,
Ritual.
the Siphon keeping him alive. Runs into
Agers
on
is
the
dead.
other side. Ritual is going off right now, picking up another couple of eliminations.
Ritual
We have to jump
goes
off that beat
down.
For just a second. Down he goes at 7th place. It's Reed who's here to meet everyone with the shotgun shot. Now it's Reed's turn. Down goes Contrap. Down goes QK here shortly.
Oh, and
Getting the
oh my
shot.
God,
No, he
Reed goes
doesn't,
down.
And he falls just in the top 5. Meanwhile, Bolts is still alive here, clutching up for
6
placement
left,
points.
4
Just doing
teams.
it big here. Everyone you expect to perform is doing it here and now.
Yeah, 2 solos left alive, 2 duos. I'm and Up and Salt. They're taking the charge down below, but they're also taking the focus from that team up above. Bolt's trying to hide the audio visuals, realizing no builds left, can't continue to protect himself.
Ooh,
Missing
so
1
close.
pump away, but he goes down, not able to get the max 200.
Enough.
That leaves I'm and Up,
Come on.
another player as a solo. Salt's going down. Aminish and Javier firing up from above, trying to burn
Ooh.
through those materials.
Oh my
Enough
God.
does go
2
down.
teams
They don't
left.
even know where this last player's at, but he's up above trying to get
1v1
catch him off guard.
almost.
QK, there is a
Gets
moment
the
here,
almost
Monster.
knock, gets
He
him
gets
1.
almost a minute down. There it goes. The knock
Oh,
is cleaned up.
okay,
QK,
wins
QK.
the game.
Oh my God! I've never witnessed that in one of the biggest lobbies of our time.
197 points now. He might have just did enough after this weekend is over to send himself to LAN. That is the type of performance we want to see here on the final stage, Zeke.
Crazy.
That was
Yeah, no, Zeke, that
that was
definitely.
insane. No, Kelly, hold on.
Sorry.
That was insane. First off, Jacob PR, MDF, thank you guys so much. Fantastic to the cast. Oh my gosh. QK, first off, can we just say that was the game of solos? Every duo was just a solo, right? Like all these high profile duos, and even in this situation, QK with Khan gets put in a solo situation and 1v2s for the VR, and Kelly and
about to
gets
be
8 elims
done with this.
when it matters. That's crazy. That's
To
crazy.
go from our last chance qualifier to getting the final
Crazy.
victory
Tomorrow, the
royale of
next
day
6
one
games
definitely is setting
goes
QK
off.
and Khan up for an interesting storyline. And there was a moment we could even hear the casters saying, I don't even know where this other solo player is. I thought it was a 2v2. It was Javi and Aminish versus Sol and I Am Enough. We don't have to worry about this 5th player. But no, Vivid, you do have to worry because it's Fortnite. And if there's anything you can predict, it's the unpredictable. So big shout out to QK and Khan.
Yeah, QK
Crazy.
just coming out from nowhere. We actually saw him pick up the elimination in the storm, so he must have been healing out there before he made the return to the zone. MDF kind of caught it out. QK, after his incredible solo clutch, was able to pick them up enough points to put them on 197. I can tell you right now that going into that game, they had a total point count of 100. So they basically doubled their points based on that solo performance right there. Doubled.
I'm telling you, one game, a single game can change absolutely everything for these players. Congratulations again, QKCon. VR game number 6. Okay. This was it. So first off, we have wrapped up the 6 games for today. So before we take a look at the standings, again, I just want to remind you, we have 6 more games tomorrow. So this day was all about cementing a lead. Coming in, making a statement, and making sure you have enough points that when you start tomorrow in those 6 games, you have what you need. You have enough gas in the tank to get you over the finish line to either qualify being in top 13 to the summit or look to hold the Axe of Champions high. I've gotten word standings are crazy. That being said, I guess let's go ahead, take a look and see what these look like as we prepare for tomorrow's
Agers.
game.
Oh, Clicks and Higs at 7th place.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Acorn and Bolt.
I guess let's just start top to
first.
bottom. Let's just start. We'll start top to bottom.
Agers
Acorn and Bolts have
Where's
suddenly
he
moved
didn't make
in
it. Wait, did he
to
make it?
first place off of Bolts
Oh, he didn't
solo.
make it. Yeah.
A 4th place for
Oh, he made it to
Elims.
top 13. I think.
Kelly, how?
I mean, it's Acorn and Bolts. That's
crazy.
how. Of course, it is Acorn and Cold in 1st and 2nd place with a single point separating them, Vivid. My gosh. But that's
Oh my
also not even to
God.
consider just how close everyone
Well,
in
they
our
had
top
the
4
nine- I mean,
is. That is just 28
Cold
points
and
separating 1st
Rapid
from
had
4th
31
place.
Elims.
Incredible run here. You know, I
could've
can't lie.
separated
Acorn and
them,
Bullets, they've
honestly.
had, I would consider kind of like a quiet day. Like I don't think anything
But
kind of
Acorn and
crazy has
Bolts
happened.
had
I
the
mean, they
win.
won game number 4, but you know, it's not like they like popped off like huge amount of eliminations. Bolts has had a couple of solo clutches where he's picked up like, you know, just a couple of eliminations to kind of keep it going. But I would honestly say that it's felt kind of quiet. Like we've been highlighting these other teams who have had pop-up performances, pop-up wins. You blink and you miss it. The guys are at the top of the leaderboard somehow. I mean, yeah, it's close up there, but incredible to kind of see them sneak their way up there, in my opinion.
1 point. A single point! Of course. Cold and Rapid, 1 point behind. Now, again, so this is something we talk about, like, and we kind of sprinkle it in here and there, but, like, you can't make mistakes at this stage, right? You make a mistake, that allows everyone else in the lobby to make a move. To kind of, like, say, hey, you're out of the way. Sick, let's push harder. For Acorn and Rapid, they fell 26th with 1 elim in that game, right? And think about how far ahead they were. And now, because of that mistake, Acorn and Bolts are at 1 point ahead of us. It took 1 game for that to kind of like fall apart, Kelly.
I think
Yeah,
they,
it's
fall
wild
behind
just how much
next
our
game
narrative can shift with
tomorrow.
a single game, with a single elimination. And I mean, right now, if we're talking about single movements, I do have to look at the threshold right now, reminding everyone we are looking at the top 13 to make it in Dusseldorf. And that is QK and Khan right now, currently sitting in 13th place. So that win, if this was just a one-day tournament, that last game would literally be the deciding factor on if they're going on an international trip to compete in a LAN. So I love it. That is what this is all about, Vivid. It is about these crazy games that can completely shift the storyline.
Yeah, I mean, we run everything back tomorrow and everything pans out the way exactly as it did today. Hey, UK Con, they're going to the summit. So an incredible performance. And UK's like, man, I got to do that again tomorrow to qualify. Are you kidding me? Poor guy's sweating over there. He's like, wow, that was incredible. We need a reaction to that, by the way, on socials. I'm expecting to see it.
Oh man, yeah, that's the thing, right? Viv is like, we've got another 6 games tomorrow, right? And it may not even be, hey, I need to run that back. It's I might need to do just like the very best I can to make sure that I'm just enough ahead of the other team that I can stay in that contention, right? I want to just bring up the leaderboard just one more time, and obviously, like, we have a show tomorrow. We're gonna break all this down. We're gonna take some time to look at everything to prepare a show for you guys tomorrow, but. Just look at this. Even in 3rd place, Agers and Ritual,
crazy.
right? Look at that top 3. It's only 8 points separating 1st
Wait, is
and
Muzz
3rd.
in here?
And
still?
even you kind of continue down
I
the
think
leaderboard,
Muzz
right?
dropped.
Like Clicks and
As
Higgs
of now.
versus Peterbot and Poyo. They're separated by 6 points. I mean, guys, so much can still happen. And as Game 6 just showed us, 1 game can flip everything on its head. I would love to sit here and break all this down and just start the next 6 games, okay? But that's a tomorrow thing. So for now, we're just gonna wait.
almost
You know,
4
we'll be back tomorrow.
of
Let's
playing.
break some of this down. Before we say goodbye, Kelly, Vivid, would you like to say anything to prepare the Fortnite fan for tomorrow?
Grab your popcorn and some slurp juice because you're not going to want to leave your seats once those 6 games start.
First 6 games, they delivered.
Popcorn
I
and
feel like it
slurp
only
juice.
gets better. Game 2 on NA always goes crazy because I can almost guarantee we'll go into game 12 and there'll be like a 4-point difference between like 8 teams. And we'll be like, oh, okay, who's going to win? I don't know. This is going to be entertaining. So, yeah, definitely grab some popcorn, grab some slurp juice, a beer tomorrow because NA always.
Oh, they muted.
Y'all, thank you
Oh,
for
they're back.
watching, for cheering, for being part of this. It's so much fun getting to hang out with y'all and just watch incredible Fortnite. The players, thank y'all as well. Till tomorrow,
Yeah.
don't forget, actually, EU is before us. They also have 20 spots going to Dusseldorf. We need to see how they go. They also need to hand out an Axe of Champions just like we do. And of course, after tomorrow, we're going to have a more complete picture of all of the teams heading out over to Dusseldorf. Oh my gosh. Tomorrow is going to be a movie. Fortnite fam, until then, we love you. Keep yourself safe. And we'll see you on that paddle bus.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.